Tá tudo bem com vocês aqui, Reis? Como é que vocês estão? Tudo de boa? De boa na lagoa? Pumba. Pumba. Deixar o pessoal aí chegar à stream. Ontem, hoje eu vou jogar arenas, maybe. Ainda não sei. Ou Zonor. Não, provavelmente arenas, não sei, ainda não sei. Ainda não faço a mínima ideia. Siga, siga. O que é que já tem na stream aí? Manda ganda boas. Quem é o rei? Quem é o rei da culinária? 3 pessoas aí já havia, maltinha. Siga, siga. Tu a gente deixar o like e o sub. Bora lá. Bem, não viajando. Tem o Clemêncio, o Rafa. Tá a ganda Rafa, mano. Sempre aí. Jó. Tá tudo, a Rafa, é contigo. Como é que é, Miguel? Ganda Miguel, já não aparecia aí aos anos. Já não aparecia aí aos anos. Siga, Reis. Está aí o Santi também. Está tudo, maltinha? Está tudo ou não está tudo? Este teclado é uma máquina, este teclado. Já está feito isto aqui? Tá sim, senhora. Vamos lá ver isto então. Também já está feito. Siga, siga. Qual é o campo, mano? É esse que está a ver agora, mano. Este aqui. Este. Tem que ver as tabelas de classificação. Não, ainda não começou, maybe. Já começou. Querem ver? Eu não consigo participar porque eu não me classifiquei. E este que está a decorrer, pois, eu não consigo ver. Mas está a decorrer um que eu sei. Eu sei, não sei se está a dar no Festa Royale, não faço a mínima ideia se está a dar. Tá, olha a ver. Eu sou o mestre da culinária. Vamos lá ver isto então, siga, siga, Reis. Salve, Tirk! Não abre o YouTube agora. É boa, mano. Não é boa, Miguel. Maltinha, já sabem, virem aqui. Item Shop, usar SAMUCAYTV na shop. Já está, não está? Exato. SAMUCAYTV na shop, não se esqueçam, Reis. Siga, siga. 7 likes aí, bora lá. Boas peixoto, como é que é, Rei? Está tudo? Calma aí, ficou bugado aqui no título. Eu meti o MIGUEL e sempre junto. Está a decorrer. Onde é que é? 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 Maltinho, alguém me ajuda aí? Onde é que é? Que eu estou esquecido. É ali, ok, já vi. É ali ao fundo. Eu não toco na PS há mais de 2 meses. Mano, eu sinceramente só veio à PS só mesmo para streamar ou para jogar um bocadinho de Rocket League, sinceramente. Mano, suponho que seja aqui, mano. É aqui é que está mais a aglomeração. Este português está em dia, mano. Oh, mano, aglomeração? É assim que se diz. Vais fazer outfits, mano. Estamos a ver o torneio, mano. Eu sou o Brunão. Ah, ok. Ok.
Using that launch pad, and this is what was my concern when I was VOD reviewing everything, was these other southern trios coming from behind. Flyways and Ghosties, they've been here this entire time, and they're gatekeeping all these southern teams, and 4ZR got knocked.
Kind of basically border patrol right now, the toll booth set up in the middle of the map. What Sancho's trying to explain is that When it comes to that launch pad, about 3-4 POIs, more than 10 drops end up using it. And these guys drop there and control it first, so they make sure they know exactly who's moving in and out.
And if you're a Flyways or Ghosts fan,
Maldinha.
I mean, yeah, you could definitely pick them to do well, but you mentioned it, so much traffic happens, and sometimes you get tempted to just park and sit there and wait. And as you can see, they're rotating in late. Here's a replay. Look at the replay right here at Ghosts, and just a matter of, disgusting, nasty there, Shio.
It's not going to stop, too. They're kind of on the backside of Flows right now, but need to find some met kits, get healthy. Meanwhile, every other team who's not actually, you know, making sure people pay their toll on the highway, who've actually gotten to their destination so far. Although if it's Stealthy Stronghold as the zone closed in, this is so amazing. SAMUCAYTV in an awesome position. They're always in the middle of the pack, Sancho. They're like in one of the most disastrous places to be on the map, to edit, to go for shots, but somehow are unnoticeable. No one ever shoots back at them, and they stay safe till the end of the game. I'm looking at a team playing exactly the way they did in the last FNCS, and what happened there, they basically won the whole competition.
Maltinha, vou entrar numa em privado, senão vamos ter aqueles atrasados mentais ali. Não dá para entrar tipo numa em privado. Ah, não me digas isso. E se eu criar tipo uma sala? Se eu criar uma sala deve dar, não dá?
In 57 seconds, Sancho, that lightning will start to strike.
This is what
damage. In 57 seconds, Sancho, that lightning will start to strike.
This is what happens here, you know, the lack of preparation, the miscue, the misstep in their plan, their execution. They decided to kind of try to hold off Sky Trio, and it's caused this whole avalanche of problems. And I don't know, man, this is going to be, again, one of those games they could just say, hey, GG's, let's go ahead and try to fix it the next game.
Oh, look at this. No fixing to be done here. It's just destruction. Scram looking for a few shots. How far already down. It's all up to Flows to be the kind of difference maker in this fight. Change the tides. He might just with a huge edit, actually getting his teammate kind of out as well. That was really slick by Flows to kind of even things out overall. They can go for that revive as well. Pressure will take. It's still a little bit of a 3v2 melody. Edit notice as well. The more this fight goes on, the more noticeable it is to every arrow in Lenny's heart. Making things not as nice as Flows trying to escape. Does get procced down on his shields. Unfortunate for him overall. Monaco looking for his type of angle. Scram trapped in a little bit of a box, and some of the builds might not even be his. This is a world of pain and hurt for everyone. They can't even move out, Sancho. Every house is taken, absolutely rented out. There's nowhere else to go. One of these teams needs to win this fight. The damage for Monaco, 465, almost 500 above. This is huge for them to keep railing those shots.
What a great work by that trio there. It's making the Flows' trio eat up all their hard mats, and not only that, getting themselves an elimination in the process, so that's very key.
Now you can see the difference in worlds, basically, right? Everyone that's really well set off in high bases, like SAMUCAYTV and Teak, looking to see what they want to do. Aqua, all the way in the crash sites. Then you look at this right now, kind of the poverty line all the way towards the zone. People struggling. Yeah, Andalex inside the zone as well. They're all in box fights. They're just desperate. Their teammates also down. Hellfire gone. Scram with some amazing shots, and that team's also getting targeted by Surge, so that's a double up. And now they're just gonna have to do this with 2 players overall.
Big surprise considering that trio. Scram came in at 2nd place last season, but now we're looking at another trio to be a lot better here, newly formed for this one. Vidil, Nor, Riley, Janice coming from Believer Beach. And hey, this is what I'm talking about. Procrastination is going to get you in trouble here, but luckily they have the box fighting skills kind of bail them out. You know those people that like never study, but all of a sudden still get an A? You're like, that's what Janice and Vidil, Nor, Riley are doing right now.
Very academic. There's Vidil, Noah Riley. One of the things that Noah Riley and Vidil especially just like to do a lot is go for those isolated box fights to keep up with Surge. We saw it at the very beginning of the year. It's going to stay the same all throughout. sometimes he can really push the brakes and go for long-range tags, but you'd like to see some of the best fighters in you actually taking fights. TOMAS, and Nas, they get all their surge dealt with in that early game off the mountains. When there were snipers, TOMAS was popping off of them too, but right now they keep it classy.
I just want to put a pause on the play-by-play. Look at that mini-map, folks, right there. Look at how many trios here are rotating late into the stealthy stronghold. That's the issue that you want to avoid. You want to have a clean rotation, and that's what TOMAS Queasy. Look at all the obstacles that they have to work through to get into the safe zone.
A wave of players. A tsunami is what's going to look like all the way at the very end of this. Everyone's going to start to stack on top of each other. That wave of players, the boxes will start to just get higher and higher overall, but there's some impenetrable walls. TOMAS is trying to set a box. Another player here as well. Some of the top teams, the worst thing, absolute disaster, is getting stuck on the rotation. Queasy and Anas are already down. One of the teams that had a free ticket, a ride all the way towards the end of this game. It's a max pull zone for their POY, and they struggle getting to it.
That's where it happens. So much has been used right now. TOMAS on the back foot does have a launch pad. He just wanted to extend himself. I mean, he's not even near the placement points. I think he's just on the cusp of actually getting a little bit more of a chunk. If he could make it past the 25, but that lobby focus, oh my goodness, it's strong. But he does have the heals, does have the chug splashes. Just needs to go ahead and stabilize. Stabilize. Woosah. Woosah.
And who's the one actually making all this chaos happen? It's Tayson and Chapix. They kind of started on this side of the map. They're kind of feeling fresh at home. Just a little bit down the neighborhood, you know, parked down the block, made a right. Yeah, and you can see these guys just absolutely tearing people up trying to move in.
Yeah, and they've been working. Tayson only has about 30 medium assault rifle bullets, so it's like they've been putting in a lot of work. No doubt they may be high on the storm surge because Tayson doesn't miss.
Absolutely not. Look at this though. Craziness inside Stealthy Stronghold. I would never assume that people actually wanted to face up low ground in the middle. There's no trees now they're getting chopped down too. Steady Kemi might be a good position overall. They can tarp in his home, but after this, if it moves out of the stronghold, they have a huge job to do to move out.
I agree. I remember a couple seasons ago being in the bowl of the Stealthy Stronghold. You'll get eliminated very quickly if this storm washes back here, so they have to be careful.
Yeah, and I really love this overall update for what the points look like right now across the board. Flyways, Ghostless, they're looking really good in terms of just being ahead of the pack entirely. The eliminations, the guarding they did overall makes them just be a little bit further ahead, taking out XP Sports Jar completely as well. Puts them about double the points of anyone else. You know, upkeep that lead, but this is where the ties kind of change. All those mid-game warriors maybe doing so much work will be put slightly behind everyone who's been on these high spots waiting on the Guardian Towers of Stealthy Stronghold. This is where they get to play. This team, not so much though, because it's just TOMAS.
He could do it though. We've seen him clutch before. I know I have to go back all the way to season 4. This man clutched so many times at the Sentinel Graveyard.
Yeah, let's just go back one season, 2 on Ox with some of the craziest point swings as a solo player. I think he started that trend of, hey, game 1, my teammates are down, let me just clutch up 20 points and keep us in the run. TOMAS right now isn't getting a huge pick, isn't just getting full high on it.
And he's going to have to box fight the Malabuka. That's not going to happen here, but now we're just seeing how everybody else is positioning here. And look at that. It's half in and half out. That's going to be the danger here. It's not only half in and half out in the storm, but the Stealthy Stronghold splits that safe zone almost in half.
Yeah, one side Stronghold, the other side just free farmed fields. Not going to be too much action on that side, though. We're still looking at the outside, the danger zone, a place where no one can really call it home. Bad sniper laxes force down around him. He has nothing else to do, just kind of rocking down a timer, but it's not seconds he's counting, it's his materials, his mats. Now just up the wood, 500 left. He's at a sliver of a spot. He actually tries to respond back to 3 players with a gets dropped down and runs into 2 himself. Karma and Kylie pick him up right there.
If you're ever in that situation, you got to break the line of sight, move over, extend out. He just did not have enough hard mats to withstand. And of course, when you see someone in trouble, the edit down was all it took to get him eliminated. Aqua gets eliminated by Chapix. So our picks are not doing so well so far, but it does not matter right now. Let's see who will walk away with that victory royale here in game 1 of the Grand Royale.
Aqua going down really good for Thomas HD overall.
Nice.
Big shot for Thatch as well.
Okay.
Why is it good? Because he's right above him in these layers. Everything in the space is just going crazy.
Yeah, you remember when I said this man will not box fight Malabuka? I stand corrected. I stand corrected. Strike the record. This man will go into that, and he got Malabuka really weak.
Yeah, and players actually can't see the lightning or hear it strike until it actually cracks shield. So I think he heard Shizo's shield's gonna go down. He knows Malabuka's in trouble. He's going for the shots, but actually also smells and senses the desperation.
Okay, he got the knock.
Player's gonna take out Malabuka. He's got the server on his side right now, Sancho. One player needs to go down for the Surge to stop. He's still kind of in a power play position. Just needs to delay. One of those first AR shots also hit Shizo. Does he get the elimination for it is the question. I'm not sure. There's Malabuka.
Yes,
is there another? Oh, almost. I don't think it actually racked in for his team. Maybe. It did?
No, I was just saying the big thing that more importantly is he got the refresh that he desperately needed. He was really low on hard mats, got about 500. So now the Thomas HD clutch factor, the superstar that we know he can be, is now well equipped for endgame.
I think VBUCKS knows exactly where he is overall, though, and what's going down here. So many materials left inside this box. If Thomas HD's able, as he has zone, to tarp all the way out, come back and pick these up, he essentially has the inventory of 2 players to work with.
Below 179. Now 200. You could hear as much of those bullets rattling off in the distance. Every connected shot puts Thomas HD behind that Storm Surge 8 ball, folks.
30 seconds though to see exactly what he wants to do. Let's stay all the way on the backside. Has that launch pad and probably just wants to use it late. Double locking in a little bit. This is one of the advantages you have when you're really working with time. A half pad, 2, nice dodge towards the right. Playing low ground might be tough, so staying in middle, yeah, and elevating yourself. A genius move from Thomas HD. Scram picking up a few in the feed. 46 players now looking at things. Have to drop down all the way to 35 once the second zone locks in. And Thomas is still pressuring down and finding almost a few eliminations just as a solo player.
It's unbelievable to see what Thomas can do. A lot of people had so many questions for him considering he went down, but there is no question right now who is in a power position to win this game. That is Vidil, Riley, and Janice.
They're looking really good on height. Recently just fought for Equated. Now they just need to make sure to hold on, make sure to bolster it as much as possible. Reconnect as well as Genius. Thomas HD, though, his world is starting to get really chaotic and different. Lightning now striking 232 damage below. 1 more second basically left. He needs to land a big pump. 113. Another one to finish. Is he above? Not just yet. Oh my God, taking down to the zone all the way down to 20 HP. Picks up Clement as that surge turns off. Just surviving by the skin of his teeth, down to 4 HP. How is this man alive? He's still working through it, picked up so many mats. Thomas HD is clutching up game 1 in a way he should not be allowed to. So the universe comes to and makes sure everything is possible physically right again. He goes down, but what a performance.
The defending FNCS champion, Cammy, had to stop the run of Thomas HD. Now it's Cammy and Seti, the duo, working together to maybe withstand and get those placements that they're really known for. And this is, look at this, 7 eliminations and a possibility for a top 10 finish. Wow, what a great start for the defending FNCS champion.
Yeah, but with no teak, they don't have that endgame freak to be able to just go into low ground and pop off over and over again. This is going to have to be another all-in from this team. When we see it happen, no, never mind. Cammy actually gave his match over to Seti to make sure to all the way tarp in. He needs to pop this medkit off. 8 crucial seconds to see what they can do. At the same time, Hottie Sap is popping out beside the feed, Port going down, mixing all the way on low ground. It's getting super active. Meanwhile, Janice O'Reilly, Vidil, they're looking so good on height. They're forcing everyone to fight below them. 7 eliminations for this team. Now they go for the shots in the all-in. There's the first one. Clean out this flare. Extermination as Futrick goes down. They're just fumigating every single box. This is too much, and they have another sandwich play down. That's just front and back pump shots over and over. It'll cost Seti his life, but Cammy, he's active now going for those double-digit eliminations.
It doesn't matter if they're a full trio. They own the low ground. They're going to possibly get a big finish right here. They went from top 10 now to top 5, and this is what I'm talking about. It's these free placement points, the points that they're not supposed to get. This trio does.
Cammy all the way from the backside off field, but misses the pump inside the stronghold. But what is really safe? Not this player inside the box. 8 HP, the Siphon can't come through. Elocrass is there to make sure he doesn't see the light of day again. Now Vidil, he's hunting. He doesn't want to just let the game run out. He wants to finish it himself. He finds Elocrass all the way on low. No chance for a heal game. He's making sure his entire trio stays alive as well. They don't just win, they do it in style. But with Noah Riley down, maybe the fashion isn't looking as good as it should be. Big edits from Vidil. Block by a ramp, goes down very smart, plays all the angles, but don't forget about Janice, don't forget about the big boys, controlling height since the start of that end game and winning it the first game victory royale.
7 eliminations to boots, but the story has to be that now these lobbies are doing solo clutches, and what is known as the most strongest lobby we've had in a long time, it's Grand Royale, folks.
Absolutely, that was just amazing from Janice, Fadil, Noah Riley. A phenomenal game overall.
That's what we like to see, folks, and that's just only game 1, and we're going to be here for 5 more, Shayo. But yes, I was very, very impressed there by the solo clutches, but at the end of the day, when the trio's on height, they have the power.
Yeah, and this is one of the trios that we were looking at to really show that power, explode in that last FNCS. Looks like they've been saving it for the after show, the epilogue. I really want to know what the desk is thinking about that one, Sancho, because if this team is rocking in and they're controlling the game, that's trouble for everyone else inside the field.
Gentlemen, first off, got to say, game 1, super dope. Sancho, it is so good to have you back. I've missed you so very much. Guys, I cannot believe what has just transpired in game number 1. Sadie, Cammy, and Teak, of course, you know they're doing this. They're getting the run back. It's like we're re-watching Chapter 2, Season 8, right? They're back there. We're like, oh, where are they? Oh, wait, they're placing 3rd, and now they have 10 eliminations. Vadil, Noah Riley, Janice, they got the Victory Royale with 7 eliminations as well, but I mean, that's basically the same amount of points, right? Because of these extra eliminations, because of this high placement, now you have these 2 Titans once again going, okay, we're back at this again, huh? We're getting the repeat? Okay, that sounds good to me.
Zeke, do you know what's so crazy to me? We've spent the whole year talking about this team and how they needed a bit more firepower. Yeah, they got the fundamentals great. Yeah, they got everything sorted out, but they need a bit more firepower. Cammy went absolutely insane there, right? Like, I've never seen somebody just sort of, you know, go so unchained, right? Like, he really, you know when people say pressure makes diamonds? Like, that was really Cammy in that end game there. Some of the shots he was hitting, Reese, like, that was filthy.
Yeah, and it started right here, like right at the start of the game. He set himself up so easily to look out, and this is something we've been talking about all season, right? Cammy say Teak always get that high drop. They always make sure they situate themselves on a high elevation, get someone out of the sky, easy storm surge tags, and that's what set them up so easily to pop off in the end game with Cammy. Obviously, he had 8 elims to himself, which was absolutely massive. Some of the other early game stuff that we looked at too, over with Steamy Stacks, we saw it happen from Andrea, and this was purely all down to, let's be real, this was a bad drop from Andrea. He did not get the god drop. He didn't deploy at the right angle. He misses the weapon. He sees Mustache down there too, and he misses that one too. And you know, I'm not going to joke about jumping in the trash. We love Andrea here. He's my boy.
We love Andrea, and he knows we love him, but it was absolutely trash. I don't know what to tell you. That was a trash drop. Like, look, this the Grand Royale was the biggest event we've had since World Cup way back in the day. Like, you got to come out here on a serious thing. Like, you can't come out here with a bad drop. And look, that's what cost you. They were like the only team that went down. Like, we had 96 players in the lobby for like the whole game until endgame, it felt like. So, you know, they don't want to be in that position again moving forward. That game was just so stat. Like, I'm still thinking about that game in totality. Like, you know, the amount of solo clutches. Let's talk about Thomas for a second. Thomas. Yeah. He's signed to Astralis now. He's feeling good about himself. They didn't have the best of times sort of last season. But Thomas in this endgame was just unreal. Some of the shots. He should have went down about 5 minutes before this, right?
Right?
So, you know what I mean?
You saw the shots that he was hitting onto Malabuka to pick him up off spawn earlier in the 5th zone there. Now he's coming up with this massive clutch, getting up to the top 5, and he secured his team as a solo. I think that was an additional almost 20 points, right? Which is a massive, massive swing. You've got to think across the span of, 12 games? That 20 points alone that he got was so incremental, right? It's obviously rough to see Queasy team go down. We saw the complaints coming out about the storm surge coming through there, but Thomas absolutely made the most of that situation and clutched up, and that's what you need on your team. You need a guy like Thomas, and this is his week, clearly.
I'm fanboying. I love it. You know, he has such a vivacious way of playing the game, and seeing him in his element in endgame there. Wow. Beautiful.
So good. Well, that's it for us for right now, because it's time to jump back into the action. We're going back over with Shy Wager and Sancho West for game number 2, Grand Royale.
Thanks so much, Zeke 11 and Reese. Okay, so we see Anas's team with a 20-point clutch. Seti Kemi Teak with a low ground type of game that was consistent. Sancho, last season is kind of happening again in the Grand Royale.
I mean, I think it's because it's so close. I mean, we literally just had the other finish of the FNCS Chapter 2 Season 8 like a couple of weeks ago, and now we're still in the same season. Normally you have an FNCS competition a couple more weeks, new metas, new weapons come out, maybe a new mobility item, so that's why it kind of feels like deja vu. But I think there's a little bit more differences, is that TOMAS HD trio is looking a lot stronger than we thought.
Yeah, I mean, they have these one-off games. Just want to make sure they continue to keep that consistency. But to look at the deja vu list and keep going on, we've got basically Aqua all-in for height, failing on that half and half kind of zone, right? That happened before as well. But when they do lock it in, Sancho, I believe with you, they will hold it down. Dinis getting one good game in. That's always something that happens overall. And some of these big teams struggling with the north side zone. Where will it go this time, though, for game number 2? That is the question as we roll in and see who's going to get that second victory royale.
Game 2 of 6. People are going to usually do the same plan, and hopefully Andretta gets a better drop. And as you can see here, it's the same kind of a bus, a little bit more of an angle, so we still see that Steamy Stacks engagement right off the rip.
This time we'll see if Andretta has recycled a strategy or still inside that trash bin going for the same building. Can he land it? Mustache 2 is rolling in with it. Right on Kurama, getting electric.
Just guys, see here, Malabuka, Murstache, they want this main building, and this is if they could hold on to that. You can see the power they have, and then once again, Janice goes down early in Believer Beach. This is the second match in a row that has happened. And even though they were able to get the victory royale, you gotta be a little bit of you gotta be concerned. Gotta be concerned when you go down that early, because eventually the odds will catch up to you. Right now, Sofly, if you're in Andretta, you're a Savage and Benji fan, you're happy right now. But like I said in the previous match, they cannot go down. If one of them goes down, historically, Malabuka just runs them over right after that. They need to get the early knock to be able to survive this engagement.
I think the fans might be happy, yeah, because they might just be a little bit alive, but Andretta, no way to really have a conversation at long range, just an SMG and that lever action rolling in. Savage at 1 HP has a few shields. Andretta will actually want to look just like him, put on the same clothes, aka no HP whatsoever. Benji Fishy already down. Savage now at 101 HP to roll in, but most of it just shields. These guys are looking clinical this time, Sancho. Before, it was strugglesome. It was a little bit fractured from both teams. It would go blow for blow inside this boxing match to the face over and over. But this time rolling in, Malabuka, Mustache, and Shiza look like they have trucks attached to their fists, not gloves. They are rolling through Savage, Benji, and Andretta.
Last season, the results of these kind of fights led to a 23rd finish for the boys of Andretta, Benji, and Savage. The only saving grace is that last game, they got double-digit eliminations in the Victory Royale, and if that was to happen again in day 2, they will shoot out their leaderboard. So that's what I mean with this kind of format. It's different. All these players, they haven't played in this format, and so we got to keep an eye on that. And the other thing we got to keep an eye on is Andalex. Do they hurry up? Do they pick up the tempo? Because last time, they really hurt themselves by taking too long trying to pick on this team out of the Disco Club.
Yeah, we're also to get that damage, though. Big thing for analysts like Suiz and 4CR, these north zones just keep pulling them all the way over to spots of the map where they're not going to be performing as well. Every time it's a little bit more southern, mountainous, or center zone overall, that's where they really can have control, dictate who moves back and forth. But when they have to be the movers, that's where we see a little bit of struggle.
And that's what happens here. When that first zone's revealed, you have to have a plan to be able to move faster. And last time when I was watching the NA West, when I was covering that region 2 seasons ago, you see Arkham's trio, they have these warp-type rotations. You'd be like, wait a minute, 5 minutes, they're already all the way down into Misty Meadows? How can they be? I mean, these guys move fast. And that's what you got to do. You got to move fast. Everything is on a timer right now, and all these Fortnite pros know that timer. And considering that Noah Riley here is going to have to work as a duo with Vadil, actually, correction, the reboot ban goes off. Now they're a full force trio. So we're seeing that trio could handle the little bit of issues. They could come back at full force, and they could win a victory royale.
Now, just like utilizing, all aspects of the game. If there's a reboot, use it. You know what I'm saying? I think Janus would just even go down to fall damage to be able to get rebooted and keep that regular mantra up, even if he's uncontested.
And at the same time, you'll be able to have a longer reboot card time. It's been a change. I know the last season has been in there. That's definitely helping out, not only in the competitive scene, but in pubs. And now, TOMAS HD looking good. And this is our teams right now. This team's in second place. TOMAS HD was clutch, was able to get him to 8th place coming into this match.
Nice. Said he can retake this POV. actually gives us a little bit of insight to where the zone is as well. It was calling completely north and trouble for Analytics' team overall, but if you look at it, it's kind of central towards the right. We're looking at Dirty Docks. We're looking at maybe even a little bit of a retail pull depending on how things are looking and feeling. MCDT will have a lot of control over every team that wants to go back and forth. Flyaways and Ghostless aren't done yet with their fights. They're still bullying people, but this time it's looking a little bit more scratchy.
These are the kind of fights that are definitely scratchy because of that pad. You could have disengagement, just like kind of in Steamy Stacks. The IO vehicles as well. They could get out of people, go into Weeping Woods. One of the things, though, that really worked for Fly, Ghosting, and Waves the previous round is they had a lot of people rotating late to them that were kind of weak, that had to use a lot of materials to get here, and just like that, Waves, oh no, in the water. I love these plays. These are the kind of plays. Yes, sir. I love the car plays. It takes me back, man. That's the kind of plays you need to make to survive in the Grand Royale. 1 HP, Shio. 1 HP in a dream.
If you can't build, just hop on the whip and just end up double bumping and instantly jump out and win off the rip. This is crazy for Waze, turning a situation that should not be winnable into a crazy one. And he wasn't even in the driver's seat for that one. He kind of just Grand Theft Auto that entire car. That's just not allowed. That's just insane.
And that's why we saw them get so many eliminations in game 1, and they start game 2 with the cheeky 1. Let's go.
Siptos, Loki Clement, not the craziest early game for them, and it never really is. They just end up rotating fast, end up just in Lazy Lake as well, picking up all the scraps they can. That was insane though from Waze. If that's the way their game is going, no wonder there might be a little bit of struggle inside endgame. It's just maximum stress at all times.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the replay, folks. Look at that green
1
bar.
HP, by the way.
1 HP.
How many shots does he dodge? That's one dodge with a 50. Back in. Samplify's like, wait, dude, in my car. Gets the siphon. Oh my goodness. That for me, that's play of the season so far. I know we had an entire FNCS before, but in terms of early game, that's just insane.
Let's go ahead and we'll put the clip right there. That is the play so far. Let's see if it'll be beat. I love it. That's the kind of, like I said, those are plays you need to make, man. I mean, it's kind of like they always say that, you know, you need to win your 50-50s. You need to win your 1v1s, and that was a 1v1. He had the first shot, and then all of a sudden, he gets bopped, gets down to 1 HP. I'm still speechless about that, but what was speechless was this team's performance last season.
Yeah, I mean, left us just flabbergasted and wondering, hey, do we even need to watch day number 2? This time, though, no matter what they do on day 1, there should be a chance for everyone to just clap back and control things, maybe even pop off on that day number 2. The biggest thing about SAMUCAYTV, though, is that how do you stop them? They're at such a niche drop that they know, right? It's not like you're landing at Steamy Stacks. There's 3 buildings like recent level we're breaking down. You can't really see exactly where the power points are early game. You can't track them in the mid game because they're kind of far away from everyone else. Dirty Docks is in their own fight 24/7. And in the end game, you want to control low. You know how difficult that is? And they have a wrap on it. It's just absolutely beautiful from them.
Now we're seeing right here, Michael Astro, VBUCKS cleaning up here the Dirty Docks with Lucia's trio. Lucia's really low at the moment here, and this is what KamiSeti want to see, because they know they could kind of dip into third party if they want to, but Lucia tried to get away and gets denied.
That's what I like. The best things about these 1v3 fights is when you don't actually take that much damage or use too many mats wrapping it up. So that's kind of what Michael was focusing on. Did it very nicely, barely anything used, and they get the control and just move out of their spot as fast as possible. Big boys rolling in this time. Also not looking to clutch, maybe to have a little bit more of control. That's Squeezy Nas, Thomas HD. I mean, last game, or every tournament, not last game, but last tournament, the tournament before that, their day, their entire story just starts off with a solo clutch. I just feel like that's what it is. If we can check in the back, look for the stat as to if that is the thing, because I swear to God, seeing Nas with a solo 20-point game over and over again every single season. They're no strangers to that strat in this Grand Royale either, and they're going to be doing really good if they all stay alive as well.
And you're seeing what their strategy is for Storm Surge. They're going to dip into Dirty Docks when they see that feed light up with some eliminations from VBUCKS' trio or Lucia's trio. They're going to go ahead and roll in. They're going to see what they could kind of take. They weren't able to get any kind of successful tags, but now we're seeing what their strategy is, because sometimes they dip down into the Camp Cod area, or sometimes they rotate over into that Flush Factory. But now we're seeing that they want to take advantage of this log jam that's happening here in Dirty Docks.
We'll dip by. We'll check out the merchandise. Meanwhile, all the way at Corny Crops, a little bit over towards the west. Screwy, Stompy, and Shady looking for their chance to do a little bit of damage. It'll be base-to-base tags, which are always the most difficult to manage because people can always reply back to you. You cannot leave them on Do Not Disturb.
And this trio is being pretty much being put together. You have Shady, who's his first time in the FSGS. Scrivy, in the last time we hear, he finished 26th place in season 6 of chapter 2. But Stompy is their workhorse. This man is the trio season X champion. I mean, they came in 3rd place in season 7 in chapter 2 with Pink and Nebs and Stompy. So Stompy feeling like, you know, he wants some validation here. I mean, a little bit of disrespect in terms of not having a trio. And I'm surprised that Pink and Nebs dropped Stompy here, considering he's such a decorated veteran in the Fortnite scene.
And people might just be switching things up all the way for the last tournament of the year, right? Trying out maybe one different flavor.
I mean, that flavor was working, though.
The flavor was working. I'm trying to advocate, like, what could they do? It was such a nice team, man.
It was a good team, man. They always were there. They always contested for height, but that's going to be a very valuable member. So Stompy definitely has to stay on his feet for Shady and Scrivy.
Jason Chapek's Hendo, they're staying up in the sky. Looking real good so far. I'm having a little bit of a sense of danger, though, for a lot of teams. They're all on these high bases. No one's really getting shots off on each other.
I remember this year. You flashing back. Remember when Savage's trio was in the blue and this, and we're like, oh, they're in a perfect position, and all of a sudden the storm kind of pushed them out, and they just went down so early, and they had no ammo because all their AR. That's that kind of sense of danger you're feeling right now.
Every time I see people on that antenna, especially super early, nothing ever good ends up happening.
It's a good idea, you know.
It's a really good idea, but and honestly, it's probably what, or 100% what they should be doing. Is just every time we sit on broadcast, for some reason that team becomes absolute shambles in like 3 minutes.
Yes.
It's like cursed, but there's no really of a deal. I think it's good that they struggle, and we see them struggle earlier on. If Genesis is knocked, if they have Storm Surge issues, usually end up fixing them and then winning games. So they're on that path right now, but if they take too much damage, if they can't solve this problem, it should be wraps for game 2. Genesis is really looking forward to fixing this, going for anything right now.
And this is exactly their method of operation. How they fix Storm Surge, like I said, they don't do their homework. They go ahead and just ace the test here, and they do it with their box fighting skills. I wish I had these mechanics to be able to fix the holes in my game, because this is definitely a hole in Noah Riley Genesis Vidil game is Storm Surge. So, you know, just like a big old drywall plaster right there, it fixes it up easy with the box fight.
Now you got to pick the right wall, though. Got to pick the right location. The last time we watched in game number 1 their fight, completely isolated, 3v3, no other team even on the mini map, or even if you zoomed it out around them. This time in Corny Crops, they've invaded a base that was very active. A lot of teams know they're here, and it's a 3-team base as well. So we'll see what ends up going down. They're gonna have to really force this fight. Vidil already down, and this was the trick that kind of tripped them over and over again in seasons, going for the wrong fight at the wrong time. Unfortunate, they're not going to be able to find a more isolated one. One teammate down, and this is the Struggle City Central.
The Storm Surge doesn't care about time. You gotta go, you gotta move, you gotta fight, and that's what's happening right here. I don't doubt Janice Vidil nor I don't want to take this engagement though.
Have to use chugs to make sure Vidil does not actually go down to that surge as he's knocked. Janice still's going to lose his shields at the same time as Noah Riley tries to help. He also gets rattled in the back. This is going to be tough. It might just be down to Noah Riley, and then at the end of the day, no damage even done back and forth from Janice's side. Still 139 below. Noah Riley with a legendary pump is looking for something, but cannot connect a single shot. This is the trouble. Vidil finally fully confirmed. Noah, do something. Find anything. One shot is good enough, but not going to be the total problem solver. Still 70 damage below. There's so many teams' heads he can really just pick apart, and Bluey's going to be the first one that he finds. Another big chomp down. And a van should be available close by. He needs to act fast, though, because there's still teams waiting inside the zone to pick this team apart.
He needs to activate the clutch gene right now. More importantly, 9 people. 9 people have to go down. And no, he goes down himself. Stompy and Co., who we highlighted a little bit ago, go ahead and get the job done. And hey, you just did not ace that test. It catches up to you every now and then. Let that be a lesson for you at home, kids.
Too many application questions. I think that's the issue, right? You can go by on that multiple choice, right? You can go with the 50-50s, it's fine. But even for Cammy said he Teak right now, they're not doing too well with these quiz answers. 14, 3, 28, you're going up and down, plus and minus. This is just a showing for the entire lobby and how good they are with Surge right now. They're popping off.
I was seeing this happening when I was VOD reviewing the Season 8 Chapter 2 finals. Essentially, a lot of the big names will take center positions, but you're seeing the sacrifice that you make when you sit in the center. You better hit your shots, kid, because if you don't, you're going to meet the big purple lightning at the end of the day. Let's take a look at the replay here, how it went down on Sampi's side. The triple spray, doesn't matter how good your mechanics are, you're not going to survive that, brother.
It's all about just laying down a trap, and they won the 1v1 fight against the teams at least, right? But when there's 3 teams and it's not isolated, when you're an aggro team and you're trying to go for these fights, that's where things trip up. It's a boxing match against 2 opponents. It's just not fair.
And Skriwai from Norway got 2 knocks in that engagement between Nadil's trio. And it was something that kind of reminds me, that's what happened 2 seasons ago when Vidil, they would always get into these fights where all of a sudden 3 trios would be right next to them, and then they just couldn't handle it. Too much pressure. But what's on the pressure right now is Thomas AC and Nas. I mean, we talked about it. They didn't even qualify for Season 7, Chapter 2. They didn't really even hear. And that was such a big surprise. And they went ahead with that mix-up. And I think getting Queasy, an FNCS champion, was a great pickup. And no doubt, that is why it's your pick. But I'm excited to see how they do it because they're slowly putting it together. And it's not about what you're doing in the past. It's about the momentum you carry into the Grand Royale. Got to put a little roll in that art. The Grand Royale. So let's see how that works out for the trio.
Look at this though, Sunny Cammy Teak. If perfection wasn't enough, one of the only teams to pull zone being dead center. I mean, this is just amazing. Shows us how good they are with the rotations, map management as well. It's looking so good all the way up to this point. The ammo looking dope as well. They keep moving on towards the entire game. This is just genius.
Yeah, let me expand on that. They're going to have the mats for the rotations. They have the mobility. They saved all that. They usually dip into everything that they have. They got a pad, they're going to use it no matter what. They're not going to hold on to it. So that is why they always get into the top 5 situations. And with their clutch mechanics, with the solo potential, that's why they get those bonus points. And they already did it once, and they could definitely do it again and again and again.
Might look tricky too because you see a lot of their shields gone. A lot of the utility out of the basket, but all they really need from this point onwards is damage and those launch pads. They can just move on low ground, play box to box. One of the best parts about low ground is it's kind of like the sewer tunnels of Fortnite overall. Everyone's waste that's dropping once they get picked apart from the high ground trickles down. They get to pick up all the shields, the easy access mats, the solo players that are walking around their box. They just go for pads, stay ahead of the zone, and wait for that waste to roll in. They can just get their inventories racked up in an instant.
I'm curious. Okay, I was about to say, we'll see where are the boys at here. They've been sitting on this blue antenna well above Storm Surge, so that's good to know. And because of that, Tayson loves to rotate early. He loves to put his trios in position towards a great place, usually dead side, close to the center. But as you can see on the mini-map, they're about really close to the dead side area. They have to move a little bit more south here, but they're choosing to be here for Storm Surge to get as much potential. And Hen, no matter what the ping is, he will hit his shots. This man, no matter where, he's going to collect the bag, and he's seen it time and time again on his social media timeline, him getting so much cash cup placements.
Also going to be the trios with the, or the trio with the coldest keyboards in the lobby. They haven't moved since we tuned in like in the second circle, so their position so good overall. They're not going to fall to that antenna curse. Ilocrat, CTQ, Hottie going to be moving around. Coolest strategy to watch from these guys. Every time I look at them, they're kind of countering different trios, kind of playing in the shadows of different builds above them. Sometimes though it gets tricky. It hurts to watch them make a wrong move, and this might be it. The zone is moving overall. Everyone's gonna be pressured to keep rolling. They're 187 damage below that surge. Really need to make sure to catch up on things. Maybe this is why they're staying so close to other teams, but it's gonna be a struggle to get that damage at this point.
Thomas HT gets a knock on Tico, and I agree with you on that. And again, Stompy's trio and co are literally have to play defense against another team desperate for Storm Surge. And ETQ, Hottie, and Trevor, and Ilocras are in trouble here, and they're definitely gonna get tripped up. They weren't even in. Now it's up to Hottie, ETQ, going up against another FNCS. Kevin Kiriachi, and Floki Clement are all here to collect the scraps. Stompy and co are rolling in, but wow.
It's a struggle, especially when you have to launch early. Sometimes that launch pad can act as an alley-oop, get you into another trio's box to really get that dunk in with the damage. But when you're moving first, there are no boxes made, nowhere to go. Unfortunate for them. You're calling Thomas taking out Teak. That's going to be a huge elimination. And look at them. They're going to adapt the playstyle as well, stay completely low, look to control everything and make sure they get to all stay alive for this endgame.
That was a great short pad, but they're on the low side of this circle here. The upper side here, the south side, has a high vertical. If it goes up there, they're in trouble.
Yeah, if it pulls back, though, their mats are going to be so efficient overall.
Yeah, okay.
They're going to be fine, and they still have, from this point, right, when you're at the lowest point of elevation, you can max pad, and that max pad turns into a short pad for the front side of the zone. It's huge.
And they have the harpoon. Thomas HC has 10 charges into that, so he could go ahead and grab any valuable loot that he sees. You're going to be looking at that. Maybe they look back into the storm. So much great things happen. And Thomas HC as well. He did some great work with that burst rifle, was able to lead some shots into some builds.
And they do pull a little bit of that zone, so no launchpad alchemy needed whatsoever. A different flavor all the way on high ground. We're going to be a little bit towards the right side of the map so you can see some of those homeowners, Astro, Michael, and Verox from Dirty Docs looking to control things overall. But how long will their reign last all the way on height? Because you know there's going to be multiple trios looking to take it.
And this trio played the most in this FNCS Grand Royale. They played so many. They are the most consistent trios. They played all the loading, reloading, rebooting, whatever you want to call it. They played the most, and they have the high ground.
The trio of the 6 paths, so to speak, then, so we'll see exactly what they do. Trouble for Thomas HD, though. Down to 10 HP. We talked about what it takes to get to this point. Sometimes it's all your shields. It looks like they don't have that max pad to really use. Something must have gone terribly wrong. Queasy started this with 8 peppers. They barely even used them. Now, finally, rocking in with 4 and a few split on the other side. They're going to have to play by themselves. Only to get Thomas's loot whatsoever. But find someone else's box on a launch pad. That's going to be huge. Floppers there, too, for Queasy to use. Neb's on the bottom side, but look at who's up top. Chapix, Tayson, and Hen. They're looking to get that high ground control.
And they have the mats because we've been seeing the whole time with those cold keyboards, but it's about to get hot, and they have the potential to get those elims.
We'll see exactly what they end up doing. Completely above in surge. Michael taking out Trulex. So second height is also looking strong. Everyone all the way up in the clouds and the skies has a power position to rattle on every single body below.
Here we go, folks. Is getting into the end game here for game 2. As you're seeing, Malibuka, who took out Dreda's trio so early, making some great position on the front side of the storm, looking strong. Hen gets eliminated. Aqua gets eliminated. Fresroki gets eliminated. But Malaku, Burstash, and Saito are standing hip to hip, looking strong. And they're going to try to clear out the bottom as much as possible and to take out a page from Camiseti and Teak. But Queasy is in a world of hurt, and he cannot go back-to-back with the clutch like Thomas HD.
It'll be Link's trio picking him up. Trouble in Paradise, though, as we did see Hen go down. Melody still popping in through. That's going to be him, actually, who was the one picking up Queasy. We're also going down to Shies, though, so Steamy Stacks is also active inside this end game. We go all the way towards the river. A halfway point for every single team. Mustache Malibuka is still alive. And we're going to tune in with them to see if they can pick apart any walls. Use that harpoon to grab any other things from inside the box. Not much going to be happening all the way up in this moment. Top 10 teams actually rolling in. A person almost diving inside the box. They don't want to fall down and go towards the water. Malibuka, Mustache Shies, they want to stay high and dry. At the same time, Scurry really popping off. Continuing the eliminations. He rocks in. Malibuka with another Goomba Stomp step inside the bottom box. Goes for a different shot. Lands some big damage. Doesn't have much else to do. These guys are picking apart every team below him.
They're playing so well and picking on that low ground. You're right, Shiles. Look at this. They're dipping and diving and getting in and out as fast as possible, putting some big max damage and racking up eliminations here. Look how many they have. They lose Shizo. Malibuka now has got solo by himself, but still a great performance here. They could get into the top 5. Nice hit. Yes. Knocked. Eliminated. Malibuka is on fire.
Thrusters down, now the Rocket Malibuka is just left to take the team all the way to the moon. Zone also bouncing back, so he has a little bit of time to breathe. At the same time, 4ZR saw him active somewhere. He gets traded out. Yes, it's Malibuka. He was the one that actually just picks them up. 47 points for them. They're really going all the way for that first place slot. A lot of eliminations too to wrap things up, but a quiet time now for every single team. Top 6 situation. No one really going down just yet. The match is going to be strained. Malibuka as a solo has to cover every single angle inside this box. Staying hidden for now. River down below. Logron also catching up to him, so every layer is going to get squeezed. Chapman's box Ari's there too, and Michael takes down Artist. So a little bit of an industry of mid-ground antics going on inside this endgame. Malabuka though staying nice and quiet as VBUCKS and Michael right above him, and also dropping down below. Tayson and Chapix all the way on height, looking to wrap up this game. VBUCKS is getting close and personal, while Malabuka though might be the driving factor, the changing force. He looks for the first shot, 101 to the backside of a different player. He's going for the full finish. That's VBUCKS down. Can this clutch be possible for Malabuka? He'll go back into the zone, just wood up right above him. He's looking for the next shot over and make sure he pops a little bit of health. We're going for this next fight. 84 with a big edit. He rolls in, still going through. 1 feet 2. Malabuka has the high ground and the pump, but it's not enough. He gets denied. Chapix is there to make sure his team stays high and dry. What a solo performance though, and what a game 2 from EU.
It took FNC as champions to take down the Steam King. Chapix and Tayson get the job done, and Chapix with 6 eliminations, and we get a taste of the pop-off, baby. It's Grand Royale. Game 2 goes to Hen, Chapix, and Tayson.
Look at that, just the happiness, the emotion from that win, the momentum build up so early in the day and the weekend. That's what Grand Royale is all about. And what a clutch as well. Another solo one we're watching from the side of Malabuka. That was just insane, especially off a contested POI.
You need those clutches. We saw the boys broke down in the desk. The 20 points looking good. Let's take it to the boys.
Hello, we're the boys. What's up? Oh my gosh. First of all, production, let's talk about that dope clip of that win. I love that. That's what I live for, Levin, is those moments in the chaos, that pure bliss where you could say, I got the victory royale in those clutch moments. Absolutely incredible. Of course, Tayson, Chapix, and Hen picking up the victory royale with 6 eliminations. And this is all done while Hen gets picked off earlier on, which is impressive, right? Doing this as a duo heading into those last moments of the game. Super tough to pull off.
Yeah, look, of course they did it as a duo, but when you have Tayson and Chapix, they count for like 5 players, right? Like, you know, these guys are phenomenal. It's no surprise to me there what they're able to do. Again, another instance of a player just as a solo sort of popping off. Malabuka was phenomenal, right, Reece?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's another situation where pressure has just formed a diamond here. Ridiculous shots he was hitting, as he always seems to do in these moments.
Yeah, 100%. And it all started off spawn. Yeah, again, like Malabuka was just on fire. Same with the whole team, let's be real. We saw the big beam onto Andrea from his POV. We didn't end up seeing it, obviously, from, what was it, when he was picking up Benji at the same time. And from this just sets you up. This is 2 games now that they've won off spawn. 2 games that they've managed to dominate so far. And it's not looking good for Benji Fish's team. And that reign continued into the end game as well, right? Like I said, that set them up. They got the Storm Surge damage there. They got the confidence. They got 3 more elims in the mid game. But when it came to the end game, like the solo clutch was ready.
And for me, I think the worrying thing, if you're anybody else in the lobby, when Malabuka's in such effervescent shooting form, right? When he's just feeling it, when he's just swinging around, throwing out pump shots, handing out pump shots to everybody else in the lobby, you're gonna have a really hard time. Props to Tayson and Chapix from stopping themselves from being like an all-time, like that was all, if he had won the 1v2, that's just an all-time like Fortnite moment right there. And then, you know, they're remembered, you know, more so for that. But, you know, they won out the game. It's good. They're back up higher in the standings. I think it's really important for them after the way our last FNCS went, where it was a bit sloppy here and there. Obviously, Hen, hopefully we don't have more games where Hen's going down early in the end. He can be with them in that final winning moment. But yeah, it's a good start from these guys, definitely.
I mean, it's also important that the fact that since they lost 10, they were still able to capitalize on that, right? You know, I'd say potentially previously in Season 8, I wouldn't have had that confidence yet in this team, obviously, when they were with Reason instead of Hen. But they were still able to work as a duo so efficiently. Chapix picking up 6 eliminations total. We saw the 3 in the feed go down, just one after another, after another, after another. He hit the huge pop-off and clutched that up big time. And obviously, that ended up winning them the entire second game.
It's weird seeing that team on height to an extent, because there's so many teams in the lobby who you think, how come they're not on height this game? We saw some of the teams, right? We obviously saw the team that won game 1 struggling with Surge. I feel like Surge is a really big issue for a lot of the teams. The games have been incredibly stacked, positionings all over the place, it seems. For a lot of these guys, it's going to be a battle. Absolute battle all day long.
This is just game 2, Levin. Just think about that for a moment. I'm also thankful production cannot record me, because when Chapix landed that last 1 pump, I about lost my mind. But you know what? That's enough from us for right now. We're going to kick it back on over to Shy Wager and Sancho West for game number 3.
A battle all day long. Kind of sounds like a war, Sancho, right? And that's what it's going to be for all these teams, especially if you're taking down 2 players and that last solo just levels completely up.
It's not a guarantee anymore. It's not a guarantee. I think Levin said it the best, is you could get clipped easily on the other side. Everyone has the skill, everyone has the mechanics, everyone has that clutch gene to be able to pull out the impossible. And we saw it so many countless times, and what a fitting way to close out this year of FNCS with Grand Royale, the most skilled lobby so far since, I guess, what, the primal season that we have here. So much excitement has already happened, and I cannot wait. We're gonna get some good clips out of this one.
Absolutely. Game 3, sometimes that turning point as well for a lot of teams. That's where they start to go towards their plan B. So we might see a lot of different things off the rip, off spawn. Might see some new contestations. One's going to be the same though, Sancho. Who do you have at this time though? Is it Mustache or Mr. Savage rolling in at Steamy Stacks?
I don't know, man. Malibuka is handing out pumps, like Levin is saying, left and right, like it's flowers. I mean, I want Andretta, Savage, and Benji. I mean, it's just showing you that whoever walks out of that power position, that power POI, will do well. It's just historically has developed many FNCS champions out of it. So if Andretta, Savage, and Benji could just get off the mat, they could get rolling, they could definitely have something here. But it has to start now in Game 3. I mean, yes, you could rely on that day 2 where all the points are doubled, but at the same time, Malibuka could double the points on you, and you become easy from a 2-point to a 4-point. It's Game 3, folks. We're gonna have the ball.
We'll see that fight actually drop off later as the bus starts all the way from the bottom side of the map, but at the same time, lots of different teams will be looking to land and hold on to their lead. We have Hen, Jason Chapmix all the way at that top spot, 80 points. Kefi, PKR, and Melody rolling in just 9 points behind them, and then Michael, Astro, Verox, they started on top at height, and they stay inside that top 3.
The only engagement right now that will be happening early, we'll keep an eye on the feed, is the Misty Meadows one between Analix and Floki's trio. They tend to split. Floki tends to retreat. Well, we'll keep an eye on that as Michael takes a knock on Patrick. That's a Dirty Docs engagement as well. That's kind of happening. So we're seeing all these engagements. So far, Michael's trio is winning Dirty Docs handily.
Be cool to see that fight as we roll in as well. Is this actually active? The drop is so important for this one. Shiza's also already getting rattled from long range. I think that's either a pistol or someone of SMG. Michael taking out Putrick, so they're really going the whole way, the long distance. Savage with the drop. This time finds a weapon first, but once again, they don't have the dodge drop, Sancho.
And not only that, an SMG to start for both of them. Benji and Savage here are gonna have to do a lot of work. It doesn't matter how skilled you are, no shotgun in hand, it puts a lot of doubt in your play.
And Dreda actually ends up controlling the high ground for the power building. They absolutely do. And he actually picks apart Mustache, who runs up and just gets into his stacks. This time, that solo clutch team might be put on pause as Dreda, Benji, and Savage get to play a game.
So what's going to happen to Malibuka's trio is they're going to use the stacks to kind of fly around and look for an angle to maybe double up on somebody. They still have to be on high alert here, and Dreda, Benji, or Savage here could essentially still go down, but this is going to be in their favor. This is what they need to be able to walk away in this engagement.
I think I also just saw Stompy take out Chapmix inside the feed, so something happened all the way over at Craggy, maybe even somewhere else, who knows. At the same time, Benji is gonna give these guys a little bit of a stamp on their exit tickets from the stacks.
Benji, Savage, and Dreda are not gonna let this go. We've seen it before. Last FNCS, they would disengage and these guys will chase them down. It looks like they're gonna possibly disengage. I'm just taking a look. They went to Pristine Point. Okay, normally they go south. And last time they went south, they got kind of sandwiched by Michael's trio. So this time they're going to go ahead and disengage for Steam Point, but you have to watch out because the Elocraft trio has tend to third party into the Steamy Stacks and pick up the scraps. The Malibuka looking like a delicious scrap right now.
Yeah, this is literally, I think I have a Season 8 VOD pulled up from the FNCS. We saw Savage under a ramp. We saw Malibuka and Mustache just chilling inside one of these rundown houses. And Hottie just moving around in between, looking to see what he can do next, maybe even pick up the scraps himself.
Let me plant this seed. I mean, we saw Hottie. They finished second place, the first one, but this is the seed I'm planting, folks. As the tournament goes on, Hottie, Elocraft, in the past with Tripper, they would tend to start pushing in. This is what got them a lot of heat on the social media, right? The people didn't understand that this is the perfect play to make when you're seeing a kind of a drawn out, a 50-50, a slugfest happening in Steamy Stacks. If you're the team that lands at that orchard split, you push in, you take advantage, you get those tags, maybe get an elimination here. So Hottie, ETQ, Elocraft, we're waiting for them to pull that card out of their playbook.
I think they definitely understand that something is slightly off right now. They can't really put their finger on it. The big thing about this house, too, if you're looking at that blue pistol, still has that ammunition drop on its side. The same thing with the AR up top. It's not looted, so at some point, ETQ Hadi Elocrats will end up rolling through that front door. Almost kind of walked in. This is tough. You can just see the last clutch man waiting, watching, and hoping they don't find him.
Hey, listen, I was watching that hype hour announcement. I know Z came out talking about all these different tournaments. I think it's the hide and go seek cup. Is that supposed to happen? Hide and seek cup? Is that what we're seeing a taste of? The new LTM? No, that's not true. Listen, we don't know anything. Casters, we don't know anything. I was just as surprised for all the announcements, but I am so excited for the duos that's going to happen as the Asian FNCS champion goes down. But Malabuka, he's here to fight, Shayo.
I've been looking for this Elam going to be huge to just get a few points in that this team would be strangers to losing off spawn. Another big shot on the Elocrats. Hold up,
Yo.
I realized it just popped off in that last end game. It's not the 9th zone anymore. You can relax. Just go down silently, slowly. Be a normal solo player for once, please. Or do the impossible. You got 4 shots, you got 3 heads, and a green pump. I mean, the odds weren't stacked even anymore against your favor. I'd be surprised, but there it is. ETQ with some fancy little edit play. Keeps it simple, keeps it secured. Alabuka still hot, overheated after that last game.
I don't know. I mean, he would have to go to that primal season, use some animal bones or something to upgrade into some kind of primal weapon we haven't seen, or get a sideways tech that I don't. Someone had to save him. You know what I mean? That was not going to happen. But what's interesting to see, Tayson, Chapix, and Hen are here. They already talked about it on the desk a little bit. Hen missed out on the last FNCS. Hen's one of those big names that everyone loves, is a big fan favorite, and to see him combine with Tayson and Chapix, that's going to be an exciting thing, you know. Tayson going for the 4th FNCS champion, Chapix going for another FNCS trio champion. So that's what we're talking about, the skill of this lobby. There's a lot of FNCS champions roaming around.
Deox also rolling in. Crow and company. I mean, this trio looks so good. Last FNCS, Spaniards overall just kind of not really contesting, you know, Seti Kamitik, but landing beside them in the first game, swapping over to the left side of the map, maintaining the pressure all the way from Believer Beach and making sure nothing's going to stop them whatsoever. They're really a force to be reckoned with.
Just a quick thing, yeah, I agree. They had a great day 1. They finished 10th place last season. They're the kind of team that will pad for height out of nowhere, so they're very dangerous to watch out for.
Look at the danger to watch out for here, though. This is the isolated fight I'm talking about. Look at the mini-map. No one else looking in for it. Lots of room to move around and edit. Noah Riley and Badil can basically just do whatever creative box fight scenario they want out of their minds to pick apart every single player. And they'll be on the hunt. DKS now showed a little bit of his shoes exposed inside all these boxes as he moves around. Look at the mats they forced enemy teams to use. They've used absolutely nothing to catch up the entire time. No one is around to stop their driving force into this fight.
Normally, you would see Hen's trio here. I mean, Chapix and Tayson, they will kind of rotate over. We see it so many times with Janice, and when they had the championship, they will rotate over to Celtic. But you're right, so far, clean fight. It's just a matter of time before Noah Riley, Janice, Fadil convert these into points and more valuable Storm Surge.
Not going to go completely all in from it. And this is kind of like the evolved Noah Riley, Fadil combination rolling in. Usually you see them just completely throw everything for that fight across a couple zones, especially if they know it's a team they can win against. This time, restrained. I think they learned that in season 7 overall, knowing exactly how to take fights and then back off, disengage, and actually play a game out instead of just playing a fight out.
It was day 2. It was like, wait a minute, is it an alien that took over these guys? I mean, they kind of slowed down with Aqua, but as we see some more names that are new to the, not necessarily new to the FNCS. I mean, Kefi has been around forever, it seems, but PKR Melody here, kind of a new trio, seeing what they can do with the new POI that we already talked about. But you can already get a taste of it. If in-game happens here, you cannot break these purple boxes. It goes into, feels like a box fighting type of creative map that we see here. So we saw that happen in last season. We saw the players able to navigate that, but it's a little bit of changes. It's a little bit higher, but of course the Cube Queen watches over all, and very excited to see how it all goes down at the end of the season.
Say those pyramids were built in 20 years, eh? I don't believe it.
I don't want to I don't want to go down that path with you. That
Anyways,
was built instantly with Kevin. Kevin can make things go instantly.
That's
Kevin
true.
and the cubes, they're working together.
Stuff. Yeah. No Riley, Janice, Vidal still looking good up inside this fight. This is one of the cool things about engaging on a team and forcing them to make this really big escape base. You get a lot to just work off from in terms of real estate. All the pressure you put on them, their base basically becomes yours. You're kind of like the landlord of every single box they have put down. You get to just stay above them the entire time, and no one's gonna push you from a certain side because you have like a little pet down there that's kind of paying rent to you at the same time in terms of sorcerer's tags. It's really good to put that early pressure down and then base up above.
If I had to put a finger on the pulse of this game 3, it's a lot different. Usually people are more aggressive. Now you're taking a little bit of more metered approach. Storm Surge being a factor. Everyone trying to focus in.
Yeah, it feels like I'm watching a game 1 entirely, right? There.
Yeah.
We talked about it right before the game started. There should be a few changes from certain teams, but with a 2-day format, with every game really mattering here, right? One game today is kind of worth half a game tomorrow. So
exactly,
if you keep it consistent and just do well over time, you should be on par with tomorrow as well in terms of having an impact. So every team is just trying to stay alive every single game.
Just to add to that as well, tiebreakers always comes down to it.
That's
a lot
true.
of money could move on a victory royale, and it's exciting to see. Of course, the new format change has been introduced for the FNCS duos that's coming up next season. We'll see what happens here. You know, maybe the teams are getting used to trying to work for that. But regardless, right now, I think what's happening is they're still sticking to the plan. The game one plan is still intact. Like I mentioned earlier in the cast, you're going to see the names kind of centralize their positions, trying to use this way. It almost feels like I'm watching NA East a little bit, right? A little bit of the NA East vibe, because normally EU, they box fight their way in. They get a little bit nasty with these rotational fights, but now, take a little bit of page from the NA East boys.
Whatever page Guizy, Thomas, HJ, and Anas are reading from, I need them to pick a different book. I need them to change up the literacy curriculum for their trio, because these guys are failing at surviving that first moving zone, the half and half, and they have so much potential to do well. Cammy said Teak, I guess they need that kind of rocket thruster effect as well, right? Maybe losing a teammate and leveling up as they clutch in the end game. But Sancho, we know this team does really well when they're all alive.
What was their issue in game 2? Storm Surge. We got a taste of them, and they were really below, 7 below, and their positioning on that one circle was they were on the off sides of the mountain. Surprising, considering that they land at that crash site. We kind of talked about the Cammy split. I think a big factor of the Cammy split is that it got upgraded with that crash site. It kind of centralized that Cammy split. Before, it was just too vast. It would go all the way to the farm, all the way down south to the gas station sometimes, all the way to the yellow house. But now that crash site kind of centralizes them and gives them some great sight lines. As we see, actually, Reason gets knocked. It's been kind of quiet for Aqua's trio. They're on the wrong side of the feed, on the right side.
They're literally just waiting till day 2. 6 out of 6
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
15 Elam wins. I'm not even worried about him too much. But let's tune in and see if the big man can clutch himself and make sure his team has a chance to at least play a 1 game today. We're already almost halfway through them. Once again, no other team has really gone down. Aqua's might be the next if he's really pressured to go the whole way forward. This fight obviously starting because they might have had some surge issues overall. Look who's come by though. Benji, Savage, and Dreda. A new flavor for a lot of the teams on this side of the map. They've been used to Malibuka's way of moving and doing things. This time they're like, wait a minute. This Steamy Stacks Fear's not supposed to push this fight. They're supposed to make a base. Savage is like, no, I want to get on those walls. I want to land those pumps.
I was just saying, it's been a while. I feel like Benji wasn't even in this tournament, and now he's here. He's arrived. He's in the feed. He's going to probably close out Aqua here. He was able to res fast Roki, but yep, it's a matter of moments before this trio gets that elimination on Aqua.
See if the body swap was worth it. Is Fast Roki going to be the one to clutch? Does Aqua's revive the wave?
Gonna put a stop on that. That's not gonna happen. I know this is my prediction, but look at the zones pooling. You could only sneak so much, man. You could only be a sneaky snake so much.
We need like mobile reboot vans that you can put in your inventory.
Dude,
spawn down.
Yes. Let's take a look at the replay here. Aqua gets a nice 147 here, just showing the mechanics. Fortnite gets destroyed. That was hot. That was hot.
Every player here we're watching, as soon as they're kind of put against the back of the wall, have really good bursts of damage over and over.
Like a stat boost is like, all of a sudden when you're endangered, it's like they get aggressive stat boosts out of nowhere.
thing is, though, it feels like for all these players too, it ends up expending a lot of energy in the moment, and then after that, you know, the trio that they're facing, it's used to the all-in. They respond. Scram taking down Ari. That's going to be huge for how the game plays out because Ari was hitting a lot of mid-game knocks, at least a little bit of impact as he's moving around. Tayson also going down, so a little bit of a difference for how this endgame might be played. Bandwise finding a few. Bandwise actually lighting up the feed a lot in these first few games. I'm wondering exactly how his team's doing. I want to check real quick, but it's been on the radar a little bit. 28th, actually. Okay, I want to check a little bit later. Chicky is looking to see exactly how he rolls.
The cake's not done yet. It needs a little bit more time.
Yeah. Don't open the door.
Don't open the door. Just turn the light on and just turn it off.
Oh, this is cool, man. Stompy actually getting clapped by Noah Riley this time. So Stompy's just trying to have beef with every single team he could find. I guess their surge is also going to be a little bit rocky because they're switching maybe POIs left and right or kind of changing the flavor of the game. They're doing game 3 how game 3 is supposed to be done, and every trio is now falling underway in soup because from 30 teams you go down to 25. That Storm Surge really rattling people's brains, putting them in check. And Jonah Savage and Benji, though, they got the proper chess moves. They know how to get out of the way, get out of dodge when they're tested.
And Savage's trio, they love to park and then pick at fights on the edge of the storm. They kind of love to be the instigator, like to take advantage of Storm Surge fights, and they kind of pick off people here. As you see, Tayson, Hen, and Chapix moving their way through, trying to get that Cosmic Cube there. The chest, maybe get some nice upgrades, but I think they're looking a lot stronger. I mean, considering that last time we saw them, they were kind of parked for a while. I think this team moves, they work better on the move. Even though they got a Victory Royale, I'm just saying, I think they kind of get better with keeping that keyboard hot, you know?
Yeah, no, they're going to be good. Last time we kind of saw overall they weren't, you know, really moving too much. At the same time on the other side, Janice and O'Reilly Vidil, they're going to be very, very active, yes. Always picking apart fight. This is just beautiful. Once again, another trio they can find completely isolated. If they don't win the fight, what they can do is force them to make this, once again, huge escape base, a disengage, and then just bully them, stay on top, and have at least, I don't know, a point, a compass direction to work off with. That's not completely random. This trio fails sometimes in picking certain points over the base in the zone. They never fail when they're up against another team and control them and kind of make them kind of their home base.
I think this trio wants this fight. They understand they are the better caliber trio, and they're considering that they can walk away with multiple eliminations. As Fesroki, that clutch is done, it's over, as predicted, but still, Noah Riley, Janice, and Vindeal, yes, you're right. The box fighting, they see it, they see someone in trouble, they go attack, and they retreat, as predicted.
Moving towards this side, it's kind of, I think they're basically pushing teams out of their way completely.
Yes.
People on that mountain are probably like, who are these psychos just bullying us edge of storm line? Guys, storm's moving in 20 seconds, so they'll probably go the other way. As a result, we just have so much room to work with.
It's like creating your own dead side. It's like, let me just go ahead and push people here out this way, push them out this way, and before you know it, you got a wedge all to yourself.
I need Thomas HD and Austin Queasy to make an alive side right now in this game, in terms of just their health bars. Because once again, this is danger zone. 4th, 5th zone is where maybe Thomas HD is ending up as a solo player. Anas is trying to make sure the entire team is on his back. Keep them alive. I get it. We're not in the retail zones. We don't have the South Mountains. It's difficult to find a control when you really have to move all the way across the map and away from caddy corner. But this position looks good. The center of everyone, it might not be completely in center circle, but a southern type zone all the way towards the bottom left. They haven't had to move too much. They have a lot to work with in terms of ammunition. And Madsen, a big shot from Thomas HD as well. Now they're looking confident. They look in their element, and they're going to wrap up this fight. What a shot from Thomas HD. Making that burst look like a sniper. That's just crazy.
Much needed engagement here. They were just below the storm surge. Not particularly for this surge, but for the next moving circle storm surge. Great work there from Thomas HD and co.
The difficulty is always just finding a pedestal. If they can't find a rock, a mountain to hop on, they'll choose another trio in their box. Absolutely amazing swing.
Now we're getting down to the moments here, the half in and half out. It's gonna be half in the safe zone, half in the storm here. We've been seeing some strange ones already here in the Grand Royale. Let's take a look at the leaderboard right now. Hen, Tayson, and Chapix are in first place with 80 points, but Keffi, Monica, PKR, Melody in second place with 71.
Yeah, it's not going to be live as well. This is how the game started overall. So, Hen was there. A lot of different teams have gotten a few eliminations left and right? He's still in the business. Stompy out in 7th place, so it looks like as well. As we don't know, O'Reilly have a bit more that should be inside that top 5.
I'm just surprised Kepi's there though. That's the name I would not expect to be there. That's very impressive. And of course, Michael, Astro, and Verix in third place. Dirty Doc's working out for them. That engagement winning off is doing really well, but that third place team's in trouble. Verix here with only 70 HP and below and out. Converted, lobbied quickly.
One spot on the podium up for grabs now inside this game. You can see Janice on that right side looking for it. Kefi, PKR, Melody going to be the ones to be the difference makers as well from the south side of the zone. LIVESTREAM, Hellfire have taken over the skies right now and are still looking active. Usually a team needs a breather once they get a little bit of that high ground control, but no. Flowis is there, gets the siphon as well. That's Andalex going down. They're removing big teams out of the business. 6 squeeze and 4.
Royale. This is a great match here in game 3, considering they are all the way at the bottom of the board in 27th place. But look at how much attention the high ground is getting. It's being shot out, and oh, Toos, were they going for a high ground retake, a late one? Nice defense there from Hellfire.
Might be, I'm not sure, but this is such a different game. Yeah, there's Toos.
Yeah,
he was trying to do something.
Trying to do something.
Some form of desperation. Usually a lot of action's happening in the low ground. That's where people are struggling. In this game, it's all high in the mids that are making these fights happen. Thomas HD picking up Joe Nada, making sure his lair is still also completely clear. Taste and Chatbix also not ready to just take height yet, but inside a completely metal Rubik's Cube of sorts. They're going to be completely mysterious and unsolvable to everyone else around them and have the first strike, a preemptive shot to anything, either zone or players, whatever they choose.
This is a tough rotation. They have to work through a lot of builds and bodies here, and I don't see any kind of mobility in Chatbix. I don't see them setting up a short pad for the moment here. They might have to go on feet. They're just waiting for maybe a community pad for the moment here. It's very sketchy here. This is a very tough rotate.
They've got room though. We know that low ground is slightly a little bit empty right below them. One team finally takes it over though. What will their decision be?
Yeah, Tayson saw that now. He's making his way towards that low ground here. They're going to decide to go on foot here through enemy builds, so they have to be careful here. They're going to work hip to hip. Working on through. Oh, all of a sudden, someone right behind them. Enemy builds are all applying the pressure here. Hen is going to have to go for the layer switch, but Hen is paying the price because the rest of the lobby is now focusing up on them. He has the heals, and now the pop-up here, yes, finds that community pad and saves it grace and flies through the air. Hopefully here, they're going to have to find a way, Shio, to get all back together again because they're separated, and now Chatbix goes down.
Top of the splinter, damage, bruised with no bandages. This is going to be tough for the entire team to roll in with and really have control. Floki's the one to take out Chatbix overall. LIVESTREAM, Hellfire maintain their high ground. Flo is actually going down to make sure he has that reconnection, another kind of vantage point to do some more damage.
Scram does not have a lot of ammo. I don't think this height has enough power, and it's going to go back. And they're not going to have the ability to break through these hard mats.
Don't be distracted though by high ground. On low, looks like Seti Kemi take out Savage and Benji Fishy. Fork as well, who's a crazy in terms of endgame phenomenon, is going to be stopped before that starts. Savage is still alive, just took a little bit of damage, and Thomas and Queasy have also just been trucking through all of their builds, not really taking any damage at all, and still popping off.
I like this mid-ground layer, but you got to watch out there. They don't have a lot of hard mats, and all of a sudden they have to get pushed down to a lower level. I was about to say the mid-ground for a Gnosis trio is perfect for them, but considering now they got pushed down further, it might go right into the arms of Cammy's trio.
Pocket Pepper Stone in the pot. We'll see exactly what Queasy's got as he moves all the way through the low ground. Benji, though, is within Dreda. Will have to operate as a duo. Tayson and Hen in a very similar position. And Os getting stopped by Putrid as he tries to get fast. Teak also put on pause. Cammy, though, trades out Vidil and Seti gets no O'Reilly as well. That's going to be a huge 3-for-1, but that team is still down now. That one final man.
Seti is going to clutch again. Seti is definitely going to clutch and have the ability to get into a top 5 finish. Book it. That's what's going to happen. But now we're focused here on Tayson and Hen. Have to operate as a duo in extremely low materials. A refresh is needed.
In this final zone, 2 Weeping Woods, all the builds, some of the trees earlier on, flanking the entire low and mid ground with shade. Thomas AC trying to shine on a flashlight, and it's bright all the way into Kuriaki's face with that pump. It's not legendary, but that play just might be. That's going to be huge to get him a few more materials and stay inside this game.
Thomas HE took out an FBCS champion. What did you eat this morning, Thomas?
Can't spell clutch without having it be absolutely in high definition, without having Thomas as a part of that equation. He's going to keep moving up against the duo making it look easy in terms of maintaining pressure, but no, that's a big rock shot. A lot of damage. His hand goes down. He switches layers. Thomas looking for anything right now. He has a combination of the harpoon to roll into any box. Solid wood all around. Another one, but doesn't find the pump. Can't hit the beat. Looks for one more too, but there's nothing. A block shot, a ramp of wall. He's gonna have a little bit of a pause moment right now. Tries to find something, but no. A trap from the backside. He goes down. Is Benji back up in the game with Andretta to maybe clutch this out?
Here we go, Benji, it is your time now. You're gonna have to clock in as much as possible. Oh no, the time is done. The power from Flois, Scram, and Hellfire coming from the high ground, collapsing down on the rest of the lobby. It's a top 3 situation, and to be able to get the victory out, and look at the output, double eliminations, make that 11 eliminations. Matzo eliminated. Taken out quickly. Now the moment has calmed down. It's a moment before the storm. It is a 3v3. The defending FNCS champions here. They're going up against, trying to hold on strong here. Moments are happening here. They have the builds. They're looking here for a moment here. They have no heal-off potential. They're going to have to do this with the power of their weapons here. Teak realizes that he cannot be a siphon for anybody for the moment here. Flo is Hellfighter. Now it's a battle between Cammy. Cammy does have the splashes, and Cammy does have the skill. The defending FNCS champions survive and take away game 3. Let's take a look at that replay, Shio.
That was just patience, time, distress for both teams. No one knew exactly who would win. Everyone was not even in the heal-off spot, but it's Cammy who rolls in with that victory royale. Champions from the previous season, some of the most consistent in this Grand Royale that we're watching right now. Game 2 might have been a little bit hairy, but they come just clapping back completely, Sancho. A win for game number 3 on the first day, that'll be huge for the competition overall.
I was sitting there like, I thought Seti was by himself. I mean, all of a sudden, and then, boom, they're all 3 there.
Benji was taken out. I saw so many different things. I swear I saw it too, but they must have hit a revive or something. That was just crazy from every single team.
Yeah.
Levin, Reese, and Zeke, they're here to break it down. Give us some clarity on a little bit of that confusion.
You know, Shy Wager, I'm just as confused as you are. Apparently, these guys have just absolutely reprogrammed the game. They say, look, whatever happens, we're always going to make it in the top 5. There's nothing you can do to stop us. We are inevitable. And once again, they do it, right? Your champions from Chapter 2, Season 8 are back, and they find themselves the Victory Royale. Now, do keep in mind, it's only 9 eliminations. I say only like that's that bad. It's really not, but Flois, Hellfire, and Scram got 11 eliminations in second place. 11, that's also pretty good, too.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, they didn't actually reprogram the game, but they play so well that you'd think that they, designed the way the game works. They were, just a really great team last FNCS. They've been a great team so far today. That was actually first and second from last FNCS going at it in that final moment there, right? So definitely 2 teams who are still in good form. I don't expect to see many more games of Flois' trio on the height, but if they're going to play it like that and actually do well from it, why not? I don't mind.
I mean, that was opportunistic from them, right? They're on the height already at 5th, so they kept it all the way throughout. And, another team that we want to definitely highlight yet again, TOMAS HD in there. The second game out of the 3, popping off as a solo. We saw this in game number 1. Obviously, now full trio still up at this moment, but he just frag after frag after frag. Really, really popping off as a full trio here.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to act like this is a surprise to me now, right? This is just what I expect. The level of play from TOMAS HD is unreal, man. Look at this, taking out Kiriachi. He really is just in scintillating form today, and I really hope that going into tomorrow when the points are doubled for eliminations, he will keep this up so he'll be even more rewarded. I'd like to see more of this team as a trio in those moments where he has the support, because a lot of the time you can see he's sort of just getting overrun in those situations. But you take a look at the standings, finally good to see some of these. I think the big thing is just, can you keep a good level of consistency going into tomorrow when the points are double?
Yeah, and I think what no one probably would have predicted so far with Kefi, Monaco, and obviously Melody up on the top as well, like, they are way ahead. They've been super consistent. They've come out of absolutely nowhere, a 9th, a 4th, and a 7th with tons of eliminations. Like that previous game dropping 12, so huge from them, that second page. Seeing some of the big names that we might not expect. Floki Clement Decittos down in 19th alongside Andalex team in 17th, and also Kiriachi Stormright and Juice down in 20th. A lot of the top teams that you could have put in your top 10, in your top 5 overall, kind of currently sitting in that 10th to 20th.
It's early. It's very early doors, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But look, I've been saying all day long, pressure makes diamonds, pressure bust pipe. You know, sometimes you can't handle the pressure, and very much like a pipe, you'll burst and things will happen. So look, some of these top teams definitely will have better games moving forward, but you know, it's not looking great so far. You want to have a bit of a hotter start than that. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I want to really highlight two teams so far. Hen, obviously, I was going to Hen, Janice, Chapix. It just rolls off the tongue so easily. Hen, Kaysen, and Chapix, who've obviously performed super well. That last game was their worst placing game, and they got 2 elims and placed 8th. So still a top 10 every single match for them so far. And obviously, Cammy Say, Teak with a big victory that we just saw there. Also having a great first game, second game not being the absolutely best because we were struggling with Storm Surge a ton. But overall, like both these two teams, even though they're second and third, are looking really strong so far.
Remember, this is the halfway point of day number 1. Double points coming back in a day number 2, so we'll have to see how all this unfolds. But for now, we're going back on that battle bus. Shy away to Sancho West to your beautiful faces.
From one beautiful face to another, I guess 3-2. I mean, Sancho, I'm not sure where the beauty is in terms of us, but we know where it is inside this game. It's Keffy, PKR, and Melody. They're popping off right now.
And that's what the beauty is of Fortnite is that somebody could come out of nowhere, this open style format. I know Keffy and Monaco and Melody, they've been around forever. Like Keffy's been around forever, but Melody is the first time FNCS, you know, performing really decently well. And I mean, phenomenally well. Excuse me. I mean, 12 eliminations in that previous one, but the thing is, can they hold on to it? We've seen new names pop up to the leaderboard, but again, it's the old guard that will show up and all of a sudden just start racking up those big points. And hey, what was so exciting, that previous match, we had the battle between first and second from last season go down, and the first place champions pulled out that one.
Absolutely. It was fun to see, but at the same time, those first place champions getting a little bit rocky in terms of, you know, consistency overall. Looks like they have a few more swings attached to their gameplay so far. A third place, a 22nd, and then a first, kind of checkered on the board in terms of placements.
And right now we're seeing a Rocky versus Drago type battle that's happening between Andretta and Malabuka. And so far it has been Malabuka's way. And let's see, Andretta was able to survive. Let's see if they'll be able to do it again. And they paid off. They racked up as much points as possible. At least be able to put 36.
See what happens this time. No one actually going for the up top control. Andretta and Benji Fisher actually doubling up on side of Malabuka, but he's got a really good close range loadout. I don't have HP to trade though, so he does have to back off and make sure he gets recuperated. Teammates will also be active this entire time. He's been soaking in all the pressure as this been going down, and while the fight happens and he takes a lot of damage, Verstash shies, so they get all their HP totals all the way up to the sky. Savage has position now though. Verstash in a little bit of trouble. If he doesn't see this coming, this would be a huge surprise through the fence, through a chain link that should just not even be possible in terms of a shot. Savage finds it and opens up the entire fight into their favor.
It's gonna definitely even out here, but it's one of those things. If you go into the stacks, if a trio sees you go up there, they understand you're retreating, you're disengaging, you didn't get the drop that you wanted, you don't have the weapons, you're trying to survive as much as possible. Now Malabuka is gonna have to blow off some steam here and leave steamy stacks. Shizo and Malabuka, and Shizo we saw is gonna be hunted down shortly here, but what a great response from Andretta, Savage, and Benji here to show that it's not going to be easy. But last time, Malabuka, they did well last season in this kind of fight, and Benji's trio was so far on the bottom of the board, so it might change here as you see Shizo on his last moments here in this game.
They'll just get ready to melt over time. I want to see exactly what's happening at Dirty Docks. Sway's also picking up Blacha. This is not going to be as important right now. There's no way there's going to be a 1v3 win overall. On the side of Shizo, we know he's going to get taken out. As I say that, I see Malabuka's HP bar full, so it's not a complete 1v3, but if he's hiding like this, if there's a loss of control of this caliber, it doesn't matter too much. We know that Benji, Savage, and Jetta will stay ahead. Voon also going on a ghost list. That's going to be huge in terms of who controls the entire mid portion of the map. It would be really cool to see that. The point threshold as well. I want to make sure teams are getting into 24th place, and I believe 17th, and then the top 10 to VR. Will be cool to see. On the first day, at least, it's a total of 30. The second day, 60 points up for grabs. It's going to be huge. Here's Dirty Docks. There's Malabuka.
I was going to say
following this trio still.
I was going to say this here. Michael, Astor, and Verox, they tend to peek into this Dirty Docks, from Dirty Docks to Steamy Stacks engagement, and they're going to be at least a benefactor of Malabuka's disengage here, but they've been playing multiple times here, this position here, but I have to say I'm impressed by Michael, Astro, and Verox, they've been cleaning up the Lucias really well, or at least disengaging, understanding there. And the introduction of that crash site up there in Dirty Docks has led to at least decent split. You don't have to fight as much as Dirty Docks anymore. There's not a big push for that warehouse, but there has been no changes into Steamy Stacks except a little bit of destruction here into the main building through some crash landings. But so far, Savage, Benji, and Dreda have to be happy with their performance, considering that they had a couple of duds right off the outset.
Imagine if either team just had the spot completely uncontested. That would just be in absolute insane. So,
well, yeah, I mean, we saw already that they were able to get a second place. I know Refsguard was alongside that trio versus Benji, but you're seeing the output there, the power, and countless times in Cash Cups, whoever walks out of Steamy is looking really solid. And, you know, I'm just, you want them to see it, but at least it gives us something really exciting to talk about in the early game, right? There's something there for us. It's a little nice appetizer for the main course.
See Keffi's mode of attack as well. He's landing around the pyramid before when this was just the convergence. It was kind of risky to land around because people could instantly drop in from Bony Burbs, if that's Aqua Reason Fast Roki, or even Horny, because you know sometimes that POI is a little bit overrun and you see the entire three-way battle break down. The way the lands change and now the pyramid walls are kind of up, or I guess the vertices are they called on the sides. Yep. Either way, because there's a little bit more of a distraction here overall, more room to work around. Third parties are not as easily attainable. That just lets Keffi, Melody, and PKR have a nice off-spawn drop. A lot of loot as well. There's so many floor spawns and chests available. And then, you know, Deceptos, Loki, and Clement, they come from Misty Meadows fast. They move through many teams, and there's so many fights around. There's a little bit of a bubble for Keffi Melody to be able to survive, and that's why they're in first place right now. They work that bubble, get towards the end games. You're saying you're very familiar with Keffi, right, Sancho? This man is a mid-game master. He's so good at maintaining pressure and dictating who moves where. He's one of the players that stopped some of the biggest teams from winning FNCSs with a few key picks on the earlier days. So it'll be huge to see how they hold on to this lead.
And one thing you got to point out, I mean, that's why I picked the Aqua's trio. I thought to be in center at Boney would definitely help them out. As Savage finally finds Shizo, that engagement has been wiped. So now it is basically tied here for that 2-2.
Look at that Tayson as well. Also kind of, you know, in their own bubble all the way up at Craggy, although one time Stompy kind of rolled in and tried to burst it. I'm not sure what was going on there, but
yeah,
Tayson wrapped him over quick.
I wonder what would happen by that. I mean, I definitely have to take a look at how that, usually that trio, I'm just trying to take a look here. It's like, where do they land to be able to take that engagement? Stompy is known to land between the bridge all the way up to Craggy, but I guess they may have landed on that spire and took shots into Craggy. Again, we're playing detective mode, my favorite thing to do. Let's go ahead and kind of conceptualize what went down, but let's take a look at the replay, what happened here to Shizo's last moments here in game 4.
Bop, bop.
So, bop, bop, all about those angles, man. You think all of a sudden maybe your toe sticks out and out you go, but what does stick out is the whole entire lobby was put on notice because the defending FNCS champions got themselves a victory royale.
That's going to be huge. Jumped all the way up. They're used to being like 4th, 5th place overall right now. They slowly rise as everyone starts to struggle.
Oh, wait a minute.
Where that struggle starts. Yeah, somewhere southern side of the map. It'll be the Spaniards ready to just make things crazy for every other team trying to rotate inside into the safe zone. The Ox is going to be looking at every single angle and only really put down some brick and wood. It's going to be pretty easy to break for these guys rolling in. Ari, though, up top. You've seen that little bit of switch of angles. So when you look at kind of the way Ari's operating, this trio is the one that's really giving people around Holly, around even sometimes Believer Beach, a little bit of a struggle moving into the mid game. Now they're up, they're active, Peppers instantly popped. They're just repeating exactly what they did before.
And you're taking a look at your mini map on the bottom right here. It's going to be a clean engagement. They're not too far away from the safe zone, so they're going to take the time here. But it was Crow's trio that caused a havoc last season, so it's not really easy out for these Ari's Co to take out these Spaniards. And Toos, he wants a piece. He wants a little bit of peace from a distance, and that's going to be Kirachi Toos's coming from Slurpee Sledge.
Close up our scram. Really good at just, I don't know, getting close and personal with fights and then kind of disengaging entirely. A lot of the times you'll see, you know, Elocas, Hottie, ETQ, when they roll in, even when they were playing with Chirpin back in the day, it was all about getting into fights, definitely, but from medium to long ranges and getting really sticky with it, staying for a while and moving out. when I see, you know, Flowis rolling in, sometimes they get box to box entirely, still find a way to leave unscathed. And we keep talking about Deceptos contesting over at Misty. That's not really happening at all. They're landing slightly towards the north on the islands and then instantly moving out. They can leave before Andalex. They can leave before any southern team and act like they kind of landed in the middle of the map. It's not true. They're kind of frauds in that aspect, but at the same time, they have the loot to be able to keep up and play both roles. The south side team and someone that kind of has control of the middle of the zone.
Yeah, Deceptos does not want any piece of Scram's trio. If they did, they would have gone into Lazy Lake. We all know those engagements into Lazy Lake can last a while. They usually get third party by Resale Row, but that's not happening here. And I agree with you what you talked about, Hottie, Elo, Crass, and ETQ. They're just the kind of the ones, they just stick around, they hang around. I mean, they had a high finish in the previous couple of FNCSs ago. And we saw their kind of emergence, which is really cool because we were watching them and remember those kind of battles they had in the qualifiers alongside with Tripper, but they were like, oh, okay, they fought Tayson's trio at that time multiple times. Like, wait a minute, this trio's serious. This trio's for real. We're seeing it being for real and alive in action right in front of our eyes.
Big thing too, if you're tuning in right now and you haven't been able to catch a few of the earlier games, just the context here in game number 4 for EU on the first day. Any team around the 50 to the high 40s, even close to 60 like Flowis right now in this threshold really has the maximum potential to change their fate on the boards, change their spot if they have a good game. These guys are all kind of tied 5 points between like almost 15 teams. Every single elim they get, every move they make in terms of surviving longer will really push them forward inside the top 10, the top 5. Everyone here wants to stop being so homogenous overall, the same as everyone else around them, and wants to just break free, be unique, get a few more points, and get into that top 5.
We saw a taste of the mini-map. This is going to be a centralized zone. So the Keffi's trio, who's been walking around the pyramid, going to have a great chance to be able to put another performance to be able to push their first place lead. At the same time, Aqua's trio, they could definitely sneak up as well.
Remember too, on that second day, it is going to be double points. So even if some of these teams are struggling, they basically have 12 games worth of points tomorrow to play in 6. It'll get super crazy. Fury Link, default as well, going to be rolling in right now inside this fight, and oh my god, Link is taking a little bit of supreme maximum damage. Has to back off. 1 HP, has a chance to, because it's not an off spawn fight anymore. He's got boxes to work around with, but man, he's got to recuperate.
You may be asking, why is this gas station has so much activity? It is a hot spot for Storm Surge tags. If you could get here early and perch on top of it, look how much traffic is going down. But unfortunately, it ended up being a box fight. So that's why we're seeing this engagement here, folks.
The last time we saw 31 teams kind of alive in the previous game, in the matter of about 1 minute, it dropped down to 25. So 6 teams will go down for Surge. It'll have to go all the way down to 70 players. 2 people just get rebooted. We go from 91 to 93 players. It's gonna get so insane for every team on the map, and everyone wants to stay ahead of this damage. 200 above for Fury. Every shot he takes might even put him lower if it's a team that's under him getting that damage done. This is gonna be so tricky. You wanna make sure you do not get any mistakes happening, any free damage done to your team.
And we're seeing the skill of the lobby. That is why so many trios are still on their feet. Normally Storm Surge would be closer here, but yeah, you nailed it there, Shiloh. There's so many people that have to go down here, so it'd be interesting to see who is behind that A-fall Storm Surge. As you see Jose wrapping up somebody, and Kylie eliminates Benji. So even though they walk out of Malbuka's world, they run into the arms of somebody else here. So unfortunate start there. Maybe they could reboot Benji and bring him back into game 4.
What do we call, like, Mimi Max instead of Steamy Stacks from Malabuka Mustache and Shiza?
Oh, someone on social media put out, who owns Steamy Stacks in EU? And someone replied, nobody. And I was like, wait a minute. Malabuka owns Steamy.
Does he though? Does he? Because they qual second a lot of the time. Savage, Benji ended up rolling in there first. At the same time, does that even matter? Isn't that pretty trivial? At the same time, are any of them even doing well out of it overall? None of them are, you know, super winning.
I mean, I think what it comes down to is a game of matchups, right? So right now, it's just Malabuka matches up really well against Intredas. No matter who they throw at them, they match up really well. So yeah, Benji may be a better player who goes mechanically, but it's just about matchups. And now we're seeing a team that is definitely maximizing their matchups here, but still, 111 below. I don't think they've been in this position before. And this is what happens when sometimes the safe zone is in your backyard.
We haven't even gotten to watch this part just yet of how this team is playing. Who are they? Why? Where? When? What do they end up doing when they're in trouble? what is the first place perspective look like right now? Big Era Cafe, I mean, we'll have it for a little bit, but at the same time, I think it might be gone in a second, Sancho. They have to be diving into their heels so fast to be able to stay alive. 48 below, and they can't find that final tag to stay in the game.
It just shows you they're not really uncomfortable. They go for the barrel stuff in first place now. It's in a huge world of hurt. Monaco goes down, and they are frozen in time. This is the worst finish they've had here in the Grand Royale. And they run into the buzzsaw of Noah Riley, Vidil, and Janice. And they got to be pretty good at taking out the first place team.
Maybe that first place team tripped up because I'm just trying to think. It was maybe a southern zone. I know it's a very trivial thing to look at. I'm looking at differences between the games. Off spawn might be a complete difference for a lot of teams. The rotations might be slightly different as well.
There it is. You said it. There are rotations. You have a rotation that even goes central to the south. That's why it got, you know, Vidil's trio had to roll into there. They didn't have to go south. They usually like to go dead side Vidil's trio. But this time, since it's center, they went ahead, they white lined it, and this ran over Kefi's trios here. So that's what's going to be talking about. It's 12 games, man. 12 games to be able to hold on to. And that's what made Seti, Cammy, Teaks pop off last season so special.
Absolutely. We'll tune in to Link's whole special as well in terms of getting all the damage done for this team. Look at the sneaky shots that even to us remained a mystery as we were watching them over and over again. Every edit almost 100 damage, and that's really how this team ended up staying alive. The reaction to, I mean, sometimes saving your team from Surge is equal to even getting a VR in terms of a feeling, right? To make sure everyone is surviving, being the hero in that in that moment is like equivalent to winning an entire game.
Here we go. Tayson, Hen, and Chapix have already got a victory royale. Almost got clipped. I like their position right now. They're kind of slowly inching their way forward. Normally, like I mentioned, they go to the center, but it looks like they got tripped up along the way here. They have to be careful because Michael Verox, they could get those beams in and sneak them in. And at the same time, dipping into the metal builds. Very valuable considering you're not going to be able to get resources anymore unless you get elimination.
All about the refresh here. And once again, we're down to 25. Same old, same old. Some teams moving in from the zone. And once again, it might not be Weeping Woods. We have a river kind of cutting apart two different forms of land. Astro Michael down. Clement also does not survive Surge. Tayson takes a little bit of damage. He's not get focused for now, but it'll just be a temporary distraction for the rest of the zone.
They're expanding the metal base as much as possible. So way to hide, they're going to try to expand out and then dip back into a building fully formed box. So that's what's happening here. But as you mentioned, that's going to hurt them when they rotate in further to zones 5 and further here. But right now, not in a world of hurts. Cammy, Seti, and Teak, which that's, you saw, you had a front row seat how they were able to put back-to-back high performance games.
And why are we also watching Cammy, Seti, and Teak right now? Why were we tuning in with Tayson, Chapix, 10 and their position? Is because these are the second and third place teams with Kefi, PKR, Melody kind of out of the business right now. These guys will be rolling in and showing us what it's like to take control of a game, maintain the first place spot. How far can you really push yourself forward? I know they're both based off of consistency right now, right, Sancho? But this is where they really need to pop off, get a huge swing. It might even cost them the next game, but it'll get them first place for now.
That's what's at stake. For stay 2, you have a pop-off bonus. Be pop-off capitalized with the underline. As Tayson, Hen, and Chapix were able to stabilize, and they're rotating through here. Got a couple of trios to work through. Got 2 trios looking at them. They're gonna dip into the shields. They're in shambles. I know they're not like shambles now, but there will be eventually. You're seeing the debt that's being accrued, and you're just like, my guy, you're running out of credit here.
Usually they're kind of in this position, or most teams are inside the 5th, 6th zone, kind of 1 ahead, 2 ahead of where they are right now in terms of investment. You're right. Whoever gave them this loan or suggested to do this, maybe some bad advice financially, but sometimes you're forced to do things to get into certain spots. They have a good pedestal right now. If they pull zone, it'll be worth everything.
It will be, but they won't be able to defend it. They don't have the materials to kind of build up or do anything with it. So, yeah, you may be blessed with zone here, but it may be like, I'm not ready for it. You know what I mean? Don't give it to me now. I'm not ready for this hot potato.
Hey, who is ready to get hot right now is Sunny Cammy Teague. They're picking up some of these end to mid game eliminations. Still, Cammy's there getting a few. And while that happens, Savage is also picking up a few of his own as well. Meanwhile, Anas, Thomas, Squeezy, we're talking about the 60, 70 point threshold. Check out the people that can make a difference. They got to play the catch-up games. 30 points behind right now, that first place slot. They really need to go all in and make sure this is a game they all live and convert into points.
And we saw the taste of their rotation there. We saw them last time in a previous game go down. They had to use a short pad here, and it was not enough, and they went down early here. As Hen, Tayson, and Chapix here are going to try to third party sneak in. You saw the green light. That green light turned to red quickly, and they slammed on the brakes, so they did not want a piece.
Looks like the entire engine just stalled there for a moment. No chance as that zone pulls in as well. They know exactly what their goal is, where they need to be.
It's going to be a good pad here. This should get them at least no sight line. No, yeah, there we go. Got to get it to the top of this little bump here. Nicely done. Oh, you got to get up. This is a bad place to be. You got to get up here quickly before the rest of the lobby catches up to you.
Still going to be low. I'm going to be praying maybe that next zone, the 6-1 pulls a little bit towards them. A lot of their shields are going to be invested. I think all of them actually up inside this position. At the same time, look at the angle they have. An entire spray onto a mid to low ground box. It'll be very hard to edit out from over there. And Cammy said Teak will be able to assist as well. We're going to be seeing Genesis team, or Taste's team on the right side, excuse me, and then Cammy on the top just helping with support the entire time.
You know that meme that's popular where it plays that chaotic music and then it plays the classical music? That's what we're seeing. We saw a taste of it. Tason's like chaos music everywhere, and then we have these cool, chill vibes up here in the sky with Cammy City and Teak, who might have a performance here for Game 4.
They actually get to get a little bit of the refreshes from the eliminations they had in the last zone, because they have so much invested inside this tarp, and then Seti still has so many mats still ready to go in terms of tarps in the big base. Savage is going to be right below them. Taste is going to be all the way on the low ground. It might be a max pull for the height team. For Taste and Hen and Chapik is going to be very close by to where they need to go.
I think Seti pulled zone. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. The 6th zone is, you see, Tayson, Hen, and Chapix did not pull here. They're going to use the Chili Chugs, which was introduced just a couple of seasons ago. Last season essentially is, or this season, sorry, and it's like a pepper effect to be able to chug splash their way through.
All right, might just go for the Chili Splash and Dash. That's exactly what Queasy's trying to do.
Ooh, I like that.
A big connection. And this is what I'm talking about. Haven't seen it happen just yet, but a high ground position for Thomas, Anas, and Queasy. We just saw them in a mini base all the way down on low, but for some reason, every time they have height, it gets so tricky. It gets so finicky. Every single person wants to go and try to grab it. They have to deny as they also try to fly off of a launch pad. Meanwhile, Tayson and Chapix, they way down below.
Thomas, HC, and Flicker no doubt are having flashbacks of holding on to height and all of a sudden getting taken away from them as Chapix gets a knock on Benji. But you look at it, that mad dash that you were talking about is happening. Already a new team most likely is holding on to height. And Tayson and Chapix, I like this position on the low ground near the front, but they got to be careful because Cammy City and Teak, who are on the high ground, may have made their way to the low.
All about making space and looking for control. Meanwhile, for Thomas HD, it's all about dropping down pressure and making sure no one is confident enough to challenge the people, the high ground rulers of this end game. This being a mid-ground zone as well with the river. There's so many open sight lines for height to maintain control, play every angle. Tayson, meanwhile, is kind of at home, but it looks like a little bit of a war inside the living room. He has to make sure he breaks through every single box. 10 HP inside the zone, and he's not fast enough to catch up. The door kind of closes right on his feet right there. Hendo will move all the way around from the other side. Chapik's got dinner to go with Benji before, but now has to go for a reorder here inside this next box. Oh no! Acid reflux as big shots go all the way from the top side down to his head. He has to mini up again, and now it's just him and Hen. 2v3, 2v against the world as Tayson's finally knocked up. They go straight inside a box and find that big refresh. Hen takes out Flois, and he's still keeping things alive.
This is a previous trio now working as a duo. Previous Alpha CS champions working really well. They've been in this position before, but Noah Riley, oh my goodness, you have so many eliminations in the feed as Matzo picks up Hen. So it's now up to Chapix here with only 62 health to work with here. It's not going to be easy. No mats. Will we watch another clutch as Queasy takes out Seti? So that trio's a little bit low, but now Chapix here is going to have to use hardcore, parkour, jumping off of cones, working up of bills, looking for a knock and helpfully getting that siphon and refresh. He dipped into the right time. Yes, did he get it? Yes, he did. Kylie gets knocked, but he's unable to get any more materials, Shio, just the siphon materials.
How is he alive? Absolutely no build.
Oh, now
for
get
the
him. Go
last
get him.
60 seconds. And he finds another. Gets that refresh, but it's another player that was bare bones and dry, down to 2 HP again.
The med
Similar
kit.
mistakes as
The med
before.
kit.
He has the bounce back. He's not going to be able to find it just yet, though. Has to go for another big siphon. It's solos all around.
He needs that med kit.
Playing all the way back into a chapter 1 type style.
Oh,
Another 80
oh.
shot. A wall blocked off.
Oh,
Another
no.
trigger to run into. There's too much to handle. He goes down. Queasy and us, Thomas HD all the way on height. They still have a control, a lock on this game. Do not count out Savage, Benji, and Dredda, though. They elevate off the stacks, fly all the way up to the sky, stay on low ground, though, as they finish out this game and take apart teams in front and around them.
Savage, with not any builds as well here, is going to work with his old mate, Benji Fishy. Benji goes down. Now it's up to Mr. Savage here. He's going to go for the edit down. No mats still. No mats and out of this fight.
And now you can see control, dominance, finally have its light of day. It's Anas with a big spray and a win, a well-deserved one as well. They stopped, they've waited, and then they've caught up towards that top 3. 140 points after that victory royale. Thomas HD, Queasy, and Anas are finally awake inside the Grand Royale.
When we first saw them, they had 0 eliminations when they took the high ground, and now they got it, and they got 6 eliminations here. Good win to start off here at Game 4, but we just have 2 more games left, and I feel like we had so much kind of action going for it, and all preparation for that day too.
I feel like there's an absence of fear as well in EU from every single player. On height, it looks calm and collected. On low ground, it just looks lethal for every player in a solo, Sancho. They start looking like, you know, squads themselves as single players. It's insane.
I wonder, you know, people love to mimic greatness, right? So KamiSay, they went on the low ground. We haven't seen a lot of high retakes constantly happening over and over again. There's the pad and everything, but it hasn't been happening. Maybe we're not seeing it, but from my understanding, it just looks like the high ground just been holding on to height all the way from zone 4 all the way to close.
Absolutely. We'll see what Zeke, Levin, and Reese have to say about height and low for this test segment.
High and low are my emotions right now on this roller coaster that is the FNCS Grand Royale. Levin, don't look at me. Don't give me that look, buddy. My goodness, what an incredible game. And what I like out of this, we'll talk about these 2 winning teams in just a moment. Benji Fishy and Dredda and Mr. Savage, they finally make it into your 3rd place. So this team has come online. Of course, it's after Malibuka goes down early, right, Levin? They get some breathing room. They say, okay, we can place top 3. That's fine.
Yeah, well, look, they've had 2 games where they've actually had a chance from Steamy. Both of those games, 4th place, 3rd place, a couple eliminations there. This is why we say, by the way, if they're not contested, they could probably win FNCS. We're not just fanboys, right? Like, they actually are really good. Look, there's plenty to talk about from that game, right? Where you have your 1st place team going into the game, going down in shambles. That's the makings of an exciting game, right? Because you have all these teams now who are below them, Reese, who are all fighting to get 1st place.
Yeah, exactly. We saw Melodi's team right here with PKR and Kepi doing so good in the first 2 games, the 9th, the 4th, and the 7th, all with a ton of eliminations. But this game right here, going down in 29th with 0 eliminations, a 0-point match on them, is by far the worst they've had so far. They started so well, and I'm slightly concerned that this now might be a downwards turn for them.
Yeah, they're not a trio that strikes me as one as having the experience of some of the competitors they have, right? They've not necessarily been in these types of games, and so when there's a change in game state where, you know, they're sitting above everybody else and they have to hold on to that lead, that becomes a challenge for them. But, you know, I'll be rooting for them, right? You always like to see the newcomers trying to get involved. I think the big thing with that game, right, is finally seeing Queasy, Thomas, and Anas come through. Of course, Chapix as well. Again, more solo clutches. Again, more people popping off as solos. Once again, this is why I said when Chapix is in the lobby, it's like, you know, there's 3 extra players, right? Because he hits shots like these and you just think to yourself, wow, like you are really someone that's been doing this for a long time and you've not slowed down.
Absolutely. Chapix is one of the most, I was going to say underrated, that's not the right word, everyone rates him, but he's just one of the most least talked about players for the accolades that he has. Obviously the FNCS championship, the domination that his teams have had previously across seasons, obviously in particular season 5 and 4, they were absolutely incredible. And the dynamics between him and Hen are so good. Historically, going all the way back to over a year now, splitting up last season didn't seem to be worth it. Now that they're back together, 143 points after game number 4. This is looking really good for them.
Well, it's funny you talk about the dynamics between them 2. As much as it seems to work, I think their personalities, they're both big personalities. We'll call it that,
that's
right?
A way to put it. Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't work, right? Sometimes it's like water and oil and it doesn't mix well. But in other cases, you know, like today so far, it does, and you get first places from them. Looking forward to seeing that. Look, and Benji and Mr. Savage, I know 11th place doesn't maybe look good, but considering they basically have 2 games, right? Like, two games went down off spawn, of course, no points out of those, but the 2 games where they've actually had the chance to play games out, 4th and 3rd is not bad. Good amount of eliminations as well. Like, this is one of the best teams in the lobby, genuinely.
And I'm sure people out there making a little counter that are going, oh, it's 2-2 now to Benji Fishy going against Malabuka off spawn. I mean, I wouldn't be doing that. I've not got it written down on the paper here by any means. But I think you also got to note that right now in the previous season, right, or this season in the actual FNCS that we saw earlier, we've also seen way more success from Malabuka when they came off of spawn. So right now, we're seeing way more success from Benji Fishy's team when they're managing to be successful out of that spawn. Like you said, the top 3s in 2 of those games. Really, really good. So interesting to see how that plays out across the next 2 days.
So why do you think that is, Reese?
It's interesting because they're doing good. They're coming back, man. They came 23rd. They came 23rd last. They're feeling it.
Just say it. They're the better team. It's just the contestant.
I don't know.
It doesn't work out for them. They are the better team.
I think if they're on con, they would be.
Yeah, they're the better team. Give them a chance to spawn and watch what they'll do. They'll go win games.
Why don't we keep this going with Sancho S and Charwager thoughts? Are they the better team, or what do you think?
Look, over here on the casting desk, Zeke, we're a team, right? There's no contestation off this job. It seems like there's a little bit of contestation from the analyst desk on some takes in terms of who's better and whatnot. Where do you land on this, Sancho? Maybe we're not on the same team in terms of who you think is better overall, at least in this competition.
Oh, I don't know, man. I always let the leaderboard speak for itself, right? At the end of the day, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, if I had to pick, I'm on Team Zeke all the way.
Okay, I'm down. I'm down for Zeke and Miss Prime for your time. 100%.
Let's go.
We'll see if we can lock it in. But right now, it's time for game number 5 of the Grand Royale. We'll see exactly how these teams are adapting, who actually ends up 3-2 off spawn to Steamy Stacks, and what is the situation at Dirty Docks as well, because we see an off spawn fight there 24/7. Our victors before this game, Caffey, BKR, and Melody overall dropped from 1st all the way to 5th place after missing out a game. Those are the stakes, Sancho. If you're in 1st place right now, you're gonna want to be hungry and stay active, eating as the games go on. You miss one meal, you are outside of that big money potential. You're outside of having a pedestal onto day number 2. That is huge. You want to stay consistent, and right now Hen, Tayson, and Chapix have that 1st place spot.
Yeah, and they have that spot handily at the moment here, but that spot's not going to be guaranteed, and Malabuka gets knocked by Savage. So that 2-2 already starting off with a blow against Malabuka, and I've already said, Savage and Dread Benji do really well when they get the 1st knock.
Almost out of the first 2. Shaz was almost down. Yeah, this he's not going to make that much of a difference, my friend. He had to land a huge shot right now, and he's going to actually get...
Yo, let the man hit his minis, bro. Let the man hit his minis.
53 HP total. Mustache, no idea what he's doing, but probably molding at this point.
Hey, there you go.
Okay.
Let the man
evening out the skills. It's still 3v2 though. And it's going to be 3-2 in just mere moments. A few players also gone down in other fights around the map. It's going to be tough.
I understand.
Kind of flying away.
Listen, I understand a few players are going down everywhere, but this is right here. This is the marquee. This is the main attraction for the early game. This is what everyone has on notice. And I've seen this engagement before, but remember what happened last time, just last game, Shio? Who was there waiting to greet them with open arms? Michael's trio waiting to get those lobby points here as you see the disengage happen, and the fireworks happen real fast, and just like that, it's over. Everyone leave. All right, go home. Put away your phones. Stop recording. It's over.
No encore. No encore at all.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Scram.
No concert for Hen, Tayson, and Chapix. There is no opening performance for these guys at all, really, except for that one game that I keep mentioning with Stompy that kind of rolled by.
I was going to say that.
We're still confused as to like what the heck happened.
Perplex, my guy. It has to be from the Guardian. That's the only sight line that I could see that you could kind of shoot your way through. I mean, we've seen it with Kemi said he could be able to do that. And this is, you want it. You wanted to taste the Dirty Docks contest. Here it is.
Yeah, this one is a little bit more long and drawn out. For Steamy Stacks, I feel like it's a little bit more sophisticated. There's like a definite ring you can look at, and you can track the octagon of the fight and know exactly what spot is good, what is bad. People are fair, blow for blow. You'll see a disengage. At Dirty Docks, it's dirty. It's a straight fight. Everyone's just going down, getting whatever they can. If it's a 2v3, pinching it absolutely, completely, throwing your life on the line. You can see Future going for it right now. It's not going to happen. And this fight starts inside Dirty sometimes, goes all the way to the shores, past the crash site. It gets crazy.
I got the word. It's no holds bar. That's what it is right there.
Absolutely.
No holds bar, no DQ, no referee. There's run-ins. There's madness that's happening here. But so far, this team has been splitting a little bit here. Lucia, you got some points here. I mean, it's not as drastic or it's not as black and white as the engagement out there in Steamy Stack. So if you're Lucia's trio, you got to be pretty good. And no doubt is this crash site. You see the slipstream right there. Be able to disengage. Be able to get out.
Usually a team that gets to bully them 24/7. We saw Steady Teak with a lot of early game elims, sometimes all three off of just beaming Dirty Dogs last season. But when it's contested, it's kind of harder to confirm those eliminations. When it's uncontested, you see sometimes Steady Teak propping up on the mountain, going for a few tags, and then all inning Dirty Dogs, sometimes having 3 POIs of loot to work with.
Now you're seeing the leaderboard going into this match here. Hen, Tayson, Chapix here, 143. And you're seeing the rest of the board here. Save It, who's been having a great game, very quiet in that Kiriachi spot. You know what I mean? That, wait a minute, they're doing really well. If they could kind of have this performance in day 2, no doubt they'd be up on the board. Of course, you see the top 10 coming up by Flo as his trio. But that's where I'm like, what's going to happen? That's what excited me the most about Grand Royale, that double the points. It's not like big bonus. It's not all about elims. We all remember that clip there of Nick Merckx and Aiden popping off, but that was all elims base. Everything is doubled, placement, and it lasts the entire match all the way up to that 60-point victory royale.
At the same time, it might end up having a few of those big bonus vibes carry over.
You think so?
Just because like teams that never usually go for elims being enticed by, you know, having 4-point swings and stuff, needing to catch up. A lot of the times in this 2-day format, when you're like in 20th, 30th place, you know, when you're down bad in terms of, hey, you know, the prize pool's not going to be that different as well. If we get a little bit more, let's not try as hard. People are going to be at maximum 100% at all times. Look at the prize pool difference too, right? This is thousands of dollars the way that Grand Royale set up. It is like life-changing money in differentials. So every team's going to be pushing for it. The double points are going to entice them to keep going. They're going to be online for all games. You've seen it sometimes, game 5, 6.
Yes.
Right? Some of those lower place teams get a little bit trolly with it. They go all in off spawn. They're not as reserved. But I feel like tomorrow, no matter what, every elim will matter till that last game. And people will really push to just get as many points as possible.
You're seeing the pushes that Vidil's doing, using the car. I like to call it ride and spray.
Okay.
Ride and spray, you know. We've been seeing that plan work out for a lot of trios ever since the vehicles got introduced. You just go ahead and just spray at multiple builds and towers. This is another taste. I'm happy that we get to see Save It, Matzo Amplify. Of course, Matzo Amplify way back in Season 5 with Benji, of course, trying to restake their claim. They've been working with their Heart, Fine, and ADNs, their old school trios. Now they're picking up Save It, who's I like to call him the Reboot King. You know, he's won one. I feel like when you win one, you automatically get placed that tag of Reboot King. So Save It right now. Matzo Amplify doing pretty decent considering they come out of Coral. And you're taking a look at the mini-map. They got a clean rotation in just by using the rivers and the lakes that they're used to.
Power Save It as well. Recent signing. OCE dipping into EU.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it's about drive. I'm not going to do it.
Not yet, at least.
I stay humble.
We're until day 2.
No, day 2. That is when it's really going to happen here. I agree.
Force being taken out by Jose, it looks like. And yeah, the entire trio just rocks in. Bat Sniper again, getting lobby focused when there is no chance for a lobby focus, so to speak. It just feels like they're always over pressured.
Oh, I've been there. I've been there before in a tournament where you feel like every time you get eliminated quickly, and it's from different people. I don't understand. Is it the outfit that I'm wearing? It's a bad place to be, and Bad Sniper is no doubt feeling that. But now we're getting into, if this where the zone is, based on where the players are playing, Shayo, I don't like this type of plays. I've been seeing it all the time where you kind of sit up in these towers, these satellite towers, and this is where you have to hope you hit your shots. I know the semi-auto sniper from Scram's hands could do some things, but oftentimes these trios, unless Storm pushes up here, they're in trouble when it pulls off the mountain. So that's what I'm worried about. I think those trios have to hit their shots unless, of course, Storm Church is going to show up. But every time I see that beat, I'm like, I'm not going to dance to it. I'm not going to dance to it.
Hey, you get forced to once that second zone closes in. Yeah, right now in first, it might not be the biggest thing, but a lot of the times people swimming and moving by, just like you see on Melody's screen, you know, they can't go anywhere else but in these sight lines. So it's huge. Can't people be able to help with a little bit of damage as well?
No tags, bro. I didn't see a single tag. That's what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's the play to make, but at the same time, though, you'll be seeing the deals with the riding around and shooting their shots. I think, no doubt, they're going to be way ahead of Storm Surge, more so than any other team that's already perched up.
But hey, something has to be working, right? Because Kefi had first place at one point in the day. We're looking at Janice Vidal, Noah Riley, 108 points, so triple digits. They're using the same strat.
Yeah.
They have to be staying above Storm Surge. You can't not have a good plan.
The wheels fall off.
They've been on so far, though, right? Look, and also Queasy doing the same thing. They're looking for a mountain. They're getting ready.
I think Levin already hinted at that. You know, the experience of Melodi's team, and all of a sudden.
All right, hold up. What is this?
You could, that's a metaphor right there in potion. You see that flip over? See the Thomas AC trio knows how to flip back on the wheels when they flip. I could go on forever with metaphors. We all know the FNCS community loves when we talk about metaphors and similes. So right now, Nas, MHT, and Queasy are at least looking really good, and their tank of gas is close to full. Oh my. Ouch.
That's what we like to see. Shimky had no chance.
No chance. That's what you got.
Camping trip in the mountains. Impossible edition.
I'm going to celebrate this. That man turned into a llama for them.
Yeah, that's true.
He just did. He turned into a llama.
Same day delivery on all the loot. That is actually insane.
Yes.
Oh, now we're seeing Clemente Santos Floki. They actually haven't gotten too hot and active really at all inside the fights. They kind of, you know, taste test a few trios here and there in terms of picking apart some damage, backing off. This time looks like a little bit of an all-in onto Link. Oh my goodness. The defaults aim, like, I forget, watching this man, was it in Retail Row? I gotta let Levin like correct me, maybe possibly. It was Retail, yeah. Like seeing him just pop off, carry teams early game, at the same time just do some insane stuff end game, especially in like reboot formats, semifinals as well. You forget how good he is, man. Like in terms of frag potential, he's top 5 in the region.
Yep. Definitely. And of course he was, well, you know, pairing up with Fremont, and that was a very scary trio when he was part of that. So let's see what this, can we say, this is a scary situation. Going up against Aqua. Oh, Fast Roki gets greeted with the blast and the trade happens. Now Reason here, who's a skilled fighter, is gonna have to hold on all by himself as Aqua's on the ropes. Just 291 above, but it doesn't matter if you get lobby focused, you're not gonna be able to survive. Goes down for a dip into Laird. Now it's gonna be able to group up together and hopefully survive this with the chug splashes. If this metal builds could fully form, they could be okay. But you're gonna have to stand just a little bit more. And this lobby's not gonna let this go. No way.
I need to know Aqua's internet service provider as well. Not a single shot going through a wall. Not a single one taken either. Insanity, but I think he finally got shotgun down. It's all up the Reason. He doesn't have the facilities basically to be able to sustain a static defense. He has to keep moving around as much as possible. Stay dynamic, and he's lost 2 teammates because of this. That was just an insane showing of just holding on, putting belief everywhere, but that's all it is really, right? Belief. It's not fully concrete. When push comes to shove, that's what happens. And Reason now, he's got it by himself, and I don't think Ariba's gonna get off for free in that POI for the next like 10 minutes, even maybe the next game. There's too many trios there.
As you see, Merstash and Malabuka, who kind of survived that engagement out there, bringing them back, are now into trouble as well. But my pick is not looking good. Malabuka does get a trade knock. Now Malabuka is gone. But hey, you talked about sitting up on the mountain. They did do their work, 222 above. And we saw that they were able to hold on to height. I think what's interesting is sometimes you get tempted when you have height and you have no eliminations. But just like Thomas HD, Tayson could feel comfortable with that.
Well, if he was comfortable, now he's not.
Greeted with some shots. Luckily, there's no sniper. Luckily, there's no snipers.
That's why people get to take these types of tags and trades as well, right?
Yep.
The bases are working. Look at this, though. Setting down. Cammy no shields. Teak in trouble. Malabuka Mustache popping off inside the feed. So hey, they disengaged and they actually have something to do with this game. Both CME Stacks trios actually active for the first time in a while inside the same game. Them and Floki also end up wrapping up Default and Fury. No matter how many replays we have of the man rolling in, it's not going to be enough if you don't actually confirm the fight to mean much. Vidil also pops off. With Seti now fully down and Cammy back in operating form, I think they really need to win this fight. I'm not sure there's a reboot anywhere at all, though.
Cammy and Sedatique have been a war at Retail Row. They have over 1,000 damage on Storm Surge. So you're just seeing how much shots they've been hitting back and forth as Cammy does get a knock there. Joe and Kylie here trying to stay alive. But Cammy, Sedatique, there's a reboot. They made a tunnel to it, and they're going to bring back Seti.
I can show you how far the fall is from the cliff they're on right now in terms of being at second place, being inside the top 3. We saw Kefi, PKR, and Melody there. 106 points. They went down kind of where Seti, Cammy, and Tico right now. And then they got beat by 40 points in the next game. They dropped down to 5th. So it's a very steep, fall overall off this high point for Seti, Cammy, and Teak. And
it gets steeper in day 2. If you get 0 points in day 2, knowing that everything's doubled, yikes.
It's actually the worst. People are going to be fighting for their mental lives on that day if they end up going down earlier on, or have to watch people just rack up point after point after point, but they still have the chance to come back in the next game as well. And that's also why today is so important. Right now, it's basically like playing 3 games tomorrow, right? You just combine scores from both games to keep things consistent. It's kind of like, if you double up the games, you can double up the points. You can have the same format as day number 2. So what you want to do is have very good game pairings overall. Have a top 5 with 5 elims back to back. It'll be representative of what you can do tomorrow as well. For Tayson, Chapix, and Hen, they have a nice little cushion all the way up top. 143 points. And Seti, Cammy, and Tiki, who are watching, are second place. It's about a 30-point difference almost between both teams.
Taking a look at this zone that you see here. It's the mountain zones. I kind of talked about what is your favorite zone to see on the hype hour. A lot of the casters wanted the mountain zone. It's the ultimate test here. And I have to say that Thomas HD and Tayson, both of those trios are looking really good. Considering Thomas HD lands out there in Caddy, he's going to have that prime position on that mountain. I want to take a look at over there. Maybe we get a shot to see who has it. Yes, there they are. Look at this beautiful base. I love it. They have all these angles. They have little cheeky edits here with the half stairs, maybe a window here, a little cone edit to be able to get valuable insight. And look at that, clean. And they don't have to worry about the sniper shot coming in. They can gargoyle all they want in ego challenge.
For now, though, we saw what happens to Thomas HD with these zones. Once that half and half locks in, it's a banknote that you're turning on the other side. It's currency you're tumbling off your finger. What I'm trying to say is that it's a coin flip. So basically, what ends up happening for this team, if they don't pull zone and it's max, Thomas HD never is able to hold on. It's been a curse for them, I believe, all the way in Season 6, where they had a chance to really pop off and win overall, and I think got top 4, maybe towards top 3. Might be confusing with another team, but they were in, I think, this very mountain in this position, and it was just an absolute disaster at the same time for Tayson, Chapix, and Hen. They're also moving to a certain side. The thing with mountain zones is it's so hard to play the center as well because you're teetering off from either side or you're stuck in a valley. You just have to pray that coin flip works in your favor.
Yeah, and it looks like the Spaniards right now are cooking because they were able to get Noah Riley eliminated. The Spaniards, very dangerous. Crow and Co. are looking to move up the board. They finished last season, like I mentioned, in 10th place, and it was a quite surprise here in day 1.
You can see where the power position really is for this side of the map. When you're all the way up top, a launch pad can really get you anywhere you want inside the zone. You can also rotate late, and not many people are always going to be looking up. The later the game goes, right, the more every team starts to look down towards other teams around them. So being that high up on a mountain, it's like being invisible to the rest of the map.
As we're seeing Janice here to hold on, would you want to be on the back side of the mountain or the north side of the mountain?
I want to be exactly where an Ossaw right now, right?
Yeah, right.
North side or back side, the highest possible point, and right now the backside is kind of overall low. There's a valley in between. There might be different creatures lurking below in the grass, and one of them actually grabs Dennis's feet. Vidil is left with 2 HP. This is a horror movie right now. Cabin in the woods, so to speak, for these guys. It's not going to be a happy ending either. They go down. Oh no, that's a power trio also rolling in that has good control of fight, has a victory royale on the day as well. They get frozen in time at around 108 points. They have a flip-flop of games as well overall. First 6, 28th, 15th, and it looks like they're on the backside now. Teak Are you going to be able to actually harpoon this? Is there enough time? Will you risk the HP? Will you give it the position? You might have to because you're a solo player now. Sunny's not going to be there either. You're a no player now. You're not in the server anymore. That is tough. And we talked about that steep fall. They didn't have that much in that game at all. And they're going to be locked in at 117 points in total. And they might fall so far because Thomas, Queasy, Anas, they already have an Eliam Sancho, and they're looking to go for so much more.
That was the second place team, folks, going down, and that's their second time they went down around the 20s. So 2 games so far not working out for the defending FNCS champions. What's working out for Thomas HD and Queasy and Nas is this position and the work with that burst they are.
These bullets must have magnets inside or something. That should just not, that's never a thing.
It's mythical, dude. Dr. Sloan put some work on it. She made it.
Absolutely crazy. 1.1, 1.2K above Surge entirely. Look at this base. Portafort's apparently unvaulted for that team. Here's Teak with the beam right now. How did Seti actually end up going down? I'm looking at him. He actually probably was way far ahead by himself. Ends up getting taken out. You have to have strength in numbers as you move in these final games. You'll see it with Elocrats flying up in the sky, but every launch pad is going to be nerfed at the moment because there's mountains in the way.
And we're seeing that Zone 5 is pulled on the south side of the mountain here, and people are making their way down, trying to save all their mats as possible. Tayson with a beautiful slide into the mountain DMs right now in a safe place with a great metal haven created by his company. And now they're looking really solid here as Thomas AC picks up 2 knocks in the feed.
They're catching up right now. This is first place POV we're watching, but if you look at the Elam feed, that's second place POV basically because Thomas HD is lining up the feed. They have the best spot on the map as well. It'll be really tough for any team to really push for the sky. They got peppers as well, Sancho.
Yes.
That'll be huge to hold on to height. If anyone does launchpad or go for high ground, we've watched it happen in mountain zones. They will be by themselves in their own universe, 80 tiles in the sky.
Bro, and they have like almost max mats for each of like 2 of them at least, over 100 apiece. No one's taking this high ground.
And look at where the zone is going, off the mountain entirely through a valley. Every second this zone moves, you're basically losing 1 tile of low ground entirely. You're getting higher if you're on high ground over and over again. So Queasy needs to start going down fast. If they slip, make 1 mistake, that's instant fall damage. That's the game just ruined.
We're just seeing this beautiful structure created here on the team on high ground. That is 3rd place going into that, and like you mentioned, overtaking 2nd place considering Cammy went down earlier. But look at the madness that's happening down on the low ground. Floki seems already moving in, but we're going to focus in and zero in on 2nd from height. It is Tayson, Chapix, and Hen, who are currently in 1st place going into this match, gliding over, and everyone's so busy dealing with the puzzle piece that is this mountain that no shots are crossing into the POV of Tayson, and he's going to glide on down with ease and grace and be able to reconvene with his trios. And now on the front side of the storm, looking mighty good here, and they're going to turn and burn and no doubt rack up eliminations.
All they have to do is just play that placement, stay alive. As long as they are, they can hold on to that top spot. Thomas will have to make everything up with just eliminations. It should be impossible. Looking at their lead with Tayson going for a little bit of retail space control. Gonna actually make a huge mistake and take a lot of damage.
They can't do that. Don't take those peaks that you need. You're right, because the storm is gonna be a factor. You cannot peek right now. Just hold on and focus on the storm.
They're still so high up in the sky, you can see how far below things are dropping. And there's a bounce back over a mountain, off the mountain, back down to a beach. Melody, this is going to be a very tough song for you to sing, my friend, as a solo as well, with no mats left. This is the worst zone to be in for this type of clutch. Going to be tough, but he's holding on to a top 5. A little bit of damage back and forth. He's not going to find that much at all. Leader goes down in the feed. 1 second left for Melody. Gets siphon, and a big pump off on the backside for HP to stay alive. So many players going down around him. He's raking in free placement. What a way to just keep yourself in the game.
Just to get that last note, nicely done here, but the big song that's happening, the hit maker, is Queasy, Thomas, AC, and Nas with a beautiful hold here on height, and all they have to do is continue to apply the pressure as Queasy has enough ammunition to do so, and now Toos gets an elimination in the feed, but my eyes are right now, and where the zone, and it goes back up. That's a wrap. Call it victory royale for Queasy's trio. I don't think anyone else could make it happen. I'm calling it early. Tayson might have a chance considering he just got a refresh.
Not the refresh, these many pads. Every refresh they're getting right now is a team that's also in absolute shambles. There's just 150 mats. You can barely even use that to navigate through 3 different boxes right now.
Oh, is this slide?
Tough.
We can't fast forward? Okay, good.
9 teams left. 8th zone. The 9th one still needs to lock in. 2's going down. Thomas HD kind of quieter on height overall. The best thing for Hen, Tayson, and Chavix is they might not be able to win this game, but they're still staying alive inside the top 8. Chavix, though, going down to a beam. They got exposed for half a second, and Thomas HD is there to just rip off the heads. Hen now, with the harpoon play, is going to look to do a little bit of the same type of cosplay, going for any headshots, but it's not going to be possible from the box that he's in right now. This is going to be tough. Gotta be sneaky, but have to make so much noise to be able to find just a single.
Okay.
There it is. The left-right pump combination, distraction there for Hen to make the shot, and now they're really moving up. No match, though. They have to be able to make this work. Another pump. It doesn't land. It's all up to Tayson now.
Tayson here is on the wrong side of this moving circle, and now he's on the wrong side, but Benji is still in this fight, and Thomas HD dips his toe into the fight and gets some elimination. He's gonna go back up, and my prediction, the fast forward is here. Got a couple more matches, but it's a matter of moments here before another victory royale goes to Thomas HD, Queasy, and Anas. Book it. There it is, and a huge one it is, Shayo. So many elimination, make that 10. They are looking mighty well and mighty good.
Back to back for Thomas, Anas, and Queasy. That's what I'm talking about. And they were in home turf this time. They showed you how things operate when you're inside their house. A VR for them. Game 5-2 on the day. That should be close to almost a first place catch up. But man, they're looking mighty strong right now, Sancho.
Ask me anything. I'm in the zone. Ask me any prediction. I am in the zone. I mean, yes, it was pretty much a helping hand there from the mountain, but it's just a rapid moment. But great job done. And Thomas HD and Anas, at least those two, are shaking off the ghost pass of their height holes in previous season. And no doubt Queasy, the addition of Queasy is huge because Queasy was known as a high ground warrior when he won the FNCS championship in his run.
Absolutely. This is a day 2 trio as well, doing this good on day number 1. Zeke, what do we have to say about that? Are they a problem?
Shy wager, yes, of course. But really quickly, I do have to say, SOCIAIS is correct. He is now opened his third eye. He is trying to mirror Reese there on the as a caster. So Shy wager, good luck.
Me
Best
from
of luck,
like
friend.
3 seasons ago, my prediction has been way off the last. Come on, let's
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I'm giving him a bit too much credit there, big man. But you know, happens.
It happens. It happens. A great game coming out. Queasy, of course. I don't know how SOCIAIS finally tapped into that third eye and said, that's it, game over, call it. 22 people left in the game. This is a Thomas HD win, baby. I know I can see the future, but hey, they come out with 10 eliminations as well. Now, I love this, but we can't forget about tomorrow, right? Think about this in tomorrow's setting. Double points. If this is happening tomorrow, they can more than likely going to close out this tournament with these kinds of points.
Well, yeah, of course, they had a great game, but they're also being helped by the fact that some of their biggest competitors had some struggles, right? You look at that game, Camus and T, who have been so consistent throughout the course of today, right? They ran into a bit of trouble, which is unlike them, it seems, Iris.
Yeah, it's very, very like them. We're used to seeing top 10s every single game for them, double points, but we saw Seti go down in that engagement in Retail Row, eventually get rebooted by Teak, which is great, but they were just in such a late position. And you can see them rotating all the way around the east side, which we saw. We saw Cammy being picked up alongside Seti on this rotate. It was too late for them, unfortunately. Did get the elim onto Michael, but Teak eventually ended up going down. That engagement in Retail Row really, really, really messed them up. But let's be real, we can't do anything but celebrate the back-to-back wins of Thomas HD, Queasy, and Anas.
Yeah, no, really, really good stuff. Look, I want to sit here and give you, you know, expert analysis. These guys are just really good, right? You can see the height hold here. We've spoken about this before, but we'll emphasize it again. Thomas and Nas and Flick of the past, they weren't the best on height. They do it sometimes, but when you add Queasy, someone who is just a height veteran, it just gives you so many more options, and it's made them that much stronger. Then when you have a Thomas HD who's gonna somehow survive situations like this because he's just an unreal human, I really don't get it, Thomas. You're just gonna win games. Like it's a perfect formula.
It really
per
is.
se.
I actually wasn't sure how this team would do. Like when they combined, you know, putting that Queasy power in there. I was thinking, are these guys going to be like the height dominant force that we've seen? Are they going to be a mid or low ground team? They just do it all right now. They've managed to get 2 back-to-back big drops on the height, so huge from them. And look, they've now caught up so close to Hen, Tayson, and Chapix, only 4 points behind. But look at the gap between second to third so far. Seti, Kemi, and Teak performing really, really well today, almost kind of showing why they're so good. But look at the distance, still almost 40 points between it.
Yeah, no, it's really impressive stuff from them. I think they've really grown as a trio in such a short amount of time. Let's take a look at that next page where we have Flois, Hellfire, and Scram in 11th. Bit of a rocky day from them, right? A couple games where they've gone down a bit too early, it feels like, in those moving zones. But nevertheless, a lot of these teams here are not out of it. In fact, a lot of these teams here will be thinking, day 2, it's over. Double points, I'm really coming for you. Like, I'm going to say something that some people might find unpopular. They might not like me for this.
Hot take, okay.
The first place team, Hen, Tayson, Chapix. I don't like what I'm seeing.
Oh.
They have been great. The pop-ups have been great. The individual brilliance has carried them. Like, their brilliance is crazy. But they seem a bit disjointed at times in endgame. Hen sometimes all over the place. Tayson on his own doing Tayson things. Chapix on his own doing Chapix things. And sometimes it works, like today, and they'll be in first place. But they're not a cohesive unit, it feels like, right now. And going into tomorrow, you really want that along with the individual brilliance.
Yeah, they have to be able to perform every single match, keep it together. And I'm totally with you, to be honest. We even said this in the back when we were watching. We keep seeing Hayden tarping, and then usually he's the one who's sitting right at the back. Maybe they're trying something up a little bit different. Maybe he's just taking over moments. But we've also seen so many duo plays in endgame, which end up clutching into solo plays, which get them tons of points because that individuality that's so good from them. But they're not doing it as one cohesive unit, like you said.
It's a curveball. It's a red herring. It's a distraction. And then day 2, they're going to come back and be like, all right, guys, now we're playing for real. Sorry about that. We're just trying to, you know, just confuse you a little bit. Then tomorrow, the real games begin for them. This is it. Last game in Europe. I don't know how this day has flown by. I know. It's all right. This is it, man. We're doing this one last time. So, Sancho, a shot wager. Back over to you.
Let's go, the Game 6 vibes. Rolling in for day number 1, a whole slew of games with double points tomorrow. But this one, Sancho, it's huge. We got 2 trios basically singing, I'm an island boy, basically by themselves. 20 points ahead, 40 points ahead, actually, of everyone else in the pack. This is the game that decided to see who's the victor after the day ends.
I'm still reeling from that hot take from Levin. I'm like, what did he say? Like, what did he say? That Hen takes
No, listen. I'll tell you what he's saying, right? It's true. At the same time, this last game was a mountain zone, right? Crazy things happen. If I'm playing a mountain zone in EU, you know, yeah, sometimes my fragger ends up tarping. Sometimes my mom comes in the room and has to tarp for me, man. It gets crazy. It's so hard to handle. Obviously, people get disjointed, Levin and Reese. It's the mountains.
There's only one mama in the EU, and that's Mama Fishy, okay? No mama wager in the building.
All right.
You never know. Respectfully, respect. But, yo, it is the last game here of the Grand Royale Day 1. The great appetizer that we're about to see for tomorrow's double point fiesta. And here we go. Savage, Benji, and Dreda right now. This is what always happens with the Malibu Cup battle. Is eventually they split, right? They disengage a little bit. It's still, I would say it's even. I haven't seen... What do we see here?
Storm Surge already active with Savage and Benji as they take 25 damage over and over again as they lock into the POI.
That's right, Hotties Trio.
That's Hotties Trio. They disengage. It goes well. Is it the same for this game, Sancho?
No. See? My mind's eye is still being active, but no, this is what ends up happening. Malibuka eventually overpowers them. This is what happened last season, and when that first knock happens here, they did get the reboot card. It's not going to go Savage and Benji's way. Traditionally, it always gets stormed, ran over by Malibuka.
This reminded me of like that Dr. Doom POI and the fact that you get people trapped all the way down
Doom's
to the bottom.
Domain.
Spraying them. Doom's Domain, yes, sir. How did that word even escape me? So much beef happened. Maybe I'm just trying to suppress it in terms of all the off-spawn finds. Too much. Too much history. Savage and Benji, though, their history might be just written for the day here real quick, unless Savage ends up popping off 3 big pumps back to back, or maybe just 3 shots straight to his back to take him out. From Shizo, the emote. That's what I'm talking about. Keep it spicy. But hey, we're talking about records. We're talking about the day so far. They're the ones winning. I mean, we could call them the better trio definitively on day number 1.
Just like that, in the blink of an eye, the last tasty moments that Indreda, Benji, and Savage had is a big fat L. And now they're going to go ahead and think about that, sleep on it. And it's just seeing. It's just a matter of just materials versus skill at that point.
It might just also be better off spawn on day number 1. Let me not get too ahead of myself, because if you look at the standings overall, 8th place for Andretta, Benji, and Savage, 115 points overall. You gotta scroll down a bit to find Mustache, Malibuka, and Shizo. They make it off. They had 1 good game, 2nd place, 10 elims overall. The other one's 20th, 27th off of the disengage. I mean, they might have the last laugh so far, but I feel like Veggie, Savage, and Jordan might be the ones, you know, with the complete comedic showing, just laughing back at their opponents because they're going to be high on the boards rocking in day number 2.
We will see. Time will tell. As we see here, VBUCKS, Michael, and Astro, the other part of the early fights that we've been seeing here down in Dirty Docks. I would definitely say it's been going VBUCKS' way. As Safik, Lucian, and Patrick are still kind of in there. Maybe it's a draw. I would say this one is a draw, considering that Safik, Lucian, and Patrick are still doing well. And look at the beans, Safik, my goodness.
He's got a lot of pent-up aggression right now because they've been fighting over and over again. Even if they make it over towards the mid-game, which I don't think is, you know, the craziest thing to think about with two teams going to Dirty. Sometimes they're disengaging. They get bullied by other teams all the way around. Good looks for Analyx, though, probably fixing some mistakes or aggressional issues all the way towards the end of the day, picking apart Fork as this game gets started. Gonna be a stalemate here, though. On this last one, you got to remember, you know how we always say placement's huge, but then elims are something that affect placements?
Yes.
Day 2 is basically like the placements, and day 1 is like the elims, if you're trying to use it as a metaphor. Yeah, you have double points tomorrow, but this last game means a lot, especially if you can rack up a lot of points.
Now we're seeing this aggression here from Analyx. I've seen this happen before. They will go into Camp Cod and fight here. Chico is going to go on a build-off here to hold on, but it's going to be a matter of moments before 4ZR and X-Sweeze close out Chico.
Took a lot of damage and used a couple of builds getting towards this fight. Analyx 2 dodges a few shots. Very nice to keep this 3v2 in their favor. A little bit of haircut. Fireflies down on wood builds and to make him burn. Switching over to Brick. Analyx is fast on his feet. Meanwhile, Chicky distracted. X-Squeeze does his little bit of a breakdown plan, it looks like, but he's gonna send his own builds on fire. Chicky now on a time clock because everything's gonna just burn. He understands that, starts to go a little bit lower. All inning for this one. Has a lot of mats to be able to keep this too, but he takes a big pump shot, and now he's in trouble.
Now we're seeing Chico here trying to hold on. This whole thing might come down soon. There it is.
Man.
Never mind. All of a sudden, 4ZR sneaks up, gets a shot here. Great defense from Chico, trying to stop the inevitable. But it could be a matter of moments. Here it is. Squeeze really wants this elim. Did they pad up there? I think they want it. They want to get this over with. Send a message.
Like vultures just rolling in, but on living prey, 161, not gonna beat out though. Chicky does a double take. Huge elimination, making it a 2v2. This is gonna be tough. Squeeze now, trying to keep 4ZR alive with a few of those splashes. Not gonna be able to keep that body warm. Unfortunately, he goes cold. Chicky now taking a lot of damage. Won't have minis to actually pick this one up. 4 HP, no materials. X-Squeeze and Analyx really putting down the pressure. Aqua also putting a fight in the feed, but focus now onto this one. Jimkey and Chicky low. They've made it close and personal as well. Analyx, a mean shot from up top and keeps him inside the box. Gonna wait for him to get taken out. Jimkey, meanwhile, goes all the way down low and possibly has a way to break this down, but it's above water. It won't really matter.
Let's take a look at the replay. What happened to Analyx here, setting up the ambush. Analyx trying to get up the board. That's where it started, considering he is 23rd going into this match here. Analyx X-Squeeze so much invested into that fight. And just for a minimal elim points here. But it's all about sending a message. And if you're a Chico, you got to feel good about defending against a former FNCS champion.
Yeah, not only that, just look at the extent they're going to, right? Landing at Misty this early, like before the first zone even locks in, going for a fight all the way at Camp Cod. They're really trying to get any points they can in this final game of day 1. They want to be able to make a difference overall with the record they have on this day before those double points lock in.
Just love listening to these engagements. They're all trying to figure in, this is like a stalemate, a grid between Aqua sneaking in the shot. I'm hoping Aqua is that dark horse for number 2, and they're gonna go ahead and use the slurp truck and save all that valuable shield. And it's basically like a refresh in itself. It's refreshing to feel that slurp get you back into the good health and standing of 200 HP. And now it's gonna have to be a defensive hold from Aqua Fresroki, which so far have not had the day that I expected them to have.
Really? I think they did.
I don't know. I mean,
did you not predict the day 2 team? You said in day 2 they'd pop off?
Yeah, but I didn't think day 1 will go this poorly.
But does it matter what they do on day 1 if they're gonna pop off day 2? Think about it. Day one is equivalent to 3 games on day 2.
I know, but it's about performance. I wanted to see them in-game. I wanted to see them have good storm rotations and things. I'm definitely going to take a look at what went wrong, but from what I've seen, their performance in cash cups and things of that sort, they had command of their lobbies. They understood how to take high. Their rotations were clean, and right now, I don't think they have a game plan going into day 2. That's what's concerning me.
For me, I just like to see Aqua get his losses out of the way first. That's usually how he operates, right? I think that's what the Wave was last season, unless they had an earlier win. But they're not going to be the stars of the show, absolutely. It'll be this trio in front of us right now making the catch up. Thomas HD, 17 eliminations. And once again, you know, we've heard of, like, I guess, Spidey sense overall, right, in media. I feel like there's like a Thomas sense that's happening when he's on height that gets activated. The second someone makes an edit that exposes their head, Thomas HD's shots are just there, naturally. You saw it with Chapix. They tried to just move from one layer to another. I think 0.75 seconds, run the stats or something, of his body exposed, instantly taken out by Thomas HD. Thomas HD walks into an endgame with 5 elims. This man is just the boss.
And the boss is putting down all the costs to everybody, leading the lobby with the most elims. You saw that 3-shot there. That is our top 3 trios currently in this fight. It looks like Tayson, Hen, and Chapix. This is where they got a victory royale, right? They kind of chilled up here in this blue antenna, and they were vibing.
Yeah, this is where they've looked the least disjointed. I know Levin and Reese were talking about it, and it is true. You know, with that last game, especially being on mountains, besides that, just the roles have been a little bit swappy. It's been desperation that has been working out for the trio overall in day number 1. Continue that, but also fix it. I want to see some nice, good synergy from all players on day 2. Jason will take a little bit of damage. It always happens inside these surge bases. You know, this is not disjointed gameplay at all. This is just what's expected, but look at why I want it, right? 168 to 164. These guys are very close to just being defined first place overall. And they need to be a team to do that in this last game.
I get that. I mean, I know that was the beat for Hen, Janice, and Chapix when they were a trio. You listen to their comms, and they're not on the same page, but they always end up winning. They always get the job done, and you kind of swap out Janice for Tayson, that's champion for champion. Tayson is a 3-time FNCS champion. Jason is a 2-time FNCS champion. They themselves are FNCS champions. So I get it, but it works. It's like, it's not traditional. It's not synergistic, if that's a word, but it works. You know what I mean? Not other trios, they can't do that, right? I can't do that. You can't do that. Benji and Dreda and Savage, they can't do that, but that trio, they can.
I'm just saying, when it comes to day 2, and that I think is the most important thing about this, on day 2 when everything's worked double points and teams are really playing like teams, actually, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe being the opposite of that, going against the grain, might work for them. But look at every team that's gotten taken off early so far today, Sancho, right? Like, or 2 players going down, and it's not Thomas HD's trio or Malibukas we're looking at. Look at the commonality in all of EU. People just end up suffering, or at a loss, and get picked apart. They become, you know, the cannon fodder, the siphon for the big teams to pick up on. On day 2, it'll be even tighter.
I really feel like this is going to be the... I thought they had us the first half, not going to lie. And everyone's kind of placing their best in the second half. Safik, Lucius, and Putrick here trying to make their way through. Some great hold as Michael goes down. And so far, like I mentioned, the stalemate, it's a long and drawn out. And sometimes it happens here because the storm has been here, the safe zone. But they are able to look tall right now and move up the leaderboard.
When I'm looking at a zone that's kind of similar, I think what we had in game 2 or 3 overall, and very close to the one that I think Anas Squeezy just won. So South Dirty side, I think about it's just been exactly that game 4 and 5 where Squeezy and Thomas took it back to back. It's also the game where the first place team placed 5th and 7th. That's Hen, Tayson, and Chapix. They have a chance. And this is something unique to this season. The Shadow Flopper type beat, Shadow Q type beat even. Astro looking to just stay alive right now.
Is he gonna drop down on one of them? I think he is.
He's going for it. Screwy. He sees him in the bush. Never expected. Astro Meteor. And Screwy goes down.
That's the play of the day. That's the play of the day. The play of the day.
That's what we like to see. And past that, there's not going to be much, but
worth.
You get those 2 Elam points for his team, right? That's the way.
100% worth. Maybe get a little bit more. Oh, we got a previous replay of what went down at Dirty Docks here. The lever action shotgun and Astro clipping it, getting it done. Clip it, ship it, post it. Get those impressions, young man. Get those impressions.
Pantace and Chapix. This is going to be very important for them to stay above Surge and not really think about it for that 4th and 5th moving. That's where this base becomes a little bit tricky and you have everyone close beside you.
I was just to go back to the replay. I don't think Screwy knew that was going to happen because they vaulted. They vaulted the shadow. It probably scared him half to death. They vaulted the shadow flopper, right? So that is not here, and that was a big factor last season. You saw Queasy's trio. They do a lot of the shadow flopper play with the launch pad. We vaulted it, no longer there. So you have no expectation that someone's going to shadow stone right into a bush that you have no clue that someone's going to do. So, I know Halloween's passed, but I guess it's not over yet for some.
Now there was a definite reaction. You could see like in the bush when Astro hit the 160, you see Screwy just look at him. I can't believe you've done this. He goes for the spray.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way he could even react. Like, what do you do in that spot?
Take the L. Take the L. Take the L.
Thomas and Us, though, they're going to take some space right now, Sancho. Look at this space.
I like it, and we saw a taste of this in-game before next to this crash site. Last time, it didn't really go up the mountain. It kind of went closer to the north side here as you're taking another look at the leaderboard. Still, no major movements. It's basically the same. The big surprise is, I would say, Keffi is here in the top 5. It's quite exciting, but no one should be really surprised about Crow because this one is in the same position last season.
I'm going to read out a few of those points as well, too. So, obviously, you saw it, and we've been mentioning it. 4-point difference for 1st and 2nd. And this might just be, I guess, a reference to duos happening next time in the future. But every single team basically has a dual partner of a team matched with them on points. So, Seti Kemi Teak, 126 to another 126 of Keffi, PKR, and Melody. Deox Crow and Jose, 118 to 118 with Save It Up. We'll find Matzo. 115, 115 for Benji's team and Janice's team. 107, 106 for Hadi and Karma. Everyone basically has someone to beat, an opponent in the ring. It's a head-off, just complete face-to-face matchup with someone else on the field, and it might be someone you base up with, share the same layer with, but this is where you try to go for a little bit of individuality and some space for day 2.
What's been happening to Cammy, I think when they had that 1,000 Storm Surge, normally you would think that's great. But like I mentioned in the earlier the cast, folks, what gets them in trouble is being next to people in the rotations that need Storm Surge. They got themselves in trouble. They had poor positioning out there in retail row, and they ended up in a box fight. They don't want to be in the box fight. They want to be center. They want to have those clean satellite dishes and be able to beam people freely, or maybe that nice little peanut butter at it freely, and that's what they want to be. Cammy and Seti, they are capable of defending themselves against the W key, but not against 2 or 3, and that's when they get in trouble, and that is why they begin slipping here, and that's why they drop those matches.
Cannot slip at all, and right now it's kind of free for the 115, I guess, point weight matchup. But at the 115-point battle, at the 115-point battle, the enemies just did not show up. They basically didn't make the cut at all. And Dread Benji Fishy Savage eliminated off spawn over at Steamy Stacks. So Badil, Janice, and O'Reilly will look to catch up to Amplify and Crow right above them by 3 points. At the biggest heavyweight spot all the way towards the top.
I like this.
40 points above everyone else.
Yeah.
You got Taste and Head and Chapix. They're also looking at one of the best spots on the map entirely. They have to move to their opponents will as well. You see that orange mountain? That's exactly where Queasy, Anas, and Thomas are. 4-point of a weight difference between the teams. And Tayson wants to stay alive to upkeep it. The dangerous thing, though, these guys are endurance-based fighters. They stay alive all the way to the end of the game. Thomas HD comes swinging hard. If he's alive in the end of the game and his team is there too, they get more points, I feel like, from what I'm seeing on average, than Tayson, Chapix, and Hen.
And to combine all that, the pricing is going to matter because the ranking where you mentioned right there is like literally tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars at stake here. It's the biggest prize pool of the year, ending the Grand Royale. First place gets $600,000, and even fifth place gets $120,000, all competing for Fortnite, and that's just in this EU region. So that is why you're talking about, you talk about those pairings, each one of those is going to matter because there's thousands of dollars on the line for each one.
TOMAS, Squeezy, and us, all they need to do is just find a little bit of advancement inside the zone to get their fight started. 171 points. The elims that Queasy has are going to make them basically just be one elimination behind Janice's team overall, or Tayson's team overall. Apologies, gotta keep making that fix. These guys always swapping teammates, especially when it's a duo swapping. It gets tough, but at the same time, they've made it in. They've used that pad, and that's really good. They've saved that pad before launch. We saw them go on foot. TOMAS take a lot of damage. They actually have a fight to take right now. They get this refresh. It's huge. They set themselves up to just basically win the entire day. It's up against VBUCKS' team as well. A huge driving force inside the end game. Shizo's down. I think Mustache got knocked as well. TOMAS HD is gonna have a huge cost trying to go for the loot. They'll be able to heal up. They've used a lot to get here, though. One inventory slot, free from all teammates. They don't own any of these builds. Launch pads completely gone. They need to get to the loots. The eliminations aren't just enough, and there's hungry trios around them. Mandalex, who's literally under 70 points rolling into towards the end of the day. Pushing for eliminations, is looking for his next target as well, and that might just be TOMAS HD.
We need to know if they have the mobility. If they have the mobility to roll on in, they're going to look pretty solid. But considering that you said they expanded and used some of that mobility, that may cost them here. But they're still going to hold on, still in second place in this fight.
They're down atrocious. TOMAS HD doesn't even have a med kit to use. Forced to splash up to get his HP there, and those are crucial shields to be used towards the end game. They only have 2 peppers as well, so one player is going to be left absolutely slow on the field, already moving through. Queasy taking a bunch of damage. They have to get towards the zone. They're very close to it. They base up, looking good for now, but this is desperation. Above on Surge, low on mobility, low on a chance to win out the day.
They have to avoid the people that might need a W key. Malibu or Stash are still on their feet. They were able to withstand that battle. They did lose Sizo.
It's the same on both sides. Hen, no shields. Tayson out of utility completely. Just has the weapons to use right now. A green charge for this endgame is not what we usually see him with. Malibu finally down to TOMAS HD. Something's happened on that side of the feed. Here he also getting picked up. Tayson looking for something, a community pad, anything, a sense of power from a team. What a shot as well. 78. That'll be huge for the Surge. That happens in a moment, but maybe TOMAS has something now after that pick. I wanted to tune in with either team. Doesn't matter. This is going to be rough for both of them to make it out of this point. We haven't seen them do it before. If they do, this is the spot to do it in.
Andalex gets an elimination. Will this be the game that set up that day 2 push from Andalex's trio here? We're still locked into Tayson here, our first place in day 1, who shook his head no when Shayo asked, does he have enough? And he said, no, I do not. So let's see how it goes down here. And they pull Max. This is bad. They need a community pad. There is that pad up there, and they're going to race to it. They have to make sure they don't get tagged on the way. This is going to be a crucial rotation for this trio.
Hen absolutely naked on shields, has nothing to really work with. Diving in the box, the pad gets placed down at the same time they fight. Chatfix with 1 HP, barely even makes it past the zone.
No.
They ping where they need to go. This is trouble. A little bit of upward elevation as well. Tag down to 30. His teammates are down. His wings clipped on both sides. This man is now grounded. Has nothing to do, nowhere to go. Water below him. A big mountain in front, and everyone's kind of just waved past by. It's a tsunami of builds, and he doesn't even have a surfboard to be able to be active and just glide across from it. 31 HP from Chatfix. What can he do from here?
Our top 3 is still in this fight, but Chatfix is now a solo. What he can do, Shayo, is just hold on. We've been seeing clutches throughout the entire day, and this is going to be a nice clutch. 31 HP.
Back.
It's the bounce back that's going to be crucial, but it's the harpoon as well, because he's going to be able to be aggressive and get into builds in a cone, setting up a trap. Can Chatfix get one?
TOMAS HD getting knocked and eliminated inside the feed. Queasy with a response though as Sapphic goes down, and Os is there to pick up the scraps from that fight. So a 1 for 2 for that team. Chatfix though still alive. The placement rolling in 182 points. It's a fight for first and second place overall in their own island. Once again, they're up at least 50 points against their entire competition inside the EU server. This is the final game of day number 1. Janice goes down. Also up to Chatfix as he's on low ground. Seti, Cammy, and Teak the script on the server, and they're the ones who have heights.
Third place is sitting on height, but first place is in the low, and second place is on the low ground. And Nas and Queasy have to work together. Thomas HD, who has been the superstar with the clutches here, is going to have to rely on his teammates to get the job done. They got the builds to be able to build around here. It's a slight elevation that will eat a little bit more. Things going to get tight, but that purple charge shotgun from Anas, one shot could get a knock, and he has it set up perfectly. Does not find it. It's going to have to reload, reset that pressure cooker that Monster likes to say, and now they're working together here, and the chaos on the top, as Cammy said in Teak, they need to close this out, but they need those eliminations as well, Sayo, because this is what I'm talking about. Tomorrow's bonus points two-time, day 2.
Difference maker possibly for the whole tournament here, and it all ends on day number 1 so far.
Monaco is
picking up a few
the
more.
feed.
Cammy popping off as well. It's just beams from the sky. Anas waiting, watching. Bill's running low. They have the utility in zone, bounces back, blessing them once more.
Queasy's gonna set up the shot. Anas is gonna hold that pressure shot with the charge shotgun, and Queasy's gonna open up data. That's what they're trying to set up. There it is!
Situation up to 6. Sky pops off. Anas has room to move, and a big upgrade. Legendary gold pump shotgun. A back-to-back win on game 4 and game 5. Game 6 is rolling in as well for this team. Dual operation. Keffi's still alive. Neb's going down in the feed, but it's low ground. That's their home for the moment. Anas and Queasy are taking this patient. No room for mistakes. They're making sure every build in front of them is completely beamed. They have the time, have the patience. All Queasy needs to do is make that room for Anas. One player on their layer. Anas, though, absolutely affected. Final minis popping off here. They only have one box to really move with. It's claustrophobic. Anas can barely even breathe. They go even lower down in low ground. Knees actually hurting. The bones are tweaking and breaking. It's going to be tough for them to move out from this situation. Anas has to move all the way in. 100 HP total to work with 5 different teams. The clock is ticking. Anas and Queasy can really just push first so far right now. They're the only ones really in their elements. They're quiet, waiting for the next moment to strike. Andalex is still popping. PKR is making his way up in the top 5, but here it is, finally inside the zone. A moment for an all-in. Anas misses the shot. Queasy's there to maybe pick it up from the backside, but no, it's Keffi popping off. Teak all the way up top in a final 2v2. Cammy is alive in this final river. Who's going to be washed off the shore? The 1v1, and Teak is left on a lifeboat. PKR is going to be traded out for that one. Cammy's got the floppers, though. He's been the fisherman all the way up on high ground. He's playing that heel off, playing the final game of EU perfectly from his spot up to 170 points. The champions do not count themselves out here today. Getting one win before and then rocking it off with the final one of the day as well. This is EU at its finest.
Cammy with the mercury coursing through his veins, closing out the day with the victory royale. The champions are here and they're not ready to give up their throne. The crown still sits on their head, but what a great way to close out day 1 of the Grand Royale, Shayo.
Yeah, we had first and second alive for so long. I feel like 100% with that clutch of Queasy and Anas. They're definitely up there in that top spot. What was the catch-up like, though, right? Because we were focusing on it so hard. What did Seti, Cammy, and Teak really do? Was 170 close enough to really be inside that conversation in the top 3 in day number 2? It's huge, Sancho. There's so many teams. Keffi also popping off inside that feed.
That's what I was about to say. Keffi's trio, a big surprise here in day 1. I'm interested to see if they'll be able to keep up that momentum in day 2. And that is day 1, folks. Don't forget, tomorrow, everything's going to be worth 2. So if you go down early, you lose. If you're a Benji fan out there, if you're any of these early fans of those contested drops, you go down early, that's going to be a monstrous, catastrophic game for you.
Absolutely. It'll be double the action, double the suspense, double the stakes. We'll have not double the casters. It'll still be me, Shaiwage, and Sancho West. But for now, we'll put it on pause, talking it and tossing it back over to Zeke, Levin, and Reese to break down that crazy top-tier game.
Shy Wager, Sancho West, you guys are absolutely incredible. EU, day 1, did not disappoint. There's a lot to kind of unpack here, but the biggest thing, as these guys just touched on, was we cannot forget tomorrow, double points. Every threshold is multiplied by 2, right? So let's take a look at our overall settings to see how things ended here in day number 1. We have another 6 matches out ahead of us tomorrow, Levin and Reese. And I'm looking across the board at all these trios, and I'm thinking, okay, some of these trios I know to be day 2 performers. Some I know to be day 1 performers. So now I'm kind of like trying to figure out, even with these new trio shakeups, could they also be day 2 performers?
The answer to that will be find out tomorrow when you tune in to watch.49up.
Don't do this!
Find out what happens. On a serious note, yeah, I really like what I just saw there at the end, because you see the standings, we're getting very close to the top. Queasy and Nas and Thomas, 200 points. I really hope they haven't burnt out. I don't think they have. I think tomorrow they're going to come out raring. I just want to shout out to Kefishu, because they literally just had a 17 elimination game to put them in second. They were fifth coming into this last game. 17 eliminations and second place puts them at second. I don't know where they found this form, but I hope they haven't wasted it on day one, because they threw double points, and so they'll wish they'll had these games tomorrow. But yeah, really great game.
Yeah, fingers crossed that they don't just go to sleep and forget how good they truly are and how well they performed here on day number 1. Moving to the next page, a lot of teams kind of stuck in concrete here. Andrea, Benji, and Savage still in that 11th place slot. We see Kriachi's team down in 18th, also kind of not really moving, and Mustache's team now also starting to dip further down into the leaderboard. I think they were 16th the last time we checked in. Now they're down in that kind of 18th, 19th, or 20th, place there in that last game. Again, even though getting off spawn, 18th for them overall. So not fantastic, not massive. That final page here going down. This is some of the teams who've just got to think, right? Like, we got to do something. We got to pick this up when it comes to second day. 2 teams in particular are kind of surprising for me. Floki, Clement, Desitos in 23rd. Probably no surprise that, I was going to say, it's shocking that they're down here. And Aqua's team also all the way down there seemed to have a lot of trouble. I think that was 28th.
Oh, no, I feel bad for the people on this. But you know when the teacher hands you your test upside down and you're just, you don't even...
Oh, yeah, you just know.
No.
You know them ones there. Look, I just want to say, we're going to keep harping on about this, because this is a real thing. Double points is huge, right? We saw Malabuka's team in 20th, right? We've seen that team get 17 elimination games before. Let's say they had a game like Kefi's trio just had in that last game. 60 points, double that, 120 points. If you had that to they're on now, that would put them in second. Like it is going to be a very up and down day in terms of the standings, especially if you see some of those teams lower down start to have better games. Like, I can't even... we all have our predictions. I'm sure people will be thinking, oh, yeah, Queasy's done well. Yep, they're in first place. Good. I can't wait to see them tomorrow. We could just have 2 bad games and just be completely out of it, right? So, like, it is going to be mad.
Yeah, it's a test of who could do well on both days, but the teams have done well on kind of the first day so far. As we mentioned, obviously, Chapix, tons of solo pop-offs today alongside Tayson and Hen on his team. We saw in that previous game him picking up a bunch of eliminations at the same time there. Really doing a good job. Ugue, as he's mentioned, to try and pop off all the way through. I mean, they basically got up to 14th? Yes, great position for them. That 1 HP launch pad to keep himself flying through. They've had some huge games, but not really managed to pop off with the consistency that a lot of the teams need. Third for them, fantastic, but I know these guys, and Tayson in particular, is not going to want a third. They are looking for first place.
Yeah, I know if that was me, I would have got tagged out the sky. It would have been raps. I would have been right back to the lobby. Them ones there. But look, I think with these guys, they definitely have all the skill. We know that they've been popping off today. Like I said earlier, I want to see them be more of a cohesive unit. A team that started to put it together as a unit. Thomas, right? Thomas was obviously popping off all day long to start things off, and it was a thing where it was like, okay, you're popping off, you're clearly feeling it today. We need Queasy and that's with you in endgame to really push yourself up the standards, and they did it. They stepped up, and I love what I've seen from this team. We talked about pressure making diamonds at the start. They've been able to cope with the pressure incredibly well.
I think if you're going to name an MVP so far from the tournament, it's got to be Thomas HD. You got to think, right? Every single match, he's either solo clutching, he's top fragging, he's just putting in the work for his team every single game that we've watched from out so far. That first and third games, he had huge clutches. He had the most eliminations in the 2 victory rounds that they won on high ground. Like, he's MVPing it up big time.
Absolutely insane. And again, we can't harp on this enough. The double points tomorrow, a victory round by itself is worth 60 points, just 60, without looking at eliminations, without looking at the 4 for every single elimination. I mean, it's going to be absolutely wild, and that's what we're going to be talking a lot about tomorrow, right? Breaking down, okay, today's performance with the standard set of points. What is tomorrow? Like, how will that change, right? Because a lot of these trios, 33rd, as far as 20th, they're thinking, okay, well, victory rounds were 60, eliminations worth 4. I'm not normally a chaotic player. I'm not normally down to just push this box, but if it means I get a victory royale, man, I think we're going to try and push this box.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of players who will be thinking, you know what?
Let's just send it.
Maybe it is worth a cheeky little box dive. You know when you think to yourself, we shouldn't dive here, right? We shouldn't box dive here, man. It's not worth it, right? You might be looking at
no.
you know, maths, maybe it's a bit worth it, you know them ones.
Hopefully the teammates are on all corner. You hear some guy just, Leroy Jenkins! And they're like, we gotta get after this guy. We gotta follow him too.
Oh god, I just started on broadcast. I'm upset. Really quickly before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the prize pool. It's just a reminder, okay? There's $600,000 on the line, and of course, I want to touch on predictions before we take a look at the prize money. Actually, just kidding. There it is, right there. Now, remember, we love to talk about this. You know, coming out of the #1 spot, 600,000. Woo! But again, we cannot forget these trios on the outside, right? You be able to jump into that top 5 will be life-changing amount of money. Reese and I were in agreement. It's Cammy, Seti, and Teak, and right now they're doing pretty good. They're in a good spot going into day number 2. They're not that far off from first. Levin, Flois, Scram, and Hellfire. Let's get an update.
7th place, and I like that from them. I like that from them. They typically do a lot better on day 2. You know, I'm riding with the Danish supremacy right now. You know, someone who's obviously hit the nail on the head with the Danish supremacy, Shio Wager, and that's Thomas and Queasy are literally in first place. I'm liking where Flois, Scram, and Hellfire are. I'm cool with that.
Feeling confident. I mean, Sancho West, picking Reason, Aqua for Strokey, currently in
27.
So,
yeah.
I mean, we said earlier that he's got the third eye, but I'm not really buying it so far. I hope this team pops.
Hold on.
I'm a big fan.
Sancho is spamming us in chat right now saying they're day 2 players.
They're day 2 players.
Trust me, they're day 2 players. Please, you know, give it a rest, Sancho. You know, you had your chance. Give it a rest, right? You know, 27. Look, I hope they do well because I love Aqua, you know, a legend of the game, and he deserves his respect, so we won't clown him too much. But it's not been a great day 1. Once again, though, with double points, it doesn't even matter, right? They could come back with 2 or 3 good games tomorrow.
That's right. That's where we have to shift our focuses to tomorrow. Fortnite fam, that's it for the action here in Europe. Reese and I, we're going to jump on the battle bus because we're going on over to NA East. There's action to be had there. And honestly, we're going from a super quick break right into the action there. So if you want to stick around, check out some more Fortnite. We will be here for you. We love you guys very much. We'll see you tomorrow for more action from the Grand Royale.
Grand Royale, beep, beep.
Well, this zone in the middle of Slurpee Swamp, key factor used for predicting zones is like how much water is like surrounding like a given area.
I'd say weeping, like in the orange part on that hill. Yeah, like right there. It's either gonna pull top left, it's gonna like double max pull, or go bottom left.
Place it below the W in Weeping Woods.
Under Weeping, that's perfect.
I think I'm gonna go below Weeping Woods on the like little hill by Sludgy Swamp.
Yep.
Unlucky.
I made it.
Now that I'm looking at the zone, I could see it might pull more towards Dam at the bottom right side.
No way. I was close.
I knew it was gonna go there after seeing that.
I would place my marker at the orchard.
Probably where you just shot it, like on that Spire Mountain, like right in between Steamy and that mountain. Yeah.
You see the farm, the north farm? Put it right next to it. Yeah, right there.
So I put my marker in between Steamy and Craggy. I think this zone's probably gonna pull north.
I think I'm gonna put my marker at the building on the north side. Yeah, perfect.
Alright.
At least I got 1 point though.
Oh my. Are you serious?
I don't think I'm in it.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just out of it again.
Put my marker at the dock of Believer Beach. Yeah, about there. Yeah, that's fine.
In between like Believer, Pleasant, and Coral, like on the mountain in the water kinda. Yeah, probably like right there.
Put my pin right south of Believer Beach. Yep, perfect. Yep.
Right in the middle of Believer.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go by the island to the right of Coral Castle.
Nice.
Unlucky, man.
Oh my gosh.
I have hope. I still have hope. I still have hope.
Let's go. I knew it was going here. I could just tell.
Oh.
Alright. Well, maybe this game just isn't for me then.
Now all we need is the last one and we should be good here. Just outside of the circle. Just a little bit unlucky.
I'd probably have to go with Stark season. I don't remember the exact number. It was just all around. You could have fun, stream it with Arena, and the comp was pretty good.
And I think it was season 16. There's not a lot of movement. It's only launch pads, and it made it so great for competitive with less RNG and everything.
Probably have to be Season X trios back when I played West Coast. It'd probably just have to be like the meta, all the items in the game. It really just made it unique. There's a whole bunch of stuff you could do to kind of outplay people, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just perfect.
Is Lazy Lake, because that's when I started to get into comp, and like there's a lot of good Surge. It's really easy to get Surge and competitive, and it's really easy to loot as a trio.
In my opinion, is probably Loot Lake because of how much loot it has and how much they changed to it. Like while it was in the game, they changed it about every week, and it just made the game so much more fun with new additions and everything. And it also had the best loot.
Probably be Misty Meadows. I don't go there anymore, but I have a lot of experience and memories there for the past, like, I think 2 years it's been in the game, and yeah, it's probably my favorite so far.
Probably the Spaz, because it's just like so easy to get clips and have fun with it.
And for me, it's probably the Heavy Sniper because of how fun it is to use.
It would probably have to be the minigun. Season X, that's kind of, I was kind of known for using the minigun. It was just always fun, like, just sitting on high ground, just like, I didn't really have to do anything. It was just fun to use.
The best ever vehicle is probably the four-wheeler back in like the desert season, like chapter 1.
It's probably the ATV or the ATK. I'm not sure what they used to call it, but because you could literally travel across the map in less than 30 seconds, and it made the game so much fun.
Quad Crasher, probably because, I mean, I would always just fly around with it. I was super good at flying with it, and I'd always hit people, and just they'd go flying throughout the air. Then once they hit the ground, they get eliminated, and it was just funny to watch.
Probably like winner royales, because like it's just fun. You have a good time and play with anyone you really want to, and you can still like place in it.
It was Secret Skirmish because I got second in solos and won the duo event, and it was so much fun.
TwitchCon 2019, I think it was. It was my first LAN, and we played pretty well. And the whole tournament and just like kind of everything about it was pretty fun, and just it went really well.
I think I should do a decent job. I'd say maybe I'll get like half of them right, at least.
I've spent quite a lot of time playing this game, so this game is going to be a breeze.
This is actually kind of hard, I'm not gonna lie.
It's gotta be at one of the farms. I just don't know which farm.
Corny crops.
I'm gonna go with Lazy in between Lazy and the gas station.
I think this is in Corny.
Corny crops. Corny crops. Final answer. No thinking. That was lucky.
Where could this be? Okay, I have an idea, but I don't know if it's right.
That's in Weeping Woods, I believe. This prop, I think it's in multiple POIs actually, but I would say Weeping mainly just because of like the ground I'm seeing.
I remember a swing set being in retail somewhere, kind of near the basketball park. I think retail row should be like my best bet.
And Weeping, because there's a lot of campfires there, and usually I go there and competitive and use the campfires.
Weeping Woods, final answer. The texture of the dirt, I don't know where else there's a swing set on the map. It's gotta be Weeping Woods.
Wait, what? I actually forgot there was a swing set in Weeping. Alright, off the bat, I already know. I'm looking at trailer next to the brick building in Sweaty.
Okay, that's in Sweaty Sands, I think. Pretty sure.
That's on like the backside of Believer Beach and where all the RVs are.
This is too easy. Sweaty Sands, final answer.
That was an easy one for me, I knew that.
Oh, I don't even know, man.
This is retail. This is definitely retail, 100%.
I think that's in retail row. That like prop, like that green sign, I don't think I've seen that anywhere else aside from retail. And also like I can see a little bit of the mountain behind it, and that's kind of what gives it away for me.
This is retail row. It's like right beside like the water pillar.
That is retail row. Just Joel's. You know Joel's? I go to Joel's all the time.
Let's go. 3 for 4.
You know, Misty is my home. I talked about it earlier. I know everything about Misty, and this is just right behind it. I know exactly where this is.
Final one that's right outside of Misty. It's like some random waterfall.
This is behind Misty. It's like the only place where it has mountains and river.
That is behind Misty Meadows. I got 5 out of 5 and the only one that took my brain, so I'm pretty proud of myself.
What's going on, Fortnite fan? Welcome back to the FNCS Grand Royale. We just got done with the action over in Europe, and now, of course, we're hopping on the battle bus. We're gliding our way on over to NA East, and now, guess what? We're here. It's game time. Now, if you guys don't know who my name, or who I am, rather, my name is Zeke. It's great to be here. I'm happy that you are watching as well. If you've never watched Fortnite a day in your life, and this is the first time you're watching, you chose the perfect time, because it's going to be some of the craziest action in Europe. First 6 games of the day were wild, and now we're back again in NA East to see a different set of trios competing and going head to head. Of course, I brought my boys. You know I have to bring Vivid, and of course Adam along with me for the ride. Reese will be casting in just a moment. He came from EU with my friends Grand Royale. Did you guys watch EU? How'd you guys feel about that? You guys ready? You guys hyped? How you feeling?
Oh, I loved the whole like storyline there with Shio's prediction, right? He tweeted out earlier that, you know, Queasy's team was going to like take over on day 2 and not really have like great of a day 1, but then, you know, day 1 they just outperformed even his prediction alone. So that was really, really awesome to see.
Yeah. I mean, do you know what it sets up? You know, tomorrow as well. Obviously, yeah, we're going to talk about all the point structure and how the Grand Royale works as well. Obviously, tomorrow things really ramp up with the double point situation. So it's good to see how things currently stand. But by the end of play tomorrow, it's going to look a lot different on those leaderboards, baby.
That's right. And if you guys have followed along, this is going to look very familiar to you. Okay, 2 days of competition, 12 games in total, right? 6 today, another 6 tomorrow. The trios, of course. The kicker here, though, is double points on day number 2. So let's pull up that format. This is what you've been seeing, right? For the last several FNCSs now, right? 2 points for eliminations. The Victory Royale is worth the 30 points. But Vivid, tomorrow, double points. Literally, all of these points are times 2. So getting away with a Victory Royale is much, like, larger in the grand scale of things.
Yeah, today was kind of just like, hey, let me set up a little bit of a foundation of points, right? But then tomorrow, like, if you're not careful, if you build up that foundation, let's say, you know, you're in first or second after today, you're not really safe, right? Because basically everybody has a chance to just fly up the leaderboard if they start performing very, very well because those points are doubled. So you have to be very, very careful about how comfortable you feel after how you perform today, because tomorrow it really does matter to literally like double the amount.
Yeah, it makes a massive difference. Obviously, you know, we talk about the combination all the time, fellas. The combination of standings points, elimination points. When you kind of see that when they're doubled, I mean, if you get a couple of good games under your belt, you know, let's say, for instance, you get a couple of top 3 finishes, you are going to rocket up that leaderboard very, very quickly. You combine that with 4 points per elimination. We've seen previously on other, you know, FNCS, you know, seasons as well. Some teams dropping, you know, the 10 bomb in games, double digits. That could get you 40 points in one single season. So it's going to change left, right, and center, and I can't wait because we love the hype here. We love to see what's going to happen with our teams. We've got some massive trios who are rocking and rolling for this one too.
Dude, $285,000 for the trio. And this is the point that I always like to stress. Of course, we always concern ourselves with a trio that walks away in that #1 spot. But if you could go from, say, 33rd all the way up to 5th, right? A difference of literally $50,000, bro. So anytime we see a trio competing, they're going to be trying to climb as high as possible. We will see, I'm sure, some trios break away. They'll be like, yo, this is the top 3. They're fighting it out. But for everyone else, they're thinking, like, if I could just hit that top 5, we're changing everything, baby! So I'm excited to see how that happens, how that unfolds over the 12 games we have prepared for you. Now, of course, we are super hyped to be here, but you know who else is hyped? It's the players. So check this out.
Let's go!
I'm ready. Let's go.
This is our tournament. We're taking it down. You guys might want to watch out because we're bringing it on this tournament.
Let's go, guys! I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait to compete.
I am ready to crush the competition.
Yeah, we're really excited to play and see what we're capable of doing.
It's so much fun competing with all like the best players in the world. It shows that I am also one of the best players in the world.
Just play good. Just get out there and just eliminate everyone.
Other competitors should feel us because once we get on a roll, we continue going. There is no slowing down pace whenever we're in the driver's seat.
Let's do this, boys. We're gonna bring it home. I'm ready.
We've had our practice. We're warming up. We're ready. So anybody who wants to contest us, anybody who wants to take us on during this event, we're waiting for you.
We're just pretty scary. Like, we all know what we're doing. I think if people were to fight us, it'd be a bad idea for them.
There's no way we don't win this. There's no one that can beat us. We're ready for this.
I'm really hyped to play the event and I'm ready.
Let's go. Bring it on. I'm ready to win.
It's about to go down.
Let's go, guys.
Absolutely incredible stuff. These guys are all really excited across all of the regions. You do love to see it. Boys, let's spend some time here. We got to talk about some trios to watch. We did do this in EU, and we'll do this in NA West as well. But here in NA East, we got to talk about a lot of these trios. Specifically, we're kicking things off with Bugha, Miro, and Dukes. Now, that's felt really weird to say, right? Because we just watched Chapter 2, Season 8. Bugha, Miro, and Muzz were your winners, right? So they decided to kind of change things up and like pick up Dukes. How are you feeling about this, Vivid? Is this still the same stopping power? Because like I do feel like we've lost a little something by giving up Muzz here.
That's a bold move by Bugha and Miro, right? You guys are hot off an FNCS win, and you're going into another event that's, you know, a lot more money is on the prize on the line, right? Like, for example, Bugha, Miro, and Muzz took them, I believe it was like $45,000 each. But in this event here, you can take down $95,000 each. So we're going to be seeing them in Misty Meadows again, off, you know, building this brand new trio. But, you know, we always talked about how Bugha, Miro, and Muzz were like this champion and titled team because they all had FNCS or, you know, huge event wins under their belts. But this is the same exact case, right? Like, Dukes has won an FNCS with a different trio, and then obviously Bugha and Miro have won FNCSs, Bugha being also the solo World Cup champion. So again, we just have a very, very titled team here again, and I think that they can do just as well as they did with Muzz.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we're seeing all these super trios forming all the time now. And you mentioned there as well, like, you know, this is the collaboration of these three is going to be really impressive. Maybe Muzz just fancy like teaming up with some others, you know, for a little bit to kind of say, do you know what, let's just let other people in. Let's kind of switch things up, see exactly how we can get on in different formats. Grand Rail is obviously very different, the point structure as well. But Misty Meadows, obviously, we saw there on the map as well, is where they'll be dropping. We saw Commandment centered in Edgy a couple of seasons ago. Kind of that was their domain. Now it seems that these guys have moved in and they kind of make it their own area. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think they're contested either. So they've got every opportunity here to, if they rotate well, they play together, they're cohesive. I think they could go a very long way. And as Viv mentioned, they've got so many accolades under their belts as well. They have got everything it takes to go the distance in the Grand Royale.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really great breakdown, right? I think at the end of the day, this is a top 10 trio, right? Even if everything was to go crazy, these guys would, there's no way they don't place outside of top 10. But we got to continue the ball, right? We got to talk about more of these trios, Acorn, Jocks, and Slacks. I mean, Adam, this is one of your boys. This is one of your trios, all right?
man.
Your dream team. Especially, we just watched Chapter 2, Season 8. A bunch of these trios, they completely shifted around, right? And these guys are consistent. They've said, season to season, we're going to stay together. We're going to continue to work on these little mistakes that we're making. We're going to continue to improve as much as we can. But now we're coming into a double point format. So how are you feeling about this trio?
I think obviously this trio is interesting as well because last season at FNCS we saw this trio obviously are massive in the grand scheme of things. Previous winners, as they've got so much in terms of experience, talent as well. When it comes to them actually, switching things up and changing around, Sludgy is their POI. They don't shift. They stay in the same place. They know it well. They know exactly how to rotate out of it as well. They don't change things, willy-nilly. They kind of stick exactly where they know they can rock and roll from. We saw last season as well. They were contested in that area for the first time, which is quite interesting to see. They're having to switch things up dynamic-wise as well. How they were kind of spreading out a bit. I think, Vivid, you agree. They kind of really tended to spread out across the POI rather than staying clustered together to kind of really kind of dominate from all different areas to kind of, get as many mats as possible and to give themselves the best opportunity of staying in each of the games as well. So interesting to see. They've had a really good season up until this point as well. So this could be the one for them.
Yeah, I mean, they played, honestly, like, they had a subpar season, and a lot of it came from, them being contested a lot, and I feel like it also missed with their, mentality a little bit because they were so focused on being contested, so that way when it came down to actually playing in those finals, they didn't really do as good as maybe they could have, but hopefully a nice little break in between events here, they coming in with a fresh mind, can take over Sludgy Swamp again, and hopefully, outperform these other players.
Yeah, and I love this as well, Adam. Like, you kind of brought up a good point because they keep going back to this POI, right? Like, the POI itself might change, but they know how to work in that POI. As season to season, things are changing. They're saying we're already on rails, and now we're just saying, okay, here's this little tweak. We just need to rotate here. There's a chest there. Boom, and then they're already ready to go, right? They already have that game plan. So we'll see, brother. I'm hoping they do well, but we have 2 days of competition and a big old change up in the double points tomorrow. So we'll have to see. Got a few more trios to throw away: Day, Tragics, and Jumper. Once again, I'm so used to saying certain trios just at the same time, and they're doing this to me, man. Vivid, talk to me about this trio. Why could this be trio to watch?
I mean, Jumper has always been a solid player. I believe we first saw a lot of his rise when he was playing with Booga a while back, and that trio obviously doesn't really exist anymore, but Jumper was always that solid player when he was on a trio with Booga, somebody that you can always rely on. I feel like Jumper's experience, he's played with quite a few different players now, and I feel like that experience that he has, I think that he's actually going to be the IGL on this trio, right? And then Tragics and Day, we've heard a lot about Day, right? Winning an FNCS, used to play with Miro and Reverse, obviously. FNCS wins there, and then Tragics also just a very good mechanical player, a solid player that can always find those refreshes probably throughout the tarps that you're building. But I think the highlight of this team honestly is Jumper, because I think he's actually going to be like the foundation, the person who leads Tragics and Day to victory.
Yeah, we've seen Day, Reverse 2K, and Miro were a trio. We saw one FNCS multiple times. They were fantastic. And this going back to the same POI again, I think we're seeing that kind of, we mentioned about the Acorn, Stacks, and Jack there as well. When you know a POI like the back of your hand, it gives you kind of an advantage in a way, because teams don't really want to press you necessarily because you know it so well, whereas you've had a lot of experience, opportunity to get to know exactly how you get out of certain situations because you know it. Our players know the map, but to kind of know that you won from that point as well. And Day having that experience, Jumper and Tragics, I think as well, very organic, very fluid. They can come in and change things up where necessary. And Day having at least one of their players knowing that POI so well, having done so well out of it as well, it just gives them a lot more kind of, a sense of security. And I think a lot of teams won't press that particular part of the map because they know there is such a solid trio kind of guarding where that is.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. It's scary. Now I'm going to throw one last scary trio your way. It's Commandment, it's Stretch, it's Scented, okay? This is a trio we are constantly talking about in NA East. If you've never watched Fortnite before, these guys are absolutely monsters. They will flip a game on its head on a dime. And the moment they engage any trio, that trio makes a mistake, it is all hands on deck. They're absolutely going to exploit. They're going to be jumping into boxes. They're going to be putting these trios on the back foot, waiting for them to make that mistake and then pounce. I mean, Vivid, this is an apex predator of a trio. I don't even know how to say that in an apex predator pack. I don't know. But this is a very powerful trio that, of course, we cannot forget about.
Listen, I would say for a very long time there, right, you could say that the two best IGLs in the NA East region were Scented and Zate, right?
Oh, yeah.
Scented obviously done a very good job of being consistent and leading his teams to second places, but very good consistent placements there. And then Zate obviously was on a trio with Stretch, right? So Stretch gradually learned everything from Zate, right? And kind of like, you know, picked up on all the things that Zate was kind of saying about the game and how Zate would react to any different situations, right? So now you have the knowledge bank in Scented, who has done very, very well IGL. But then you also bring in Stretch, who doesn't necessarily need to IGL because Scented is on the trio, as mentioned, but he is there to, like, you know, teach Scented new things, right? Like, you can always learn. It doesn't matter how good you are. So I think that's why this trio works so well. And then obviously Commandment, it's got to be one of, like, the most solid, well-rounded players in the game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think we can all agree that this trio, in particular, are probably one of the favourites to go all the way here in the Grand Royale. We've seen a couple of seasons previously, Commandment and Scented as well. Energy getting to second position, I think, in FNCS. So absolutely capable of kind of consistency as well, which is really key. I think it was eliminations is where they need to kind of really pick up to really secure themselves at the top of the leaderboard. But interesting as well, there with Lazy Lake, you know, we saw on the map there. Just, you know, Stretch obviously knows, synonymous with the location of POI as well, having played there with Saf many times. Saf, they're going back into the competition with Aegis and Canada, which is going to be so sick to watch unfold as well. But knowing that POI once again and having that experience, you bring in players like Commandment and Scented as well into that fray, and you've got yourselves a incredible opportunity to really kickstart a Grand Royale, which you can go all the way and remain consistently at top of the leaderboard as well. I think these guys could be there or thereabouts for the whole. You heard it right here, newsflash. I think they could be there or thereabouts in the top 5 or 6 the entirety of this competition. Just saying.
I don't disagree. I don't think honestly anyone would disagree with you because of how potent this trio could be. For us visual learners, let's take a look at some of the POIs, right? Let's talk about Risky Reels. We have Muzz, one of the trio mates from Booga, and has now come on over. He said, all right, I'm going to pick up another 2 people, but now he's going head-to-head with Jaith, and his trio over at Risky Reels. So we are going to highlight this. We're going to break a few things down, and we're going to highlight kind of areas around this that you want to kind of claim when you're landing here at Risky Reels. Vivi, can you talk to me about this POI, please?
Risky Reels is kind of one of those POIs where there's a lot of like surrounding areas where you can kind of gather up loot. We know that there's like that one little spot over there underneath the hill outside of Corny, right? There's 3 chest spawns over there and a couple of floor spawns. So Risky is a very good, what we like to call like a split shot, right? Usually you want to land and have your teammates go elsewhere, right? But in a scenario where you are contested, it kind of creates an awkward situation, right? Because let's say that you take like 2 minutes to go through this POI and you fight off spawn, right? Assuming that you don't lose anybody, right? And all 3 of your trio members are left alive, because remember, you know, that you gotta, you know, waste time on like reboots and stuff like that. But let's say that all 3 of you are left alive, then you have to kind of like, the only reason why this spot is viable is because that's surrounding loot. So then after that 2 minutes of fighting that you just went through, you're already shambles. Now you have to like spread out and go try to find that loot that makes this spot viable. But since 2 minutes has passed, anybody around you that's like been uncontested is already like moved into those spots. So being contested at a spot like this is just really, really not ideal. I'm interested to see how it plays out and interested to see what these kind of players do in this scenario.
Yeah, we saw it last season as well. We were trying to work out what we think generally is the better position to be in. Is it to kind of have an uncontested POI where you've got free reign to loot up, mat up, and then go into the final phases of the game ready to rock and roll? Or is it kind of good to have that early kind of spar or kind of, you know, kind of contestation, as Reese has kindly kind of created this word. I don't know, it came out of nowhere. But still, I appreciate it, Reese. Contestation is a thing now. It should be in the Oxford Dictionary. As an Englishman, I'm officially putting it out there. But I've got to say, I think with the contestation as well, Storm Surge, I think, is an important thing. And obviously, we know that this being such a stacked lobby as well, you do want to get those early tags to give yourself the best opportunity in the late game as well, to not have to kind of stretch or reach out to try and get that kind of those points up, so you kind of remain above the Storm Surge. So it's kind of like a 50-50 really. I think a lot of the time players will like to have those early engagements as well, because you're going to have a lot of them, particularly in a kind of Grand Royale like this as well. So we'll have to see what happens, but any contest going on, it's going to be really entertaining to watch unfold.
Okay, I like that. One last POI for you. The Crater near Pleasant Park. Okay, we got Scoped versus Dom. All right, so yet again, another name, Scoped and his trio. Scoped is just one of those guys that is just like a walking highlight reel, I feel like, in a lot of ways, Vivid.
Yeah, Scobed, there have been so many highlights out of this guy in the times that he has played, throwing it all the way back to when he used to play with Tifu at the Grotto, right? Obviously, them performing really well. But, PYs like this that have been added around the map this season have been really, really great. But the fights here, man, they are so chaotic, right? You have like these little slipstreams that everybody can use, kind of like fly around and quickly change their positions. But another thing that is not ideal about, landing here is that you have Pleasant Park literally right there, right? So, people are chilling at Pleasant Park. They're like, in about like 5 minutes, I'm going to have to be thinking about Storm Surge. So while these guys are over here fighting for all this loot and they're fighting each other, let me just come over here and grab a couple tags. So being contested here, it's really, really tough. And then not to mention, you also have the Stronghold literally right next to it as well. And then even people can swim over from Coral Castle. So these guys are like in the middle of just like no man's land, basically.
Yeah, we saw last season that, Cold, Cease, and Elite were, contested in the last couple of games at Coral. Kind of, I think a lot of teams were starting to kind of different areas of the map to switch things up, and things weren't happening in their particular POI. They could change things up. So if you were aiming for that kind of area that they are going to have their contest, you've got Pleasant Park there as well, and you could kind of overshoot and go all the way to like where Creo, Shark, and Knight are landing at Stronghold. But it's interesting as well, the likes of the slipstreams, we talked about those as well, are a big part of this game now, particularly this kind of phase where we see this season, teams we thought would use them to kind of rotate to get out of certain situations, but actually they're using to be a lot more aggressive and going head-to-head against an opposition. So it'll be interesting to see how that particular contest kind of really pans out when you have the opportunity to get around your opponents very quickly, very fast, very efficiently as well.
Dude, that's where it gets really scary, right, Adam? It's like you take a slipstream and you drop. You're like, okay, we got a few chests. I think we have enough loot to maybe push this team. You slipstream in, and then suddenly you've made a mistake. Half your team is gone, and you got to just run away, right? Like, that's the thing, is the slipstreams are kind of providing this great escape tool, but they're also providing a really good engage tool. But again, when you kind of put yourself in against another trio, based on whatever that loot has kind of been divvied out at the very beginning, you're going to walk away the winner, or you're going to walk away with your tail between your legs. So I'm very excited to see how that POI specifically plays a factor and a role here in the competition across both 2 days. What we're going to do is go ahead and take a look at Iamzo. We got a little player profile on him. Got to speak with him, so let's check this out.
Welcome, everybody. I am Life with Panda, and joining me today is Iamzo. Iamzo, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Iamzo. My IRL name is Jackson. I'm a Fortnite competitor player for True North Gaming.
What are you guys looking to do as a team, or maybe something that you're looking to improve on ahead of Grand Royale?
We're just gonna look on how we can just outsmart the other opponents, either taking high ground a different way, playing low ground a different way, playing mid ground then going for high or going for low. We're just gonna try to outsmart the opponents. I think one thing we would have to improve on is mostly near end game. So I think that's what we just have to mainly pack down.
You all as a team, this is your first season playing together, correct?
Yes, this is my first season playing with Pawn Paper.
What has been unique for you with this team that you maybe haven't had in teams in the past?
Definitely excited and happy to play with these guys, because I have a really good IGL, and my fragger quad is just really good, and really good team cam, back tarp and front tarp and everything.
When you look at teams and the success within teams, it really comes down to the chemistry. What are some tips that you can give to the community on how to build some chemistry with their teams?
The tip is probably, if you're a young team, just try to stick with your team as long as you can, because that's the best way to long-term chemistry and short-term chemistry and just all-around chemistry. That's probably the best way to get chemistry.
Which role in your trio do you fill with Qua and Paper? You mentioned obviously Qua, very talented fragger, but what is your role there with them?
My role in the trio is kind of more of a 70% fragger and 30% co-IGL or helper to Paper, because Paper's our main IGL. So yeah, I'd say that's my role.
Imagine it's the morning of Grand Royale. You know the players that you're going up against. And which team are you kind of looking to avoid?
I mean, there's no one really around us that I'd be scared to fight. But if I'd have to say a team that I'd be playing would probably be Scented, because they're just so consistent and they're just all on 0 ping.
Good luck going into Grand Royale. We're rooting for you. Want to say anything else before we wrap up?
Good luck to all my opponents, though. I'm coming for the first place.
There it is, Iamzo coming for the first place. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for answering the questions. We look forward to watching you. And until then, take care.
Later. Thank you for having me.
Life with Panda, thank you so much, brother. Over on NA West, coming out, helping out on NA East. Great stuff, great stuff. Now, Fortnite fam, we're having a little issues with the battle bus, so as soon as I know more, I will tell you, and we'll get into it. So for now, we're going to spend some time talking with Vivid and Adam about what we can expect from today's competition. Guys, let's kind of start things off right here. We kind of saw something very similar already in EU, and that is because this is Chapter 2, Season 8 still, right? There's not been a brand new season of Fortnite. A lot of the strategies we're seeing are a lot of, like, the same, right? And the only kind of big difference is, like, now some of the trios are starting to kind of change around. Sometimes it's just one member, but they're still kind of continuing these strategies they've had in POIs, in rotations, in Storm Surge, things like that. So I'd love to kind of hear from you, Vivid. Maybe if you just want to throw out a POI and talk about why it's important, what we could see, and then, of course, we'll pick your brain in case you guys don't know at home. Fortnite fan Vivid was a professional player. Now he's turned my best friend analyst, so he's got the in-depth knowledge.
Well, listen, I think that the very important thing that you kind of mentioned there was the fact that we're actually still in the same season, right? So basically what that says to me, right, if I was still being a pro player and I was still professionally playing, right, you basically have a database of information, right? Any of these players could have went back and watched some of the footage from the competition that we had during the FNCS during the same season where pretty much everything was the same, rotations, POIs, and everything like that, right? There's this huge database available for these players to go back and kind of reference this and be like, okay, like, what can I learn, right? Like, why did this team place first? Why did this team place last? You know, kind of like maybe reference POIs, like maybe if we're seeing somebody here today that didn't necessarily play in the FNCS, but, you know, somebody was landing at the POI that in that FNCS, they could, like, you know, learn from them and everything like that. So yeah, I think that this kind of Grand Royale is going to come down to a lot of preparation, right? And we also know that on the NA East region, there haven't been a lot of scrims. So what I'm thinking about it is that, like, pretty much the only way that a lot of these players could have practiced or learned from anything is actually going back and putting in the time and effort to learning from a competition that we had in pretty much the same meta. So I would hope that a lot of these players took advantage of that opportunity they are presented when you have these two competitions being played on the same season. So I guess we'll kind of see how it pans out on the leaderboard, and maybe we can, like, pinpoint a couple more players that have been, you know, seem like they are preparing a lot more as opposed to how they played in the FNCS.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to actually see how we saw last season in particular that trios did really switch things up in terms of, like, we saw, like, obviously our winners, you know, Booga, Miro, and Muzz going all the way, which we all thought was, like, kind of like this super dream team, but surely it can't go as well as we think it could go, and it really did. You know, they kind of came together, all being top tier elite players. They kind of found their way together, and they had the most insane finale to that FNCS as well. But, you know, we've just seen yesterday the High Power Boys. It was amazing. Loved it. We saw the competitive playlist is about to switch up as well. The next season is going to be a lot of duos play. So this is like kind of like a last kind of like lap of honor really for the trios format for a while. So we could see a lot of our teams here as well start to be a bit more fun, have a bit more, you know, be a bit more creative in terms of, like, kind of entertaining us at home, hopefully, as well, and kind of seeing them kind of, you know, engage when, you know, because they want to kind of, you know, prove themselves in the Grand Royale. Obviously, this is a celebration as well of a year of incredible Fortnite, and our teams now have kind of come together to ultimately put on a show for us. Obviously, there is a ridiculously massive prize pool as well, but I think this is a good opportunity to really, you know, switch things up with your teammates, because we've seen that this is not a region that shies away from changing things up if it needs to. We see, obviously, there's some certain trios who prefer certain POIs, but playing together, that seems to be kind of a thing that everyone's willing to be very organic about now. So I like that about this. I think it keeps things really exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys can bring to the party today, because I have no doubt, particularly tomorrow when things are doubled, that is really going to change the way our teams play, because as soon as the first game or two, we always see the same thing. The first game or two plays out relatively slowly. Everyone's being a little bit more passive. Suddenly it ramps up all the way to like 300, and suddenly we see everyone kind of going for broke up game 3 onwards. When you've got double points up for grabs, the teams at the bottom of the table after today are 100% going to go absolutely wild tomorrow, because they know that the points, you have 1-2 good games that you pop off, you can go from being in like 30th place all the way up to like the top 10 super simply. So that'll be really interesting to watch. Obviously, every different competition, every competition is different in some capacity, but this one in particular, I'm excited to see what happens. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah, there's always like that meta that develops within the meta of the competition, right?
Yeah.
There's actually something I talked about with Levin back in Europe was, you know, tomorrow, if you're a trio that's outside of top 10, you're looking at an engagement, you're thinking, well, hold on, today is double points. Oh, forget this. Actually, that's 12 points just off just this one trio. Man, suddenly we're going to make it into top 10. That's a lot of points. You know what? Yeah, maybe let's take this fight. What do we got to lose, right? We're either going to be eliminated because we don't have Storm Surge tags, or we're going to win this fight. It's going to help propel us forward, right? But on the flip side of that, if you are eliminated early, right, now you're just watching everyone else around you take advantage of that double points, right, placing higher, getting a handful of eliminations, and now that leaderboard is starting to pull away. So there's a lot of like push and pull that's going to be happening tomorrow. I'm really excited for it, and I can't wait to watch. Guys, we got to talk about, I want to talk about a POI. Okay, I'm going to throw a POI your way, Vivid. We kind of got to talk about Risky Reels. We got to talk a little bit about the Crater, and I want to get your opinions on Misty Meadows, okay? All right, this is a POI. Tokata got wrong, and that's fine. But a lot of people do like this POI, right? And with the recent addition of the Crater right there, we're seeing a lot more trios kind of like gravitate a lot toward it, right? You've got the mobility and the slipstreams, rather. You've got way more chest spawns. And I mean, honestly, even if we like think back to Risky Reels, and there was those white boxes, right? It's a super small POI. There's really not many places to go or hide. Misty, on the other hand, is massive, right? If you take a look at the center on your screen here, you've got this bridge. You're either going to claim the right side of that bridge, or you're going to claim the left side of that bridge as well, right? So I'm curious to get your take on this POI.
You know, interesting enough, we do know that Booga will be landed here, right, with Miro and Dukes, right? And the interesting thing is that I'm pretty sure they actually are not even concerned about the left side of Misty. If you reference his Twitter account, I saw that he tweeted something along the lines of that they were actually going to try to just claim the right side of Misty along with the Crater. So they've kind of turned it into like their own little POI, right? And we know how valuable these Craters can be. There's just so much loot there, and it's really, really great and healthy for the game, right? But if these guys are actually allowed to grab half of like one of the biggest POIs in the game in Misty Meadows, right, and then also a Crater, these guys are going to have so much loot. And then also to mention, you know, Misty is often very, very, I wouldn't say easy to rotate out of, right? Because, you know, a lot of these positions, these players like Scented, who is used to rotating out of here, they spend hours, they spend days, they spend weeks of scrims trying to figure out, like, okay, what players can be where with what timings, right? But when you think about Misty Meadows, right, you're on the south side of the map. So more often than not, you're going to have to go up north, right? If you think about the north, it's Lazy Lake, right? Lazy Lake has all these hills around them, right? So very often, they're just going to rotate out of their POI early, go up to one of those hills. So Lazy Lake is often just left empty. And when you have a POI that's empty, it's very, very easy to rotate through because you have so much cover. There's so many little avenues that you can use to cover yourself from those hills, the surrounding areas that may be Storm Surge intensive. So honestly, they'll just rotate up north, kind of use Lazy Lake. Maybe they need to grab a couple more materials because we know Lazy Lake is very, very rich in that, and then they kind of just go about their way, right? They're already like halfway through the rotation as soon as they make it to Lazy Lake, and there's nothing in between Lazy Lake and Misty Meadows. So I love Misty Meadows as a POI. It's very, very, like I said, I wouldn't say easy, but it is, you know, convenient in some scenarios for you to rotate out of Misty, and then often you can just go left of those mountains as well, right? You can go to the west. There's really nothing over there. It's kind of like no man's land, no POIs really over there. So great POI for these guys to pick up, and like I mentioned, they're gonna have so much loot.
Yeah, loot is hugely key. I don't know about you guys, but I tend to find a lot of sideways kind of spawning in that particular region as well. So there's a kind of opportunity there to kind of, you know, get some great weaponry, to kind of, you know, kind of really kind of boost shield-wise as well. I think, interestingly as well, we kind of talk about stats a lot on the broadcast here. I think we said last season that Caddy Corner, this kind of region of the map here near Misty, the southern regions tend to have a higher win rate, victory royale rate than any other region of the map here, which is kind of, you know, speaks a lot, you know, the fact that you've actually got so many kind of trios in this region who know that they can rotate if necessary. If the storm moves in a certain direction, if you're already in this area, then you can lock it down very, very quickly. I think we're going to see a couple of trios in and around the likes of Dukes, Miro, and Booga, and Misty. You've got the likes of Pam, Kerry, and Fatch. I think the Mars's trio is going to land a bit more south towards kind of the blue cube as well. But if you've got only a few trios in and around you and that storm moves in a direction that benefits you in many ways, you are going to be in a great position. We can see here as well on our map, if you get into a certain position in this location, you can find, I think, the main kind of gas station. You got the lake there to the left hand side as well. But I don't know what your thoughts are, Vivid, here on this, but for me, when you've got kind of an open situation like this, if you've got two trios landing and there's kind of a particular point of interest, you know, be it kind of the gas station, you've got like the other one up to the other side of the street as well. When you see another team landing in that area, is your first thoughts to kind of engage and to kind of still contest it, or because it's so finite and a lot smaller than others, Do you try and get out of there quickly and find somewhere else to land?
Well, if we think about Catty Corner, right, we think about the loot, we think about the surrounding areas. I'm going to be honest, when you leave Catty Corner, you're not really going to find much loot outside of it, right, in the immediate surrounding area. And, you know, you're going to run into the likes of, like, Lazy Lake a little bit later, but obviously somebody's going to land there, right? You can go a little bit to the northeast, you can go to Retail Row, but obviously somebody's going to land there, right? They're whole POI. So I feel like Catty Corner is really one of those situations where you have to full send, especially because Catty Corner more often than not really only works as a POI when it comes down to trios because of that little weather station that's up on the mountains, right? Usually one person on your trio lands there to grab some of their own loot while the other two, you know, loot the other surrounding areas. So you really do have to actually fight it out when another trio lands there.
Yeah, understanding the POI, right, what's available to you at any time, and kind of what you guys have been hinting at, right, is like if you know another trio is landing nearby, what are your outs? You know, where is a place you could go that you're like, there's a guaranteed floor spawn there, sometimes there's a chest spawn there, what could I get out of that, right? Especially if you get something early like a launch pad, right? You and your trio could just bail on the whole situation and just try and land it somewhere close by that's a backup, right? We'll have to see, though. One last place I want to talk about, Believer Beach. We've got Saf, Agers, and Canada that are going there. I mean, you know, Believers Beach, a.k.a. Sweaty Sands, a.k.a. whatever you want to call this, Arkham Rex and Epic Whales homeland, whatever you want to call this place, has always been in the conversation, right? This is a massive POI. It's there near the beach, just outside of Coral Castle. Tons of floor spawns, tons of loot, tons of chests, rotations as well, where you have the crash site right there. You can see it on the left top side of your screen. If you need to rotate out, you can. I mean, there's just so much versatility in this POI, but again, it comes back to those little things, right? If you land and you can't land on a weapon, you miscalculate and just miss that drop by even 1 second, and your opponent doesn't, you are going to be dropped, and then your team is at a disadvantage. So, Vivid, kind of talk us through this POI. What strengths, what weaknesses do you see here?
Basically, I mean, you know, Believer Beach to me is still, you know, Sweaty Sands in my heart, personally. But Believer Beach, I guess we can call it that now, whatever. It's just got so much loot, like you mentioned. And one of the great things is actually, you know, the beach itself. When you call something a beach, it also has water. And when there are water, you have fishing spots. So fishing spots also another out for these trees if they want to use it. I'm not sure if Saf, Agers, and Canada will be using the fishing spots, but it's always something that they can think about. When we think about the, you know, POI that's been added to the south of it, though, you know, you had kind of mentioned that the slipstreams are there, right, that they can kind of use them as a rotation out. There's always like this little bit of a concern in one's mind, right? Because you are basically relying on, if they start to rely too much on this POI for the slipstreams for them to rotate out, if the trio that is landing there kind of like hangs out for too long, right? They basically can't just go use those slipstreams, right? They can kind of block Saf's trio from going over there and using them. So you kind of have to be worrisome when you rely on another POI like this to actually make a rotation. So hopefully Saf, Agers, and Canada are prepared for something like that, because if, you know, the trio that is landing at their slipstreams leaves earlier, then yeah, sure, go ahead, use those slipstreams all you want to make your rotations. But if they kind of decide to like wait around, maybe try to get some sneaky storm surge tag, then Saf and Canada are just going to be walking on foot all the way to the next zone.
Yeah, let's just take a moment there as well to, you know, kind of celebrate the fact that Saf's back in the game, man. He's back.
Yeah.
You know, and we've been looking forward to this. You haven't touched on this. You know, the fact that, you know, you got Saf, you got Agers, we know from D-Gen's trio usually. I want to say Skittles as well, but yeah, we had that kind of last season. Just let's not go there.
Change-ups, man. The change-ups. Don't do this.
Zeke, I think it almost melted our brains trying to get our heads around that. But yeah, we're there now. I think we're there now, at least anyway. But Saf, yeah, Agers, and Canada as well. You know, I don't know what about you guys, but I was watching those kind of the high power videos and stuff, the fun little challenges together as well. Saf just seems in a really good space. He was happy. He seemed kind of really motivated. He seemed energetic, and sometimes having a bit of a break and coming back into a competition like this, you feel re-energized. And I think that was really exciting to see, is because, you know, a lot of these players, you know, Vivid, you've said it before, you work so hard around the block, constantly playing Fortnite to get to be at the top of your game, and the fact that he's come back and he looks so cheerful. I don't use the word cheerful, but he looked cheerful. You know, alongside Agers and Canada, as what we saw last season as well. And Canada, no one uses the word cheerful enough. He looked cheerful.
I guess not.
Canada as well. Obviously, we saw last season. You know, this is a journeyman who continuously qualifies for all the major tournaments. He's been there. He's done it. He's got the T-shirt and the entire tracksuit at this point. You know, I think again a trio who I'm looking forward to seeing compete. I think Canada, you know, is absolutely capable. He clutched up that reboot round, the last one in last season, and it was insane to watch. I mean, coming second so close, I think, in the game just before it gets through and qualifies for finals. They have all the capability here as well. Being a believer Beach is, you know, and I'm with you, Sweaty, 100% all the way, Vivid. But you see as well that they have that kind of that clutch factor, which I think a lot of our teams here are going to need, particularly when it comes to the double points mentioned as well, because that is going to make or break who's going to win this thing. And I just want to see these guys compete. You know, will Saf, you know, go for the high ground again? I'm sure it'll happen many, many times. But I can't wait to see it. It feels like a breath of fresh air coming back, and I can't wait.
I do like that. And of course, for someone like Saf, right, the competitive veteran, it's like riding a bike, right? You kind of like, okay, I'll take a step back, and then I come back, and then you just find yourself reacting to certain things. Oh, I know what's there. I know I've opened this door. There's a chest right there. Boop, there it is. Beautiful stuff, right? So, you know, you guys are not wrong, right? I'm excited to see Saf competing. We'll have to see how things unfold. Now, Fortnite fam, I'm getting word we actually missed the bus. I gave the bus driver a time. I was actually wrong. The bus has already left, so we're going to miss out on game number 1, but we're going to put together a highlight reel for you guys. And, of course, the standings. Everything else is playing out completely normally. We're just going to miss game 1, but don't worry. We'll get you guys up to speed when the time gets there. I'd like to actually throw another POI. Vivid, you were kind of talking, and it made me think of another POI that a lot of people do love to fight over, and that's dirty docks. The dirtiest of the docks. Okay, look, I'm not going to lie. I tried landing dirty for, like, a week, okay? I will say it is easily like one of my more fun POIs to go at. The problem is I'm not a competitive player, okay? So I will absolutely get built up on. People will Taj Mahal on my dome, and then I just lose the fight. Especially when you kind of like look at the lay of the land here. You got this right side, right, with the containers, only really good for farming metal, right? But because if you don't have bills, you go in there, you're like, okay, well, I have to kind of hug these corners, and at that point, I'm just hoping to hit my shot with a right-hand peek, right? Or you just go on the top side here, if we orient ourselves to this map, then you've got all these little container areas, right? You've got chests, you've got very easily breakable things that have like a wood crate that you can immediately break. Boom, drops ammo, drops a chest. You've got instant resources available to you. So talk to me about dirty docks. What's so special about this POI, and why do we see people fight over it all the time?
Listen, I'm going to give you guys the brutal honesty here, okay? I have no idea why we fight over this POI, because I have landed there a few times, and it's got to be like one of my least favorite for sure. I have no idea how you're meant to play that. First day Miro, I respect them so much for like being consistent here and being able to win fights, but I feel like every single time that I like land here, I feel like I'm just always at like a disadvantage. Like I have no idea where I'm going, what's going on. But I can tell you that usually like transferring like the fundamentals from landing other places and everything like that, and looking at dirty docks, I can tell you right now that it's probably you have to focus your attention to those two big metal warehouses that you have, one being in the middle and then one being a little bit to the right, because basically they're like the high ground of the POI, right? And when you look at these surrounding areas, there's a couple buildings that kind of match that high ground, but all the other loot is kind of like spread out on like first floors of buildings, or, you know, as Zeke was mentioning, those container areas. And these big metal warehouses have like direct line of sight over them from a higher point of view. So I feel like if you can get built up on those, it'll probably lay yourself up for like a really good start to a fight. But I mean, I'm telling you right now, even though I'm saying that, like I probably could never execute on it. That POI is just... It's just over my head on that one.
It's, you know, it's dirty docks for me. I have these nightmares about. I remember the LTE name of the junior event where I was there with the football in the goal, and I was just trying to get through the battle pass, kind of whatever it was, kind of like a challenge, and it was just ridiculous how many teams were dropping into the same goal net. It was driving me bonkers. But you know, with Vivid, I think you're absolutely right. When you get those two metal kind of warehouses, I think there's like a lot of metal crates there as well. You can hide behind. You can kind of you can spring out your enemies from as well. There's cranes for height. There's a giant hill to move past to get back into the rest of the map as well when you kind of comes to rotation. I don't know why. Obviously, the slipstream, the kind of the crash site there as well, does help in terms of getting you a bit more air, a bit more kind of distance when it comes to rotates as well. But yeah, I'm with it. It's a very strange one. Obviously, surrounded by water to a degree. You've got a lot of rotations coming in from Steamy as well. It's an interesting one. But fair play to Dave for sticking it out season upon season, because clearly he loves the place. He loves it a lot.
I wonder if that makes them much better players because it's harder to compete there. Does this mean that they know something that we don't? Questions that someday I hope to ask them directly, you know. But look at this. We got our next match in 2.5 minutes. I know. Isn't that crazy? I know. This is what I love, right? Just getting to hang out with this is why when I made that video, it was the most sincere video. They were like, hey, Zeke, talk to me about like what your favorite part of any East was. And I was like, it's these two. They're so smart. I love how fluidly conversations with them go. It's just easy. Really quickly, though, with the 2 minutes left, let's talk about predictions. So remember, these are the predictions we think the trios could walk away #1 after tomorrow. So far, we're doing okay in EU. Only Sancho West in EU was 27th, but again, he's cashing in on a day 2 team, right? So day 2 for them is probably going to go better. So let's come over here. It's okay, right? Okay, so now I've aligned myself with Vivid here, okay? Commandment scented and Commandment scented and stretched. So, you know, I love this conversation because all year long it's been Vivid versus Adam. Sometimes Vivid's right, sometimes Adam right. But you know what? I'm cashing in. I'm going with Vivid on this one.
Nice. I'm actually going to change my prediction. I'm going to change my prediction to I think that Zeke actually like stole the bus driver and he purposefully like missed our bus stop so that way he could get to talk to us for the amount of time that he has. I think that's going to be my new prediction.
Yeah, I think I'm getting word here. I think in game #1 as well. I don't think Saf Aegis and Canada did particularly well in game #1, so that's a bit worrying for, you know, a bit of a slow start. But, you know, there's still plenty of time to go, guys. There's double points tomorrow. It's fine. Obviously, you know, I picked these guys because more than anything, I think Commandment, we said in the stretch, we talked about these guys. They absolutely have everything it takes to go the distance. But to switch things up a little bit, I do like the idea of kind of like the trio coming in, just forming and just absolutely, you know, smashing it. I can't wait to see what happens. And of course, as well with like Jampa's trio. I mean, you know, we can't deny that Booga's got everything, you know, in their locker as well. And I think they had a really good game. Well, I'm sure we're going to see the leaderboards at some point, and I think they had a really good game #1 there.
Well, guess what? We're actually going to go hang out with our casters. We've got Monster D-Face. We've got Reese Hub here from EU. And Reese has been watching game #1, so he's going to give us an update on what has happened, and then we're going into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so very much for what was the most incredible top of show there, keeping us in the loop here. Reese, we have the biggest tournament since World Cup, essentially, as far as the prizing goes and the stakes here that are on the line for the players. Game 1 has concluded, but you do have some very important updates for us. Get us caught up, brother.
I've got the important updates. We've obviously just managed to miss the first game, so I'm going to go through a list. Firstly, a lot of the top teams that we've seen haven't really performed that well so far, right? We did get to see some of the big guys like Acorn's team who popped really good, currently in 4th in the leaderboard. Saf's team who went down very early, a 0-point game to them, really struggling with Surge for them. But right now, so we've seen them get a 0-point game. We also saw Day's team not do so well in that earlier. Bully's team also at the same time, they were popping off, picking up a ton of points from that too. So a lot of the big names that we've expected not doing so well. One of the names that we did see do very well was Miro's team there, who was currently in 4th place on the leaderboard. Sorry, 5th place in the leaderboard. They came 4th in the game with 5 elims. They seem to have absolutely no struggle with Storm Surge one bit, which is really good for them. Looking good coming from the south zone. This was a relatively centered end of the map, so not too bad for them overall. And you see Vert going down there. Another team who yet again didn't manage to pick up too many points. A couple to the teams I wanted to pick out on big time was D-Roller's team, Charlie and Spegu, who was uncontested finally, season on season. They've been contested. They managed to win the game with 14 eliminations. And they managed to win the game. That was the one. There's another team who got 14 eliminations in. That was a Minish team, sorry. So the leaderboard's shaping up pretty nicely after game #1.
What an incredible game #1 that was, and definitely setting up our winning team, D-Roller, Charlie, and Spegu here for a strong start to the competition today. And again, it is so very important to pretty much build a monstrous lead in day 1, because day 2, with the way the format's going to break out, that double point opportunity for any team to claw their way back can be devastating for a squad that did not break away strong here to kick things off. So now, Reese, coming into game 2, I mean, it looks like things are setting off pretty hot here for the Risky Reels.
Yeah, and Risky Reels, we thought originally that Muzz's team was going to contest here, but actually what happened with Muzz's team is they ended up moving over to Boney Burbs, where they were originally looking to land, and then ended up fighting off big time there, disengaging and not doing so well, unfortunately, getting scuffed. I thought this game they would move back in and be a part of this fight, but Shadow's team clearly noticed that Muzz's team wasn't here in the previous one, and then ended up coming here dipping, but clearly the other team saw the same thing and getting involved. This time, Muzz and Joji getting involved in the action in Boney Burbs instead of disengaging.
Yeah, definitely. On the other side, looks like Mega Doves and Pump here are also going to pop off and find themselves a nice little team wipe. That's on to Joji's trio, who again has had quite a come up and a big story for them. Their team just banding together alongside on the other side. Looks like Miro, Dukes, and Booga had a very strong game number 1, netting themselves a big 32 points. Now, this is my pick here. I definitely expect them to do well, and it looks like they are already setting the stage up.
Yeah, they're doing super well. It was a centered zone. They had no real issue with Storm Surge whatsoever. When I checked in the first threshold, there was 90 players alive just at the moment I was in, and they were 200 above at that moment. So they were doing very, very well. No eliminations. They weren't getting into any fights. Last season, we really saw them taking a bunch of fights. Unlike Saf, Aegis, and Canada, who really struggle with Storm